the best wrestling in the whole world.
The quantity of speech is not always indicative of the quality of thought.
Think this is funny? No. Why would you do this? Told to. Get a life! Get a life!
Do I look like the kind of guy that would read someone else's mail?
Yeah! Well, listen here, you two fat, roly-polies! If I looked as bad as you guys did, I would have stayed in the backyard!
Win, lose, or draw, you gonna know Bullet Bob was on the scene, brother.
This is BS! This sucks! I've lost my objectivity, and I don't give a damn!
Welcome, everybody, to You've Got to Be Kidding Me, episode number 47. We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. On this episode, we are covering the month that is April 2006, leading up until Lockdown 2006. I'm Garrett Kidney. I am joined by Liam Jones.
I'm locking in for lockdown.
That's wordplay.
Yeah, that's a new internet meme. People are always saying they're locked in now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that a new young person thing?
Yeah, they're all saying they're locked in. This is me locking in. Here is a GIF that represents me being locked in.
So, like, they're excited for a thing and they're prepared for it? Is that what we mean by locked in here?
No, more like, it's time to assassinate a royal. I'm locking in.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
A deep commitment has been made, and it's time for me to go all in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thank you for keeping me young and educating me about the youth.
I know who I Show Speed is.
I did not know who I Show Speed was. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? It's funny, like, I'm at the point where I don't even recognize the names, which, like, I was never on board with influencer culture, but, like...
You recognize the Paul brother.
Yeah, I wasn't like, who the fuck is this guy when Logan Paul showed up, you know? But I am at the point where I Show Speed shows up, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is an I Show Speed?
He's like the worst.
Well, he's a fucking streamer. Of course he is. They're all the most obnoxious people on earth.
He's the worst one.
Oh, why is he the worst? What makes him the level above the rest?
He's energy.
But they all have bad energy.
No, but it's the worst one.
I don't even want to watch him now if he's the worst of all of them.
No, yeah, he's by far the most annoying one. He just screams all the time.
The culture of the children is so cursed.
I want to find out where he's listed on Social Blade.
Because, like, kids, you can watch and enjoy people who bring something to the world that isn't just being really annoying.
Nah.
You could listen to this podcast. It's much better.
Nah.
All you I Show Speed listeners who like wrestling now because he was in a Prime bottle, you should head to patreon.com/kiddingme. And instead of subscribing to his Twitch or whatever, you should give us all the money. Give it to us.
I think he actually got banned from Twitch.
He's too annoying for Twitch?
Yeah, let me find out.
Dear Lord.
What's he doing now?
WrestleMania, apparently.
I think he's on YouTube now. I think he moved from Twitch to YouTube. On August 16th, 2023, during a live stream, Watkins jumped up from his seat to being jump scared while playing Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach and accidentally flashed his penis to a live viewership of 25,000 people.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Was he naked from the waist down?
I don't know, I wasn't there.
Was it just that he had extra revealing shorts as he jumped?
I would imagine.
Okay.
Yes, he has moved to a YouTube streamer.
Do people actually, like, watch live streams on YouTube other than, like, Joe Rogan?
Well, I think it is by far the secondary brand. But a few years ago, YouTube made a big play to sign the biggest Twitch streamers.
Yeah.
Notably, the number one streamer, Ludwig, was, like, jumped. So he's, like, the main sort of YouTube streamer representative. But even, like, he states that if you want to start streaming, start on Twitch. It's easy to grow an audience. YouTube is, like, if you have an audience.
YouTube does feel too big to start on, you know?
Yeah, because the algorithm isn't as, like, beneficial either, like, to find streamers, you know? But
yeah, whereas if you're going to stream, you should probably do it. Like, because you sent me the stats, I think, the other week about the total number of people online on Twitch, and it was like, was it 4 million or something?
Yeah.
I was like, that feels small.
It was also, like, Australian time.
That's true. It could have been the middle of the night. It's not a good time zone,
right
is it?
now.
It feels like it should have been more people. Well, it's the middle of the night US time now as well, so probably not a lot of people online.
So, like, yeah, there are some big YouTube streamers, but they're not the main one, obviously. Waiting for twitchtracker.com/statistics to load.
See how many people are streaming at 7:30 a.m. in the morning U.S. time, Eastern time anyway.
They have 1,700,000 live viewers now.
See, that still feels low.
There are 52,000 live channels now.
Like, if you were to, I'm sure, look at right now the number of active users on YouTube, it would probably be in the hundreds of millions.
But also because, like, Family Guy Funny Clips is currently live streaming on YouTube and has 700,000 viewers, you know?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like that there is the scale of difference between the two versus the relative influence between the two is interesting to think about.
The average concurrent viewers of 2023 was 2.4 million.
See, that sounds really low to me.
So, and it is currently 2.5 million in 2024, which is up from last year's average, but lower than 2022 and 2021. 2021, obviously the peak, which, you know, makes sense with world events.
Everybody inside watching Twitch.
Yeah, that was when I talked to you the other, I don't know how long ago it was, about, like, the streaming bubble. And being like, this is something that obviously exploded during COVID because everyone was at home. Therefore, a whole bevy of new streamers came from it and a whole bevy of new viewers came from it. And I was just interested in, like, you know, is that going to be something that we see a decline of? But, you know, they're up from last year so far.
Yeah, these things, they don't, like, they're, as I said, world events do occasionally cause them to go backwards, but they don't generally go backwards. You know, it's generally just more people are on Earth, more people are now watching these streams.
The most common category is just chatting at 14%. The second most popular category is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, not Splatoon?
I don't think that's ranking.
Because the Wii U was turned off yesterday, so I streamed 3 hours of Splatoon last night.
Did you?
I did.
Wow. You weren't in just chatting?
I wasn't. I was in Splatoon.
It's funny that the games is like the top two games, Grand Theft Auto 5 and League of Legends still.
We just haven't had new games. Culture just has stopped.
I mean, I say that, but like Valorant is 3. That's a new game.
But that's still Riot. It doesn't count.
Yeah, but like, it is a new game. Because after that, it's Dota 2, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, Warzone, Tom Clancy, Rainbow Six.
Ugh. How far do you have to go to find a 2024 release?
Content warning.
That's my favorite game.
Which is 18 on the list.
Oh, not a good year then.
Well, and then Overwatch 2.
That was 2023.
Oh, same shit.
So other than iShow Speed, how did you enjoy both WrestleMania and WrestleMania weekend?
I have barely watched any of both.
Ooh, you're not interested?
I'm interested. I want to watch Dean.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I don't really have any interest in watching anything else. Night 1, I didn't really care about, but I watched Night 2 with people, so that was easier. I probably wouldn't have watched it otherwise. Yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent.
Not like worst show of all time, not like best show of all time?
No. I mean, most of Night 2 was really boring, but like, there was like some funny bad, there was some good.
On the one hand, I really appreciate the fact that every match is 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
It makes the show much more watchable. Like, they do just blast through it, but it does make it largely boring other than the top two, which were really good. Both Io and Bailey and Reigns and Cody were really good, but then the rest of that card was fine.
I watched NXT.
Why did you watch NXT of all things?
It was on at 4 a.m. and I was awake.
Ah, did you love it?
No, it sucked. It was awful. Really bad.
NXT is really funny to me because like WWE fans still pretend like there's this huge difference between them and AEW when like NXT is just PWG on steroids even more than AEW.
Yeah. But with all like the negatives of WWE production.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's not even the same thing. It's the same thing philosophically, but worse. Stop pretending you're sitting on your high horse. High horses are a thing I don't like.
I didn't watch the opener, which has an 8 on Cage Match.
What was the opener?
Baron Corbin and Bron Breakker versus Axiom and Nathan Fraser.
I'm sure that one was actually fun.
Then it was the NXT North American title 3-way, which has an 8.96.
Would you agree with that rating?
I think I gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, that seems to be a discrepancy there.
Yeah, no, it's awful. It's really bad and boring. And then the 6-woman tag match has a 5.9, which I gave 3.5.
You are the biggest women's respecter. Well done, sir.
It was just a Dragon Gate 6-man. They didn't do anything. Like, they just did their spots. They hit everything clean. Fallon Henley is like... no, or is it Thea Hale? Which one is the one with the facial expressions?
There is no way of knowing.
Whatever the small one is.
That doesn't narrow it down.
Who does really bad facial... She's annoying. She sucks. I don't know. Thea Hale, I think it is. Like, she's like dreadful. But everyone else in the match like was pretty good. Roxanne Perez versus Lyra Valkyria was bad. It has a 7
boring.
on Cage Match.
I was reading, I don't remember what the list was, but somebody had that as like the 6th best match of the weekend. And I'm like, what? What match did you watch?
I mean, no. And then Ilya and Tony was bad, but it was mostly boring than like fundamentally bad. It was like a 2.5. That is a 7.7. And Trick Williams is kind of like I fell asleep after the first 5 minutes of nothing. So. And
it also had like another 5 minutes of nothing and then a finish. So you didn't miss much.
Yeah. So I cannot comment on that one.
I watched a decent amount. Like I watched the back half of NXT. I watched most of WrestleMania. I watched a decent chunk of Big Gay Brunch. I watched pretty much all of Bloodsport. I watched a little bit of Dragon Gate versus ETU. I watched a little bit of Dean. A little bit of Hog versus Wrestling Revolver. And for the most part, it was all fine. Watched most of Defy. So I watched a decent amount of wrestling. And there's not much of it that really stood out, honestly. Even the good matches were like, they were solid, but I'm not like moved by them.
Did you watch the top 2 on Dean?
No, I only watched some of the Jaden Newman tag because there was a lot on that night, and I think Impact was on that night as well, so I was also working technically. But yeah, it was like there's people who are very down on WrestleMania weekend. And somewhat understandably so, because it's like 175 shows in which you get 5 good matches out of. But I kind of like how it captures the fullness of wrestling now.
Well, I was going to say that like I felt like this Mania weekend was kind of like better than the last few. It felt like the most authentic, and then it was just like weird. And like maybe it was help that everything was easy to find.
Yeah.
Just like half of it was on Triller, and if it wasn't on Triller, it was on IWTV.
Unless there's the 2 shows that were on High Spots.
Yeah, but who cares about that? Yeah, it's like, but like you always know that the High Spot show was going to be on High Spots, right? Like, that's fine.
But there was a few years where the High Spots show was on Triller.
Was it?
Yeah, it was in the package for a little while.
But I remember like I had to, whatever. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I don't know, I had like a better feeling about this Mania weekend than I did like the last few. Which I watched everything of, so.
I like the way, like, you're like, I didn't watch any of it. I have a better feeling of it, because you didn't watch any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was into it. I felt better about it. Maybe that does come from not watching all of it. Because last year was my year where I watched everything. Every ounce of every show that was on.
Because, like, that does become exhausting. You see the same wrestlers 100 times. You see the same comedy spots 100 times. And you're like, somebody do a match. I don't want another scramble.
Throughout the rest of the year.
I know. But, like, I don't know. There's something about WrestleMania weekend now that does capture, like, everything about who and what pro wrestling is right now. The good and the bad. Like, it's all there. Like, the kind of indie dream match kind of gave a disproportionate sample of wrestling in America. It was like, well, if we have 7 Lucha Bros matches, we can cover over the fact that a lot of this stuff is shite. Whereas now it's just like, it is the fullness of pro wrestling. For better or for worse, it is guys and gals going out and having fun and trying to have good matches. And sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do, but that's wrestling.
That's wrestling.
Speaking of wrestling, you can get a lot more wrestling at your favorite website, patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com, where you can subscribe and get many podcasts and other such things, such as our Lucha Underground series, Gift of the Pods, Rain Takers, our New Japan Pro Wrestling series, Global Force Gold, our GFW series, Guerrilla Radio, our PWG series, Review It For Her, our Wrestling Society X series, Monday War Games, our Monday Night Wars 2010 show, all of that there, Ring Cat Kings, our Ring Cat King retrospective podcast, all of those waiting for you on the $5 tier in our Patreon at patreon.com/kiddingme. You can also, if you'd like to bump up a little bit, you can get a bunch of watch along for $10. You can be like, whoa. Wow. You can watch all of the pay-per-views and a bunch of the weekly pay-per-views along with us and hear our thoughts. And some of them are absolute chaos. This one was pretty normal, but some of them are absolute chaos.
Yeah, this one was like a regular podcast.
Yeah, not that we didn't go too deranged.
No, I kept my composure.
So yes, if you would like the show notes for this episode, if you would like the ad-free episode for this episode, if you would like the watch-along for this episode, or if you would like any of those other podcast series we just mentioned, you can head to patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com, where you can find all of that and frankly more. There's even more. We have like 140 pieces, I think, of exclusive Patreon audio at this point.
That's too many.
It is a lot. What?
I'm gonna start removing them. I'm gonna start deleting them. So get in on there now.
That's a good marketing stunt. It will be gone. We will remove it. You will never be able to hear our Lucha Underground takes.
Nope. I'm going through and deleting the Rinka King series right now.
No!
Yep.
But so you can head to, but it defeats the purpose of the push, Liam. You should at least wait a few days.
Episode 1's gone.
Head to patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com and you can support the show, help us out, and also get a bunch of stuff in return.
Wow. I'd feel like a real cunt if I didn't. I was gonna say dickhead too, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna emphasize it.
Yeah, well, you're Australian. You can't not say cunt.
Legally, I'm allowed to.
That brings us to the month that is April 2006 in TNA. How are you feeling about this month?
Good.
Good?
Good. I had a good time watching Impact.
That is going to be a very interesting contrast to a bunch of the stuff we talk about. Not my opinions, but a bunch of the news notes. It's going to be, frankly, I would say, weird contrast to the actual quality of the television shows.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was good. I thought all the episodes were breezy. I feel like towards the end of the month, it kind of like, the last episode was clearly like them being like, fuck, what more can we do?
Yeah, because it's a 6 weeks build, so they are like, oh, we're running out.
Yeah, like the last episode, it felt like they were stretching it. But I thought for like the first 4 or 5 that it was good and everything felt fun, breezy, nothing really dragged. I was into it. A second month in a row, I think that they got at least the big match pay-per-view build right. That like the Lethal Lockdown, the Christian Abyss matches, and like I don't really care for the Team 3D Keep Canada stuff on the whole, but like they did build it comprehensively across the month. I don't like Team 3D, but I thought they did a good month of like work towards building to a big match.
Yeah, so like the same thing as last month, where it's like instead of building out the whole card, because it's kind of the same thing this month, where there's then like 3 other X Division matches just tacked onto the pay-per-view, but they did build the top matches substantially enough that I don't really care that you're just throwing an X Division 6-man scramble in to fill things out.
Yeah.
So that takes us over to the news. After TNA and Spike TV issued several press releases touting the move to primetime, Spike issued a new press release on March 20th with the new lineup. We're putting 2 of the hottest brands together in one block that will surely be a destination for guys.
Oh, for the lads.
For said Kevin K of Spike TV.
No girls allowed. It's time for you to watch TNA on Spike TV.
All you women, you can tune in for your CSI from 8 to 9, but then you're getting Full Contact Thursday after that.
Listen, bruh. All I'm saying is, babes only when we're watching TNA. If you're not a total tubular babe, you can't be watching TNA with me. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
That's just how it works. Babes only.
There is like 2 women on the show, and I think that is actually the philosophical approach to women on TNA, so...
Yeah, we're a babes forward brand. That's all I'm saying.
That's a form of empowerment.
Yeah, we're doing it for women.
Yeah.
It's National Women's Month, and we're here to say babes only on TNA.
Spike determined that the CSI lead-in from 8 to 9 before Full Contact Thursday programming would translate to higher viewership with UFC, not Impact, which is the reason Impact was put in the 11 p.m. slot while UFC fills at 9 to 11, including The Ultimate Fighter, which is 10 to 11. There was no mention of flagging Impact ratings on Saturday nights. When the move to primetime was announced, Impact reached its highest rating of 1.1 for the Sting retirement speech. However, the rating range quickly subsided to a 0.7 or 0.8. When Jarrett made the announcement in Orlando on March 14th, wrestlers were confused by the announced switch. It was presented as a very positive mood with the UFC lead-in, said one TNA wrestler. However, when it was over, there were a lot of people scratching their heads. The announcement caught many wrestlers by surprise. The locker room was geared up for the primetime debut because it meant another opportunity to gain television exposure and produce an alternative product.
Too many babes tried to get in, you know? Because, you know, like, prime time, that's babe time.
That's true. The women are awake at 9 o'clock, but the men force them to go to bed once you get past, like, the later hours.
They say, babe, we've watched our McLeod's daughters, alright? You gotta head to bed, because I gotta chuck on TNA Impact Wrestling.
Gotta engage in my Full Contact Thursday.
I'm talking full contact with the boys, alright? There's no babes allowed. You ever work out how fun the word babe is to say?
You are expressing it very strongly in the last, like, 2 or 3 minutes.
It's a lot of fun.
There was minimal talk of a Thursday night Impact special on March 30th, 2 weeks before Impact officially moves to Thursdays at 11 p.m. Eastern, to prevent it going head-to-head with the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony on Saturday, April 1st. Instead, Impact will remain in its 11 p.m. slot on Saturday and will go head-to-head with the Hall of Fame on USA Network, which is the Bret Hart Hall of Fame as well, the disgusting traitor going back to WWE.
What a coward.
Discussion of the rumored Thursday night special did not reach many wrestlers in the locker room. One TNA wrestler said they were not aware there was talk of a March 30th date. It's apparently a thing that ended up on the Spike TV website, and people were like, what the hell's going on here? So no one knows if there was like an actual idea to do that, or if it was just like a scheduling error. But like the rating ended up being a 0.6 with 664,000 viewers head to head with the Hall of Fame. So they did take a hit. So it might have made sense to actually move it that week.
Now they said, Brett, we got you.
We're going to go head to head.
We're going head to head, baby.
It's not the first time this company will go head to head with Brett.
Yeah, no, Brett does become a recurring thorn in the side.
Every time WWE want to take down TNA head to head, Brett is there.
My God. He's the biggest anti-TNA missile that the WWE has to launch.
It does speak to, like, every time we talk about TNA on TV at some point, we end up having to go back to, nah, they want a Monday Night War again, you know?
But every time they do it, they just get fucking romped. They lost to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they're going head to head with the fucking Hall of Fame, and they took a pretty substantial dent to their audience at 11 p.m. on a Saturday. Like, if you can't compete with the Hall of Fame, where do you get the delusions of grandeur that the going head to head with the show that has, at this point, like 3 million viewers or something, is going to go any better?
Yeah. I don't know.
Delusional.
There's no point to it. Like, I don't even know how you really justify it beyond... maybe it'll get excitement up, because, like, statistically, it's not gonna work out.
It worked once, you see, Liam, so it will work again? With the Thursday premiere coming up, TNA has reason for optimism that they'll reach a larger audience, because the Ultimate Fighter debuted the week before TNA moved to Thursdays. So the premiere of the Ultimate Fighter, which will serve as TNA's lead-in for the next dozen weeks, scored a strong 2.0 rating. Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz are the coaches and the centerpiece of the show, along with the students and the fights. So people are into the Shamrock-Ortiz thing, shock of all shocks.
That does not surprise me. Historical feud and all.
So TNA ended up drawing a 1.1 rating for its Thursday night debut on April 13th. The show drew an average audience of 1.3 million viewers over the 1 hour broadcast, making it the most watched TNA telecast to date. The show retained or matched 85% of the UFC lead-in in the 10 to 11 time slot for the Ultimate Fighter 3 episode, which drew a 1.3 rating overall. In the old time slot where there is still a replay, the Saturday night replay of Impact 2 nights later drew a 0.6 rating, creating a combined ratings for both telecasts of 1.7. The good news for TNA is that it drew so well in Spike's key target demographic, men 18 to 49.
No babes!
In fact, the 1.4 rating in that demo made it the top rated program from 11 to 12 that night in that demo among all basic cable programs, beating the runner-up programming on FX by 30%. It also drew a strong 1.7 rating among men 25 to 34 and a 1.5 rating among men 18 to 34. Sources say TNA's parent company Panda Energy is thrilled with TNA right now and sees it as a potential cash cow for in a few years.
Okay. Yeah.
That goes great. That's fine. Everything's going great. Making the losses incurred so far during the investment period seem insignificant. Sources also say TNA is holding back on going after big name signings until they get into prime time. Goldberg was pursued recently, but not chased.
Let's talk more about Goldberg. Goldberg is always talking. This man loves TNA. He's going to be there any day now.
Because you do get the sense, the way they set up the build for the Lethal Lockdown, where Sting consciously waits a little while until the second set of TV tapings to announce who his team is. You do get the sense they were holding out hope that they'd get Goldberg.
Which is fair.
It's like, of all the people, for some reason, I can't imagine Goldberg in like the Impact Zone.
He makes very little sense optically. Like, it doesn't vibe right.
Yeah, the idea of him on the soundstage, for some reason, like, no.
Yeah. Perhaps it's because he feels like too big of a star.
That probably is it, and he probably wants lots of money. Bill Goldberg did an interview at WrestlingMag.com where he said, "When I think of WWE, I want to throw up. Needless to say, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I was appalled at the way WWE chose to alter my character." This was in response to a question about appearance number 1 where he put on the Goldust wig. Whether it was an ego thing or not on their part, it was not a good business decision to say the least. Regarding TNA, all he would say is never say never. He said TNA has approached him on many different levels, but said he doesn't watch WWE or TNA TV, though there is a note apparently he's watched some TNA of late.
He loved Lance Hoyt versus Kenny King.
He was like, that's the match that's getting me here. I want to do a dream match against Lance Hoyt.
I want to do a dream match against Kenny King.
Then he saw the flagging Hoytomaniacs, and he was like, no, I can't go.
Yeah, he thought that was going to be. It was going to be like the big Goldberg Hoytomania clash, but it was not to be.
The dream Goldberg. Hoyt. That's his actually TNA name because WWE legally trademarked his name actually. And then Hoyt. So you get the Goldberg Hoyt.
Hoyt.
This does feel like the closest they came to trying to sign Goldberg, I guess. Like they did seem to really want him. I wonder if they did hold the primetime spot, would they have been more willing to like go more aggressively after him? Because by the time they do get that primetime spot, they have Kurt. So like Kurt's like the top star to fill that kind of the aggressive pursuit of a second top star after Sting. So I wonder if they did actually have that 9 p.m. hour here, would they have signed Goldberg, or at least tried to be more aggressive in signing Goldberg?
It probably all comes down to like cost versus value and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, I feel like Goldberg would have been like asking for insane money.
Like, yeah, Goldberg is nearly certainly a 7-figure deal at this point, right? Which I don't think Sting or Kurt are. Those are both 6-figure deals.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that Kurt was like a guy who was like already kind of out when he left and was getting down cycled and was injured up and had all that stuff going on. So it was probably more of a value pick than a Goldberg.
Yeah, it's not like Kurt had a bidding war element to him.
No.
The move to Thursdays did really, really well. Best rating in the history of the show, so you can't really complain. And I thought really good episode on the whole.
Yeah, I agree. I think they kind of hit it out of the park a little bit. They're really good at their first impressions. I've always said that about them.
Yeah, it was my impression as I watched that show. It's like once again, they especially like the first impression. Like you get the Ultimate Fighter, which is like a UFC audience, and then the first thing you see on Impact when it comes over from the Ultimate Fighter is Samoa Joe kicking Christopher Daniels' bloody head into a guardrail. Like the decision to actually start that episode in progress, so you get straight into the meat of the action between Joe and Daniels, that's really, really smart in terms of trying to retain the UFC audience.
Yeah, it's a perfect kind of match for that for the shoot fans. They should have just gone full UWF.
Daniels doing a UWF match? You really want that?
Yeah, maybe.
Joe could do it. Daniels?
I've probably seen worse.
Spike TV executives were backstage at Lockdown on Sunday. One wrestling executive tells PW Torch that a network executive said Spike was pleased with TNA's ratings and the company's overall vision. As of press time, the front page of Spike TV's website contains a full-size TNA banner logo next to the UFC banner logo. UFC gets renewed for another 3 years here with Spike as well this month, so UFC are with Spike for the relative long haul until they blow up as a humongous company that's like one of the biggest entertainment properties in the world, which is not quite where they're here, where they are here.
It's not quite where TNA ends up either.
No, not really.
Not comparatively.
They do end up on pretty different trajectories in the end, unfortunately. One former TV producer tells PW Torch that networks generally bury a program on their website or on company press releases if they are unhappy with it, but rather Spike is showing unprecedented confidence in TNA considering the brand is not strong yet, the source said. Spike is only selling limited national advertisements during the Impact time slots. Spike is mainly running TNA merchandise and product ads, while local cable companies are filling the remaining ad time with local sponsors such as car dealerships. So Spike is trying to build name brand recognition with the TNA property to attract potential advertisers.
Easy.
There's and we'll talk about it pretty extensively here in a little bit, but there's a lot of hand-wringing about the Impact ratings, like that they stagnated around a 0.8-ish and they didn't grow. But it's really interesting to see, in contrast, Spike are apparently delighted. It's really weird to see wrestling media it's not growing, what's going wrong? And Spike is we're really happy with this. We're kind of we're growing it on a decent trajectory.
I mean, it seems like a generally positive sort of environment for TNA right now.
It should.
Well, yes.
It should.
Yeah.
Impact on Thursday, April 20th, which is the second Thursday night, drew a 0.9
I love
rating.
setting them up like that, don't you?
Teases. So that's the second week on Thursdays. They drew a 0.9 rating.
Less people watched because they were all busy smoking that ganja.
Oh, what?
420.
Oh,
April
right.
20th.
I was like, is there something about 11 p.m. that I don't know about?
Now they were all busy smoking up with babes, so they couldn't watch the TNA Impact.
Yeah, the Ultimate Fighter did a 1.9, so they did lose over half of the Ultimate Fighter's audience, which is not great, but listen.
I mean, yeah, that's a show that you blaze up to, am I right?
There were actually people in TNA relieved to hear the rating dropped in
I thought
week
you were
2
going to say that's something else completely then.
What?
There are actually people in TNA blazing up.
There were actually people in TNA relieved to hear the rating dropped in week 2 on Thursday night. The feeling is TNA cannot succeed in the long run with the current booking team, and strong ratings only delay that inevitable realization.
Wow, that is an insane... Wow. Our good ratings only prove that our bad booking team can hang in there?
Yeah, the fact that our show is worth watching means that no one will realize how badly booked it is.
That's... Oh, it works for WWE.
That's your... Listen, you're not wrong. Get their asses. When the rating sank well below 1.0 a couple months back, Dixie Carter was said to be close to making some creative team changes, but when the ratings rebounded, changes were put on hold. The booking team is obvious in their ineptitude, says one wrestler. They're genuinely shocked when bad reviews come in for their work. They're too close to really see how bad they are.
Wow, I wonder who's saying this.
I don't think this is a perfectly booked wrestling company right now.
No.
But it's pretty good.
I haven't wanted to bludgeon my head recently while watching.
I actually, especially the last couple months have been, better than they were even, in December, January. And there's, it's not just wrestling leaks. There's whole editorials about how bad the creative is right now. And I'm like, what show are you guys watching? What is going on?
Especially, comparably to the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm just it's, as I said, it's not perfect. It's not, the best wrestling product you'll ever see in your life. But the pay-per-views are pretty good, and the TV is, relatively exciting at the moment. So, what's wrong with you people? Why are you creating the fucking runway for Vince Russo?
Because it's not sports entertaining enough.
Dave goes off in The Observer a bunch about how TNA is sitting in the middle of it being a product for hardcore audiences and a product for sports entertainment people, which he's probably not wrong about.
I was gonna say that's not incorrect to say that this is a show that is trying to serve two different audiences.
And ultimately not serving either of them and not having your own identity, which I don't think he's entirely wrong about, but I also wouldn't really say it's currently a problem.
No, I'd say right now, as a show that is getting exposed to the most amount of people for the first time, that presenting it with two distinct sort of ideas isn't an inherently negative idea, because you can sort of gauge how the audience responds to both types of product and then see how you want to develop it moving forward. Because, I think you need to have an element of familiarity with, the main thing, but also have your own distinct features that make you feel wholly unique. So this idea of serving both audiences isn't inherently negative. It's at this time, but there will be a point where you'll have to pick a lane.
And I also don't think, it's especially bad when you do bad versions of sports entertainment, say, brochachos, for example. But, the sports entertainment stuff on these shows, is the Alex Shelley paparazzi cam stuff, which is really good.
I would argue that that's not even WWE style sports entertainment.
Yeah, it is your own kind of brand, your own different thing you're doing, your own different approach to that kind of sports entertainment product.
Even if you are sort of taking an element of it, you are still making it wholly unique. And maybe that comes from like having less budget and having to be creative and interesting in how you present these sort of things. Because like WWE would never do like a handheld camera commentating from the guy filming it sort of perspective thing, right? Like that would just be shot with real cameras as they barge into someone's house and a lighting crew, and like there is a level of like that boots on the ground style of creativity there.
Yeah, it's the classic when WWE did that Randy Orton home invasion there, when someone was thrown through a window, there was, for no reason whatsoever, a camera on the other side of the window.
Yeah. So it's like they're doing similar things, but in a more interesting way, probably not because that's like a conscious choice, but because they're dealing with the things that they have to work with. Which I think in most sort of art that breeds better art. Like when you have to go the extra mile to make something look good because you don't just have everything at the snap of your fingertips.
Yeah, traditionally limitations have bred creativity as opposed to actually handcuff people. You have to find new and unique and frankly cheaper ways of doing things as opposed to having endless resources to do whatever you want and then everything that looks like hyper polished and boring.
Yeah. Because I think that's the problem with like WWE now is like they may have good ideas for things, but like everything is so fake and inauthentic that it like comes across so badly. It's like, well, it's like the Rock thing, right? Where he like beat up Cody like backstage and then like he released that footage with the 17 fucking cinematographers shooting it and the 3 sound crews and all the lighting and like the PAs on the side, and you're like, well, there's a reason none of this stuff feels real or genuine.
You can see the sheen at all times with WWE. Like, you can see that world-class production sheen, and it does just make it feel fake.
But that's the whole show in general.
The thing that really baffles me about everyone going off about the booking at this point is, like, 1 year ago, this company was literally on the verge of going under. Like, they were in the death of the FSN era. They weren't doing TV numbers. They were paying to be on television. Their pay-per-view numbers weren't great. Like, they were literally on the verge of it all being over in the summer of 2005. And as we reached the summer of 2006, it couldn't be more the opposite. Like, they're on Spike TV. They have national television. The pay-per-view numbers aren't through the roof, which is maybe the biggest disappointment. But no one seems to care about the pay-per-view numbers. It's all about the TV ratings.
But that's the thing, we never hear anything about pay-per-view numbers. Like, is it not salacious enough?
Because it's usually they're doing around like 30 to 40K, which is what they did toward the start of the FSN run, not the end of it. But the first few pay-per-views did around that. But there's also excitement around the first few pay-per-views because they're the first few pay-per-views. So, they have a natural bump. So, like, they're not, like, interestingly enough to cover because it is like, oh, it did 35K this month. It did 40K this month. Like, the broadest thing you should know is that they're not up proportionate to the way viewers are up. So they're not converting viewers into pay-per-view customers as much as you would hope with the larger television audience. But, like, they're still up from FSN,
Yeah. It's clear that, like, TV has always been, like, the bastion of wrestling discussion, more so. Because I guess they could go back to, like, the Monday Night War stuff, sort of putting that in the forefront of people's minds.
Yeah, but, like, this company was on the deathbed a year ago. And a year later, it's doing really well. And for some reason, there is now this endless hand-wringing about, like, the state of the company, the state of the booking, and what can they do to move forward, and what can they do to grow. And, like, for all, like, AEW's legitimate flaws, which there are a few, you get the same thing with AEW. It's like, what should they change philosophically about who they are to start growing AEW? It's like, nothing. They should be who they are.
Yeah, they should stick to their core and be authentically them.
Instead of chasing some imaginary dragon here to try and get some, like a 0.1 bump in the rating for a week. Because, like, you're talking about the difference between a 1.0 and a 0.8. Like, that's the thing we're like, really focusing in on here.
Well, it's that famous GIF, right?
The 1
like,
point, yes, yeah.
The 1.1, the one, with like all the crazy shit that they would chase after every week.
And yeah, like, you were obsessing over, like, what is a relatively small difference in a TV rating that the network are apparently pretty pleased with, which is all that matters. But, like, it's really weird, because as I said, it's not just, we'll have a couple more quotes from wrestlers before we get to the end of the news, but it's not just the wrestlers. There is, like, long paragraphs in The Observer about this. There's a full editorial in the PW Torch about this. Like, there is a lot of, like, TNA needs a creative change right now. And I don't get it. I don't understand it.
And And we know because we've been through creative runs in this company where we have been vehemently calling out for a creative change. And this just doesn't feel like one of those times where it feels like that, you know?
It feels pretty good. This is like, if I were running this company, I'd be like, pretty good trajectory right now. Let's keep the ship steady. That's where I'd be.
Yeah. Like things, like maybe they were expecting a bigger sort of blow up, like unfoundedly so. Like maybe they just expected overnight to be like a firm number 2.
But like you're airing at 11 p.m. on a Saturday, and you're getting 800,000 people watching. You should be fucking delighted. You should be like, hell yeah! Look how good we're doing. Yeah,
I don't know. It's an odd one of like it could just be hubris.
Yeah, or it could just be like I've no doubt Russo's in Dixie's ear at this point. I have no doubt about it.
I could be doing more.
Yeah.
I could be doing better.
These guys don't know what they're talking about. This guy, I could actually fix this. We could take it to the next level. They don't know how to do TV. I know how to do TV. I did it in the 90s when everyone watched TV. I'm sure he's in her ear at that point with that spiel.
Garrett, he doesn't want to be a part of wrestling anymore.
No, he's done. He hates it and he's retired forever.
Yeah.
But the idea that like the road is being laid by the media for that to happen is really disappointing to me.
I don't get it. I would love to like go back in time and be like, what angle are you coming at this from?
Yeah, what do you want this to be now?
Yeah, why do you agree with this sentiment?
Because these shows are pretty good.
They're better. They're a lot better than they have been. Like, I don't know, this is up there with any of the other months we've ever watched of TV.
That's actually, like, fun and energetic and has a pretty good pay-per-view.
And an identity.
I really don't. I was reading these and I was just kind of baffled. I was like, oh, you did this. You know, it wasn't just like Dixie being crazy and wanting big ratings. It's like there was, as I said, it's all over the wrestling media this month with a bunch of hand-wringing about the state of TNA. And it's like, you did this. It was you that helped bring back Russo. Because if you were like, this is going great, Dixie would be like, look how great this is going. But like Dixie then turns to Dave and turns to Wade and turns to the wrestling media, and all of a sudden they're affirming all of the things Russo is saying in her ear. That's how Russo gets back in. So fuck you. Fuck you, Dave Meltzer. Fuck you, wrestling media.
Yes,
fuck you,
finally.
Jason Powell, and your stupid editorials. Get the fuck out of here. It's your fault Vince Russo came back. And when you turn around at the end of the year being like, why did they bring back Russo? It was your fault. Fuck you.
Shout outs 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff, our favorite podcast.
They don't at all have hacks on their show.
For getting into the anti-Dave Meltzer crowd now.
It's an easy grift.
The thing is with like Dave, like I think he's just like inherently a pessimist about other pro wrestling companies that don't have the WWE machine. Because like no matter what AEW does, he always comes in with like the same sort of like they're dying in some manner.
Because it is the thing, it's like comparative scale between WWE and AEW and WWE and TNA here, night and day. Like WWE is a 10 times bigger company that is doing much bigger international business. They're doing much bigger domestic business. They're a huge entertainment juggernaut. And TNA here are a modest wrestling company, and AEW are a size bigger than modest, but still nowhere near where WWE is. Well, you know,
and the difference between the two obviously is one is owned by a single man who can fund it for the rest of his life and doesn't really have to worry about anything. As long as he wants to keep doing it, he can keep doing it.
Which was true of TNA as well, which is like, as long as Bob Carter's happy, we're happy.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Bob Carter isn't booking, running it, doing every minute detail of the company, you know what I mean? It's like...
Maybe he should have.
Maybe he would have. I mean, who's going to complain about the booking then?
Yeah, he's paying the checks. No one's gonna. Well, actually, no. Based on
AEW,
yeah,
they will.
People will still vote. Yeah, people will still
go to Dave, and then they'll tweet about Dave being wrong.
Yeah,
or they'll live journal about it, I guess.
What is TNA President Dixie Carter's reaction to the booking? It says, one wrestler, she seems really smart. She also seems really insulated from any other points of view. I know she used to welcome opinions from wrestlers, but now it seems she's decided to blindly side with Jarrett and see where it takes the company. She won't listen to anyone else anymore.
You know what? Obviously, hindsight 2020, we know that that's wrong, right? But put yourself in the position of a Dixie Carter at this point.
Yeah.
Who was the person who has wined and dined you the entire time?
Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, and it's like, can you blame her for being like, well, this guy seems that he knows what he's talking about?
It's going okay at the moment, so no.
And it's like, should she learn that, like, later on, like, over years? Sure. But, like, I don't know, someone's still very new to it, like, I can't really put much blame on Dixie yet. There will be a time when we can blame Dixie for a lot of things. But, like, as for right now, like, she's still in the learning stage.
And again, to go back, right this moment, should she be having these realizations? No! She shouldn't! It's fine!
Because it's doing well, despite everyone else saying otherwise.
TNA is moving its taping schedule from every other Tuesday night to every other Monday night. TNA will continue taping 2 episodes of Impact per taping, with 1 taping occurring the night after each monthly pay-per-view. The new schedule allows wrestlers, crew, and management to stay in Orlando for 2 nights instead of 3 nights when they would previously have stayed in Orlando for a blank date on a Monday before the Tuesday taping.
I wonder what they would do on that Monday.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, why were you doing it that way? That's really dumb.
Because, like, I guess they're not taking bookings in the area unless, like, FIP?
Maybe it was like like legitimately a rare instance of a company being like, let's give them a day off between the pay-per-view and the taping, just so, like, after they killed themselves, they don't have to come straight out and do 2 impacts. Because
let's be real, these aren't, like, easy pay-per-views on these people's bodies for the most part. They go crazy.
Yeah, they are working very hard for the most part. So but then also they have 4-minute matches on TV, so...
But they do 7 of them.
That's also true. Conan missed the 410 tapings. Conan blamed himself completely for the no-show, saying he thought the tapings were the day after, since they had always been on Tuesdays.
Do you think that was genuine? Or do you think he's like I can get away with this. Like I can get my Monday off and be like, oh shit, I thought it was today. I thought it was tomorrow. Shit, sorry guys.
It is the one where he's like, fuck yeah, I have a bit of plausible deniability here. I don't have to go to work.
I've done that exact same thing legitimately.
Oh, please tell me.
I've had a shift on a like Monday and slept through it completely. And then been like, I thought it was tomorrow.
Oh, but you didn't have the excuse of the shift being moved?
Well, it's shift work. It moves every week.
Yeah.
So I was like, legitimately, I had that exact experience at my last job, or my job before that, where I slept through my whole morning shift and then rang them and I was like, I truly thought it was tomorrow.
So you're saying anybody that does a shift work job, they can do this every week because it moves.
Well, every week you'll get fired, but you know, like if you really need a day off, like you really need it, and if you're casual and you don't have sick days, just, I thought it was tomorrow, I'm so sorry.
That meant no new angles for his arm wrestling in a cage deal with Bob Armstrong for Lockdown.
Bullshit.
Plus, he missed his role as Spanish announcer for a couple of weeks as well.
I wonder if they replaced him or if they just had the other guy call it.
I'd say they probably just had the other guy call it. But yeah, that's the reason there was no like build for the last couple of weeks of the arm wrestling match. Oh, so that's why they added the stip on the pay-per-view as well. I assume that stip would have been added on TV, but Conan missed TV. So that's the reason they added it at the last second of the pay-per-view.
They added it in the promo, yeah.
The company's first ever house show, and this came with no television hype on the national show, just promotion from the ICP in the Detroit market, drew 3,700 fans with 3,410 paid on March 17.
Film that! What are you doing?
That's a fucking great number.
Just film it!
That is, as we stand, the most attended show in the history of this company.
They said that in the, like, hype package?
Yeah, they did show it on TV.
Like, film that! Make it a pay-per-view! Like, sure, you're not going to sell everything, but it's going to look good.
Yeah, why? It is the thing. It's like, I get that taking this production on the road costs money, and they don't want to spend money. But if you put this show in front of 3,000 fans instead of 900, it would be night and day.
Yeah.
The whole thing, the hand-wringing, I think they're identifying is TNA feels small. I think that's what everyone is kind of hitting on at this point. It's just like you watch TNA in the soundstage compared to WWE in an arena, and TNA looks like the secondary product, no matter what they do. But you put this thing in front of nearly 4,000 fans, different story.
I mean, that's really what they should be doing for pay-per-views at this point.
Yeah.
Just doing pay-per-views on the road.
Especially something like Sting's debut. Like, that is an attraction that will draw a paying audience. You know, you would have gotten probably like 4,000 or 5,000 fans minimum for Sting's return to wrestling. And you just stuck it in Orlando in front of 900.
Yeah. I don't know, it just makes... At this point, you could be doing your TV taped, and then... I guess, like, the that could be a thing of the schedule that we've been talking about. It's like, it's really easy to get them all in on the one day for the pay-per-view and then film it the next week. I think it'd be really good for perception.
Yeah, because like it's all costs. Like, because even if you did the pay-per-view in, say, I don't know, wherever, in Detroit, and then you have to fly everybody down to Orlando to do TV, that's another cost. Or you'd have to do a second night in Detroit where you would do it in either a smaller venue and draw a worse crowd. So you have to think about that kind of stuff. So I think it's just hard. I think they couldn't be arsed. It's just easier just to do it all in Orlando, and cheaper just to do it all in Orlando, which is what it ultimately comes down to.
Yeah. Well, that's what like TNA does now, right? Is they do the big show, they tape the next day in the same building.
Which can be tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Both from having the same crowd and obviously trying to draw on 2 nights. That's a difficulty.
Yeah, no. It's an interesting, it's not a bad dilemma to have, I guess. To say like, oh no, we're drawing 3,000 somewhere else.
But that's a really good crowd.
Yeah. That's a Dynamite would just be fucking popping off party poppers for that.
Reports are strong as several matches are said to have been pay-per-view quality, particularly the Styles Joe match. The show was a success as they were hoping to get 3,000 from the start, and it appeared more came to see TNA than came to see the ICP. So they were TNA fans, not just the ICP people showing up.
That is the Insane Clown Posse, for those who do not know.
Full results: Shark Boy beat Simon Diamond.
See, we need to find this show.
Chris Sabin beat Alex Shelley. Our close friends, the ICP, beat Team Canada.
Why are they our close friends?
You admitted to loving the ICP when they were here in 2003, so don't you back down.
I don't think they're our close friends.
You were like, I'm a juggalo.
I also think that Violent Joe is super cancelled now.
God damn it. Bobby Roode beat Jerry Lynn. Sabu beat Abyss in a street fight. Rhino beat A1. And Joe beat Styles in a match that was announced for Impact, apparently, but it didn't air. I guess some of it aired. I guess that's maybe what they said, that some of this will air on Impact. AMW beat the Naturals, and then Christian beat Jarrett.
Yeah. I mean, I want to watch that show.
A solid enough show, especially in front of nearly 4,000 people.
Yeah. Big crowds are a big bonus to watching wrestling shows, in my opinion.
It is in the CompuWare Arena in Plymouth, Michigan, which is ultimately where hosts Bound for Glory this year. So that's the long-term build there. They're like, oh, good number, good building, let's do Bound for Glory there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
TNA plans to strongly pursue holding several pay-per-views outside of Orlando, Florida later this year, realizing
well, shit, guys. I just had a whole thing about this. You couldn't have said it earlier?
Realizing a change of scenery would be good for the reputation of the company, the feel of the pay-per-view telecast itself, and bringing a live gate, something they don't get in Orlando. Nashville, Tennessee is not considered a top contender, since the feeling is they should concentrate on the East Coast, where population is so dense fans could travel from all over the region to sell out the show.
I mean, listen, I just talked about it.
Yeah, you have to wait until October, though. And even then, they only do 3 a year until 2008, when they start like branching out even more.
Yeah.
Chris Sabin suffered a severe concussion at the March 25th Northeast Wrestling Show in Bristol, Connecticut. He hit his head 4 times during the match, during his match on the show, and he collapsed in the locker room area after the match. Sabin spent over 3 hours in the emergency room the following day. He suffered from extreme dizziness, and he was still dizzy at the Impact taping in Orlando on March 28th. He should not have been on it.
That is a long time to still be dizzy.
3 days later, after a concussion, you should not be wrestling.
Go to the hospital.
Well, it's a different era. Like, we did not take head trauma seriously then. We just didn't. And now we do, thankfully, or at least we take it more seriously.
Really?
Maybe still not seriously enough.
Or we pretend to.
Yeah, we at least do the lip service of taking the head trauma seriously. But like one of those things where it's like he got this concussion, felt super dizzy on March 25th, and was in the Impact tapings in Orlando a few days later. You're like, oh. Sabin told TNAWrestling.com, "This was the most scared I've ever been, and definitely the worst wrestling injury I've suffered. I've had concussions before, but have never had so much dizziness. I really thought there was something serious wrong because I felt so dizzy." So that's scary.
Yeah, no, that's not good. I like how they're like, let's get this onto TNAWrestling.com.
Sabin got a concussion, let's talk to him. And he does not miss any dates. Yay!
Yay.
Jackie Gada, Jeff Jarrett, and Mike Tenay will be joined by Nick Bockwinkel on the April 12th edition of Quite Frankly with Stephen A. Smith. The show will take place in front of a live studio audience in Times Square in New York City.
Okay.
Stephen A. Smith is one of those guys you kind of think of in the social media age a lot more than pre-social media, but it is fun to see like, oh, he's just kicking around here with shows on ESPN in like 2006. I looked for footage of it and I couldn't find it. There is some footage of his shows from '06, but there's none of this one, I don't think. So, unfortunately, we can't watch it. But Mike Tenay, who's a member of the booking committee, gave the longest, most detailed public assessment of TNA's drug policy on that episode. "We handle things on a case-by-case basis," Tenay said. "That's what management has decided. If we see that a wrestler has a problem or that the talent comes to us, we will address it. We have in the past and we will in the future." Tenay said it's the best method to use because of the TNA schedule. He said WWE can have a policy because the wrestlers are on the road 4 weeks out of the month, whereas TNA only has 3 shows per month. Tenay said TNA wrestlers are independent contractors in the truest sense of the word, unless they try to work Ring of Honor, because they would work TNA shows and independent shows. Stephen A. asked if the lack of a drug policy could hurt TNA's image. "Each individual organization has to address it in their own way," Tenay said. "It's something that definitely needs to be addressed. You talked about the deaths of some of the wrestlers. It's just one of those things that's a very sad situation that's happened in the last few years because of that. Most importantly, the wrestlers really need to have the heart tests. The enlarged hearts have been a problem that so many wrestlers have had." So it is a little like corporate-y PR spin. It's like, oh yeah, we deal with it when it comes up, but we don't really care about it otherwise. But that's TNA at the moment. They're not an organization, really.
There's always going to be a thing where, like, the number 2 is going to be held to the same standards as the number 1. Even though it's like, there is 3% of the money here.
Yeah, and like they're not wrong that they're only there 3 days a month, but you also have them under contract and you have a responsibility to them as well.
And you stop them from working other places.
Yeah, and when you start pulling those kind of plays or actually booking them out, you have a fuller responsibility to them, and you should maybe fulfill that responsibility instead of like trying to pay lip service to it and be like, well, you know, when something happens, we do stuff, but other than that, who knows? Yeah. TNA and Aaron Sales and Lease Ownership announced they are joining NBA Motorsports and NASCAR driver Herbie Sadler to sponsor Sadler's entry in the Virginia 500 race on April 2. Aaron's is sponsoring the April 1st TNA UWF show in Martinsville, Virginia. There is a NASCAR feature on one of the
NASCAR.
A NASCAR, because it's in Virginia. Fuck.
Kevin Nash is there.
That would be the best if Kevin Nash was a NASCAR driver. He should do that. But there is a NASCAR feature on one of these episodes of Impact at one point. It is actually the first Thursday episode, April 13th, where they show some of that Hermie Sadler show. They have Michael and Daryl Waltrip there, Liam.
Of course.
Also, Scott Riggs, not to be mistaken with Scotty Riggs.
Oh, boo, I thought it was Scotty Riggs.
Kyle Petty.
Of the Petty Invitational.
Yeah.
The Kyle Petty Invitational, the famous 2000 Indies tournament.
Named for the NASCAR driver. And Jared hit Jeff Hammond with a guitar. Jeff Hammond, your old pal from the FSN era, is there.
Ah, my old pal.
You loved the 6 points of Impact. You were like, I love points. I make points all the time.
I do love points. That means something else. Garrett, did you know that points are a measurement of drugs?
I didn't, actually.
There you go.
I'm a very out-of-touch individual.
I don't know. It's not like a modern terminology.
I'm still out of touch. I'm not cool. I don't know the drugs words.
They aren't cool, Garrett, so you know.
And I'm not, so...
A point is 0.1 grams of base or ice, or a half gram of lower purity powder.
we're teaching the listeners drug lingo for their next drug deal?
Yeah, so if you're going to do meth, 3 point, 2 point.
The company has talked about using Bret Hart forever, and Scott D'Amore and Jerry Borash have always kept in contact with them, although Jeff Jarrett has largely joked about it, other than when he met Hart in England in January and also thought there was a chance, but it looks like it won't be happening. Hart did an interview in the Calgary Sun, and when asked about it, said, "I don't think so, only because I don't know what I could do. If someone asked me to be involved in storylines of the matches themselves, I'd consider that, but for me to be a sideline character, it would have a look of desperation to it." He said he doesn't begrudge Piper or Flair still wrestling, but he wants to be remembered as he was and doesn't want to be a manager, commissioner, or referee.
God, but it's Team Canada's right there.
And also, he comes back to have dreadful matches in 2010.
Yeah, but like you said, he doesn't want to be a manager, commissioner, or ref. Man wants to wrestle if he's going to come back, even if it's shite.
But he wants people to remember him as he was.
Yeah, but then he got a big bag of money.
Like, people say the Usos match is the worst match in WrestleMania history.
I haven't seen that, but I have seen Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon.
And Bret and Vince is definitely a worse match.
But is it funnier?
No. Because, like, Brett and Vince should be the easiest match of all time, but for some reason there's, like, no catharsis. But because they do the whole thing where Bret Hart's family, like, turn on him, and then they don't turn on him, and then they beat up Vince, and then it just kind of ends. Yeah.
Tell them that we reviewed WrestleMania on the Patreon.
We did do a watch-along of that WrestleMania on patreon.com/kiddingme or tnachat.com, so you can hear our extensive thoughts on that show as it happened over on Patreon. That's the only non-TNA show we've done a watch-along for.
Maybe we should do more. What would we do it on?
What's the famously bad wrestling show from the late 90s, 2000s? Heroes of Wrestling? Legends of Wrestling? One of those, yeah.
I think we should do Progress Chapter 37.
What's on that?
I don't know, let's find out. Chapter 37, A Sudden Sense of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to the review on voicesofwrestling.com.
See how many cancelled people are on this one.
Bubblegum defeats Chuck... I shouldn't say spoilers, we're going to watch the show.
Sorry.
Bubblegum versus Chuck Mambo. Kaylee Ray versus Kimberly.
It's a very different
James
era.
Drake versus Fabian Eichner.
This is a very different era.
Marty Scroll versus Cho Coffey versus Pete Dunne versus Trent Seven. Progress Championship #1 contenders match.
Okay.
The South Pacific Power Trip versus FCU and The Origin, Dave Mastiff and El Ligero. Rampage Brown versus Mikey Whiplash.
Okay.
Zach Gibson versus Mark Haskins.
That's a bad show.
Yeah, not a fantastic one.
Why was Progress popular?
Well, this is 2016. It was kind of dying out by that point.
Mm.
And the answer is because they found Will Ospreay before anyone else.
Well, Red Pro had him too, though.
Yeah.
But they also got popular, so maybe it is just Will.
Yeah, he was the ace.
Frankie Kazarian is looking to get back in. The deal is they don't want to bring him in and link him with Matt Bentley, who is his former tag team partner. While they were a good team, Bentley has heat with a lot of people because of his attitude, and they don't want Kazarian getting his residue.
What awful terminology to use.
Keep him away from toxic Bentley over there. You'll ruin his career.
A real maverick Matt.
I hope that's the reason they did rebrand the gimmick. It's just like, he's really annoying. Let's start calling him a maverick.
Has to be, right?
Terry Taylor, head of talent relations in TNA, had neck surgery to fuse his C5, C6, C7 vertebrae and will need surgery down the line to fuse his C4. Says one veteran, if Taylor's having all of this surgery and he wasn't known as a big bum taker compared to today's wrestlers, what does that say to the quality of someone's life like Sabu is going to have when he's Taylor's age, like 50? There's a follow-on. Larry Zbyszko's interviewed this month as well. When asked whether he watched the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony to see Vern Gagne inducted, Larry told the In Your Head show that he wouldn't donate 1 penny to WWE. Lost on Zbyszko was there for free. Zbyszko said he's also excited about the wrestlers in the X division, but he would be surprised to see the wrestlers make it past the age of 40 in the business.
AJ Styles age 46, just on WrestleMania.
So when you look at, let's focus in particularly on the X division wrestlers here right now in 2006.
Shall we read some names?
You have the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Still wrestling.
He is humongous. You have AEW World Champion, the Samoan Submission Machine Samoa Joe.
To my knowledge, still wrestling.
You have Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley.
Still wrestling, about to get the biggest deals of their careers.
You have Jay Lethal.
Very much, well, not really still wrestling, but has been wrestling.
Roderick Strong.
A champion in a major pro wrestling company.
Petey Williams.
Backstage guy.
But was wrestling to a perfectly good quality as of 3 years ago and is a choice to be backstage and not because he can't. Mm-hmm. Same with Sanjay, who did have a few more injuries, but still, I think, could probably have like a killer match on TV if he wanted to.
Now, Garrett, shall I list some other names for you?
Go for it.
Chris Harris.
Not going well for him.
No. James Storm.
He's doing stuff.
Yeah. In a
still
generous
exists.
sense of the term. Bobby Roode.
The man, his neck and back are gone.
It's all that X Division stuff he did. I don't know. The others are old, so it doesn't feel right to... I was just going to go for the youngsters.
But Abyss.
Also not still wrestling.
Yeah, broken down, battered and bruised.
All these former X Division champions are the ones that aren't wrestling anymore.
One of the names we just mentioned, trying to get back in. Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah. So, Terry Taylor.
Yeah, and Larry Z, both of them. Like, it is one of those things where you are like, these guys are going to kill themselves. They're working too fast, they're working too hard. And it turns out, Liam, it was all the drugs. Liam, it was all the drugs.
The schedule.
It turns out when you work 400 matches a year,
And do 700 lines.
Yeah, and take a bunch of drugs and then travel on the road. That's really bad for you. And you die in your 40s. And thankfully we don't do that anymore. And we haven't solved young wrestler deaths, but certainly we are a lot better than we were from the generation of Zbyszko and the generation of Terry Taylor. So, yeah, get fucked.
Those guys are wrestling better at that age too than anyone of those other generations who are wrestling at the same ages.
Yeah, Chris Sabin is still a marvel, and he has no knees.
Yeah. Samoa Joe having like the second or third best run of his career in 2024.
AJ is not great anymore, but he is humongous. So yeah, it's one of those things where people talk about how like this is a high risk style, and it is a higher impact style. You're not wrong, but the risk, like most wrestling injuries, occur through freak accidents. Like Darby Allin took every insane risk in the history of wrestling, and he broke his foot in the most mundane match in the world against Jay White. You know, for all of the bumps Darby Allin has taken, that's the match where he breaks his foot, because that's wrestling. It's a physical endeavor, and usually when you get hurt, it's a freak accident, not because you took too many risks. Ugh. This is a Garrett addresses his enemies episode, because this like I included this solely to go off on them. Terry Taylor has been something of a scapegoat over the Shannon Moore situation.
Jack Perry reference. Jack Perry reference on You've Got to Be Kidding Me. Jack Perry reference.
Contract and stalled in signing it until the WWE offer came, and the feeling was Taylor should have made sure he signed it. When Moore was asked why he left, being that so many wrestlers in WWE are unhappy, as those who have been in both places or are tight with people in both places say that the guys in TNA are happier overall, Moore said he got behind on bills and WWE pays better. So
that's fair enough.
Money.
Make your money, king.
Especially if you're a Shannon Moore, where, like, come on, you know?
What are you trying to say?
Like, his earning potential, he only has so many times he can get these deals. Fucking take them while you can get them.
Yeah.
It's not like a Cody Rhodes right now where you'd be like, that man can take a contract that's for substantial money with anybody for the rest of his life. Shannon Moore is like, they want me, they're willing to pay me again? Okay. It's the reason, like, when like people go back to WWE, people are like, oh, eat shit. It's like, take the money.
Yeah, well, like, I don't know, it's all about attitude, right?
Again, high horse.
If you spent the whole time whining and complaining about how you're being booked and then you re-sign on the dotted line, eat shit.
Yeah, high horse, Liam.
But also, I don't know, you gotta pay your bills. But then shut the fuck up. Like, I have no problem with any, like, WWE wrestler who's, like, quiet and just does their job and doesn't complain about it. But, like, it's when you constantly, like, whine. Which, to be fair, they have stopped doing as much.
Here's a fun story. Regarding the pay of BG James and Kip James, the story is actually even more complicated. These numbers are close, may not be exact. This is from the Wrestling Observer. BG was making about $1,000 per appearance in TNA. Kip was making exactly $2,500 for pay-per-view shows and $1,500 for TV spots.
Garrett, I'm so poor. I'm looking at these figures and I'm like salivating.
You'd love to be making Kip James money.
I'll take BG James money.
BG was mad that he kept getting turned down when asking for a raise, as they keep bringing up that they've lost $24 million and still aren't turning a profit.
I was told that they made a big profit last show.
BG argued that he and Kip were equal stars, and he's been in TNA practically from the start. Eventually what happened is TNA told BG that he could get a raise, but they'd be taking it from Kip's pay.
That's so fucked up.
And make them paid the same, and then BG could tell Kip what happened.
That's so fucked up.
BG threatened to quit over that. Then Kip was told that if BG quits, they have no spot for him, so he won't be making anything, as opposed to what he's making now.
Oh my... Jeff Jarrett is a cold motherfucker.
Kip agreed to take the pay cut, so both are now making in the neighborhood of $12.50 per TV and $17.50 per pay-per-view.
What a good friend. This dude just took like $1,000 pay cut for his mate.
Yep.
You know what? Kip James, you've gained a little respect in my heart. Not that you give a shit, but you have gained a little respect in my heart.
You will tolerate his AEW Trios title run for another 2 months?
That being said, I was going to say, like, I'm going to say something nice about BG James here, so please prepare yourself. Oh. Out of Kip James and BG James brings more to TV.
Yeah, Kip does, like, I almost respect how little Kip does.
He doesn't even talk!
Because it's not even that Kip is bad, he literally just does nothing.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything!
He's just there.
It's crazy.
getting paid freaking $1,500 per shot.
But yeah, fair play to the man for taking like that big of a pay cut for his friend.
That is like the coldest thing this company has ever done in its 4-year history.
I was gonna say up to this point.
Let's pit these two tag team partner friends against each other. It's like, you want what he's making, it has to come out of his pay. You want, and BG's like, no, that's mean, I'll quit. I don't want my friend to take a pay cut. Then they go to Kip. It's like, if he quits, you got nothing. It's like, what? That is the toughest negotiating this company has ever done.
It's pretty wild.
It's insane. TNA pay-per-views will be back on in Australia, starting with TNA Sacrifice on tape delay. TNA used to air 1 a month during the weekly pay-per-view phase on pay-per-view in Australia, and started doing 4,000 orders, which at the time was almost half of what it was doing in the US, but the number quickly fell and was removed at the end of 2003. The first show on tape will be used to gauge interest as to whether to do them live again.
Fair enough.
So will we be seeing the return of Ashley Hudson, Sex Australia champion?
God, no.
Will we be seeing Jeremy Borash start the shows under the bridge?
That would be awesome.
Like, good day, mate.
Could TNA... No, I was going to say something very silly.
What?
No, I don't want to.
Say it.
No, I will come across a fool on my podcast, and I would never have that.
That's ideal.
I'm not saying it. Fuck off. Alright, I was going to say, could TNA outdraw AEW in Australia in 2024?
No.
No is the answer. But... it's not because of the great number AEW would put up here, let me tell you.
You seem really pessimistic about how AEW would do in Australia.
I don't think they would do well.
I think they could do like 5K.
That would probably be my over-under.
Push. If you really push me, I think they'd do closer to 10, at least.
I don't think they would.
Because I know, according to you at least, according to your characterization, you are a very WWE pilled country.
Yeah, extremely. Including the people in the business, am I right?
Get their asses. But I do think that there is a little bit of, if you build it, they will come to their first one anyway, that like there would be interest in that.
I don't know, man. It would have to be a big card.
And they do have Bud, and they have Harley Cameron.
That means nothing.
And they have, do they have any other Australians? They have Kyle.
Again, none of this would matter.
They're going to have a bunch of hometown heroes.
Can I tell you right now about how many people didn't know who Rhea Ripley was?
This is her brutality?
Yeah.
Is Rhea Ripley a lot like Becky in that she is not actually famous in Australia?
I think she's probably more famous than Becky is. Just because, like, I've had people who don't know wrestling talk to me about the goth Australian wrestler chick. Like, she has broken through to, like, a younger demographic has heard or seen TikToks of her.
Yeah.
Like, she definitely has, like, in like people in their 20s, there are people who aren't wrestling fans who are tangentially aware of who Rhea Ripley is. You're
saying the Spike TV audience equivalent demographic has seen the video of that stink face.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't know. I do think that Rhea's probably like the biggest Australian star that's ever existed. Like on an international standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, I'll put it this way: if she decided to leave tomorrow and start a company in Australia, it would be like. It would probably work.
Because what the bar she has to beat is probably the Iconics, right?
But unless you want to, like, you know, go to the 80s stuff and, like, people who were stars here then.
But even those weren't international stars.
No, like if you want to do, like, a local versus international sort of thing.
Yeah.
Before her, probably like it was Buddy or the Iconics, right? Like, whichever you want to take or leave on that.
Or Tennille, I guess, but
like, Rhea is so far and above them now.
And she was pushed far and above them as well, so she should be. But
yeah, and also, like, she is a legitimate star. She is the most popular female wrestler in the world.
It would be nice if she had a good title run while doing that too.
So it's a true win for us. It's like our first real star. And like I said, if like she was like left tomorrow and was like, I'm going to start a promotion in Australia, I think she would be a big enough star to carry that to some level of success.
You'd be able to get like 2,000-3,000 people in there, maybe.
Yeah, I think she could probably get TV.
Oh,
like I think she's that notable that she could get TV. I think.
Which Becky could not. Though Becky will be on the Late Late Show, our biggest talk show, by the end of the month. So good for her.
And again, I am fundamentally aware that, like, the people who know Rhea Ripley are, like, the 45 down crew.
Yeah.
Like, it is not someone, like, that the older generation knows. Like, you saw her on any of those, like, morning shows, and, like, none of those people knew who the fuck she was. But like the fact that there's been multiple instances of like wrestling getting brought up at me being out with people that I'm meeting for the first time or something, and they're like, "Oh, I know this." Like I've literally had that conversation where like I've been out and wrestling has got brought up because that's what my friends want to talk about when they're with me. People that I have not met before or have talked about it, and they're like, "Oh, wrestling like that girl." Like, so she's made it to that level where like people just know about her, not by name but by stature,
Presence. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, which is an impressive level for someone to be here.
Yeah.
To make it through to the non-wrestling people. I imagine it's through like TikTok and stuff.
It is viral clips.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. That she is legitimately at that level.
One TNA source says a key to TNA improving its booking is to have a booker or committee of bookers where nobody is also on TV. The argument is that by the time Scott D'Amore gets done making sure his guys have TV time, Team Canada, Scott D'Amore, Alex Shelley, and Jeff Jarrett has his time, and Mike Tenay gets his quote-unquote internet darlings on the air, there's little time left to explore the rest of the potential of the roster.
Who else is there?
Let me tell you about BG James, Liam.
Who is on the show?
Barely.
All the time.
He does get like 4 minutes every 3 episodes.
He wants more than that?
Which, yes, is the correct amount of BG James.
What is he gonna do?
Some would say still too much BG James, and if his dad wasn't there, it would still be an insufferable amount of BG James, but his dad is cool.
His dad is cool.
Yeah, that's my, again, every time there's one of these notes, it's always like, they're giving too much time to AJ Styles and AMW. It's like, fuck off. And you can tell, it is definitely like the BGs of the world, the Conans of the world, who are like, I'm not getting enough time.
But they're on TV.
Several members of management have lobbied for the TNA name to change as the company tries to promote a more family-friendly product. However, there are currently no plans to change the name while other issues receive priority. According to PW Torch, TNA was fortunate to dodge the obvious question about the company's name during the Stephen A. Smith show 2 weeks ago. This company just fucking doesn't know what it has.
I feel like that's like an infinite... You know, say what you want about AEW, but they know what they have.
It's like, even now, they're like, booking bad, bring back Russo, name bad, get rid of TNA. They don't have any, like, even surface level understanding of what the hell this thing is and why people might care about it.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. I think that's, like, I didn't expect things to make me, like, the booking stuff doesn't really make me mad. Like, the stories, it's like, oh, you screwed Monty, that sucks, but, like, I'm not mad about it. But, like, reading this stuff, like, them, like, actively undermining their own success because they're fucking stupid and insecure about who they are relative to WWE, this is the stuff that is driving me crazy on this show. I'm like, fuck you, you stupid idiots. Why were you, like, shooting yourselves in the foot at all times? Because you're just stupid and you're insecure.
I think you've nailed it.
That's the news.
Alright, Garrett, we're back. And guess what we're back with?
What?
We're back with a game.
Oh, that's fun.
Are you ready to take this challenge?
No.
Your career is on the line here.
My podcasting career?
Yes.
Oh, it's very lucrative. I can't lose that.
Because, Garrett, you're about to take the Name 100 Women Challenge.
What? Excuse me?
You must name 100 women.
Yeah?
The rules are they have to be Googleable, in that
Okay.
they have to have some level of fame or notoriety.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to use any of their stage names, right?
Yeah.
Spelling does not matter, but it's also an audio podcast, so it will not matter for that reason. I will be writing them down as you go. You'll be stopwatched, and they must be real women.
I can't make up the women, is what you're saying.
No, they cannot be fictional women.
They have to be 100% true best women.
Yes. I will give you 5 seconds to ponder your life, and then I will click the stopwatch and you will begin. Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Bullet Club Babe.
Okay. Not a great start.
I don't know where to go because you're like Anne Hathaway.
There you go. She is a woman.
Mother Teresa.
Yep.
Mary Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
She's a former president of Ireland. Mary McAleese, also former president of Ireland. Sonia O'Sullivan. I'm going to name Irish women exclusively now.
Mm-hmm.
Katie Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Gail Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey James.
You are on 10.
I'm on 10 women. Fuck. Trish Stratus.
Yep.
Lita.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria. Or Tara, if you prefer. The Fabulous Moolah.
Mm-hmm.
Angela Merkel.
All right.
Amelia Earhart.
Mm-hmm.
Akiyo Hamada.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now just trying to bounce between women in the most extreme way imaginable. Jordan Grace.
Mm-hmm.
Trinity. Or Naomi, if you're a sicko. Jade Cargill.
Mm-hmm.
Meryl Streep.
What a line.
Emma Stone. Oh god, I'm out of women. where do I go from? Let's go back to that match from WrestleMania.
You're on 22.
Bianca Belair. Who did they wrestle? Damage Control. So it's Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
It's who's in Damage Control? Kairi Sane.
Mm-hmm.
Dakota Kai.
Mm-hmm.
Annette Bening. Who else was on WrestleMania? Rhea Ripley. What was the other women's match? Bailey. Io Sky.
Don't worry, Garrett. Only 70 more to go.
Are we really gonna go all the way through 100?
Come
women?
on, gun it off!
All right. Let's
Or
just
forever
go.
be known as a sexist.
Women's wrestlers. Deonna Purrazzo.
Mm-hmm.
Madison Rayne.
Don't wait for me to type. You can keep rattling them.
Velvet Sky. Angelina Love. Awesome Kong. Rosemary. ODB.
Wait, the timer stops. Okay, keep going. Yeah.
Taylor Wilde. Chelsea Green.
I have Rosemary and then ODB. Was there anyone in between?
Taylor Wilde.
Rosemary, ODB, Taylor Wilde, Chelsea Green.
Yeah. Mia Yim.
Mm-hmm.
Allie.
Alley Cat.
Alley Catch. Sure, you can have Alley Catch. Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand. I haven't done many musicians. That's actually an untapped well of women that I could know.
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce. Madonna. Lady Gaga. Taylor Swift. Miley Cyrus. Kate Bush.
You are 50% of the way through.
I'm really running up this hill of women, am I right?
It's a great time so far. You're on world record pace. 5 minutes in.
Sure. Did I say Dolly Parton?
You did not.
Dolly Parton. Amy Winehouse. Adele. Kelly Clarkson. Julie Andrews. Julia.
See, now you've realised the strat. The strat is to just go same names.
Yeah. You have Japanese professional wrestlers. Julia Hart. Tina Turner. Mariah Carey.
Mm-hmm.
Mariah May.
Yeah.
Celine Dion.
Mm-hmm.
Whitney Houston. I think I have to head back to actors or rest. Like it would be easier if I just continued naming wrestlers, wouldn't it? Like Britt Baker.
It is a benefit that we have as pro wrestling viewers.
Yes,
as a deep knowledge of female performers.
It does add women to our repertoire. Mm-hmm. Saraya.
Sorry, I was like, who the fuck? It's Saraya.
Same name. Tony Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is in that division? Red Velvet. Sky Blue. Let's take a break from wrestlers. Do I know actors? I could do more actors. Olivia Colman.
One of the goats.
Kate Blanchett.
One of the goats.
Brie Larson.
Not one of the goats.
Wow. Zoe Saldana. Scarlett Johansson. How many other women are in Marvel movies? Have I already run out? I said Meryl Streep, didn't I?
You did.
Natalie Portman, she's in Marvel movies. Helen Mirren. Nicole Kidman. Oh, back to Marvel movies. Gwyneth Paltrow. All right. How many do I have now?
You got 23 left.
I got 23 left. Let's try and round it out with wrestling women. I haven't done many. No, I did WWE. I ran down the WrestleMania card. That Ivory, China, Stephanie McMahon.
She did a whole revolution.
She started everything. It's all from her.
Come on, 20 more.
Charlotte Flair. Miyu Iwatani. She's not a WWE woman. Why is she there?
Not yet.
Why is she in my brain? Anna Jay. I can do Ring of Honor. So there's Athena. There's Billy Stark. Queen Aminata. Hikaru Shida. There's Rio. There's Diamante. There's Emi Sakura, Queen of Wembley. Oh, speaking of Queen of this year's Wembley, hopefully, Jamie Hayter. Our Fire and Flavor faves, Tasha Steeles. And Kiera Hogan. What other women are there, Liam? Mercedes Moné!
I was waiting for that one.
Willow Nightingale!
There you go. So close, come on. 5 more women. 5 more women.
Who else you got? Let's go. Let's try for like actual famous women. So
Okay.
Rosa Parks. Queen Liz. Dead now, but she still existed.
That is, yeah. Being dead or alive is not a containing factor here.
How many do I have left?
3.
Oprah. Marilyn Monroe. And you know what? A lovely one to end on. Princess Di.
Wow. What a run.
That is 100 women.
10 minutes, 57 seconds.
I believe that statistically proves me not to be sexist.
That's a good run. That's a good time. And the people I've seen do this, a sub 11-minute run is good.
I love the idea that everyone you ask them to name 100 women.
I gotta go to speedrun.com and see where you rank.
Yeah, with the 100 women list. It's a very competitive category. Actually, no, gamers. It's actually a very abandoned category.
It's not even on speedrun.com, but it's the best run I've seen. And I've seen 3.
Well, if it's not on speedrun.com, that means it is the world record. That's the first one that's been timed.
So, it's not the first one that's been timed, but yeah.
How many other name 100 women's have you timed?
I haven't personally, no, but I've seen them.
From who?
It's a streaming thing now.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Really?
Because the joke being, men are sexist.
They cannot come up with 100 women?
Yes. So a prominent female streamer just started the Name 100 Women challenge.
Well, I didn't even know that. I thought you were just doing an elaborate bit.
Well, I'm still doing an elaborate bit.
That's true.
Let it be known. So congratulations, Garrett, on proving yourself to not be a sexist.
Wrestlers really made that easier.
Yes. That was my thought when I saw them do this. I was like, I could crush this because of wrestlers.
Yeah. I like the way we couldn't name 100 women otherwise. It's like, but our specific niche has women in it, thankfully.
Yes, thankfully. So if you have any more challenges you want me to throw on Garrett mid-podcast, send them my way. At the Gleek Muda.
We'll start the broad topics with the Lethal Lockdown, which is the return of Lockdown, by the way. In case you don't know, Lockdown is TNA's all-steel cage match pay-per-view. I guess we shouldn't take that for granted. Every match takes place inside the 6 sides of steel. It's the second year they have done it. The first Impact of the month, March 18th, 2006, opens with Planet Jarrett. Jarrett comes out first. He starts claiming he's run Sting out of TNA again.
It's a good bit for him to just be like, I have got him again!
He's gone for good!
Wile E. Coyote running into the wall.
Jarrett now, his fit is generally like denim shirt or denim jacket. He seems to vary. And khaki pants and a t-shirt. It's a cursed fit. It's a bad era.
but it's perfect.
He thankfully doesn't say much before Scott Steiner comes out. This is Steiner's first TNA interview. He does get a big reaction. Mike Tenay says, "It's a payday, that's what it is. You know it and I know it." It's like, yeah, it is, Mike, you're not wrong. As Steiner does his entrance. I set the clock to it. Steiner calls somebody fat within 39 seconds.
That's an even better speedrunning time than yours.
That's true. How many women do you
Could
think
Scott Steiner wear could Scott Steiner name 100 women?
I'm not sure.
To be fair, could Scott Steiner name 100 people?
He has all his freaks, though, so surely he knows all the names.
Freak
of his
1,
freaks,
Freak
right?
2, Freak 3, Freak 4.
He just says all my
How
freaks
many
out
freaks
there,
are
and
at
that
your
counts
door?
100. Yeah. He says how he watched 3D come in, he watched Rhino come in, he watched Christian come in, but they never called Scott Steiner, and he's mad. 3D, he did immediately call them fat backyarders. He called them fat roly-polies, in fact.
That's awesome.
Steiner says if he was as fat as Team 3D, he'd stay in the backyard. He says the vein in his arm is as big as Christian's arm. His arm is as big as Christian's leg. The crowd chant, "We want Christian." Steiner's like, he's afraid. While Steiner is going off on Sting, the crowd start chanting, "We want Borden."
Hell yeah, Steve.
They want Steve to show up again.
Do you think there was a moment there where they're like, oh, it's just going to be Steve Borden in TNA?
I hope there was like a talking point that like, oh, they lost the copyright to WWE or something.
That'd be so funny.
It was a forum conspiracy that the reason they started calling him Steve Borden is because WWE owns Sting. If you have a problem with Jarrett, you have a problem with Steiner, and then he demands the white trash and rednecks in the crowd sit down as Dinesh rolls to the back. A solid opening salvo from Big Papa Pump.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much everything you want from a Scott Steiner debut promo.
He is unhinged. He is a little bit crazy. He's shouting at the crowd, which I always appreciate. And he's having himself a good time.
It feels like a real deal Scott Steiner.
The next week, Sting talks about everything Jarrett has done. There's a sit-down interview with Sting. How he messed with his family, how he stalked him, how he made it personal. So he came back to Destination X to get revenge. But Sting is like, you know what? You one-upped me. You had something on me. Fair play to you. You got Jeff Jarrett. But there's a way we used to solve this back in my day, when we used to have issues, when we used to have problems. It's a little thing called war games. War games.
Yeah, but we can't use that.
He does say war games, and then it's like 6 sides of steel. 1 ring, not 2. 1 ring. He is very, very specific to stress multiple times. 1 ring. But then he's like starts making his own alterations, a ceiling on the top with weapons hanging. So it's a little different because last year they did do a lethal lockdown that had weapons, but they were just attached to the cage wall.
I like him on the roof.
Yeah, the ceiling coming down is like a cool dramatic moment in the match, and then you have weapons hanging from the roof. And it also makes the weapons like a part of the last stretch of the match as opposed to the whole match, which makes it feel more special.
Yeah, which means it has to be a real match.
Yeah, they have to actually wrestle rather than just hit each other with things, yeah. And then suggests that Steve Borden isn't coming to lockdown. Sting is coming to lockdown.
Hell, fuck yeah.
Jarrett and Steiner then come out immediately after that. Steiner starts picking on Don West, which is very rude.
He's very mean.
Mike Tenay is like, screw you guys, we have a match. Come on out, the Naturals. Naturals, come out, have your match. Jarrett and Steiner then attack the Naturals after the Naturals make their entrance. Steiner drops them with a suplex. Steiner press slams Andy Douglas out to the floor and shouts, "Shut up, West," as Don West says that's mean and cruel. And he's beating up Andy Douglas. Steiner lays Douglas head and arm against the post, hits it with a chair. He then hits him with a chair some more and locks him in the Steiner recliner on the floor as he screams Sting's name. Sting does not give a fuck about the Naturals. They go to break and they come back as Andy Douglas is stretched out, and they replay Douglas getting his ass kicked.
This is very Rinka King coded.
Yeah, he comes in as like this even like the week before when Steiner's doing his interview, Mike Tenay is very much being like, Steiner, live mic, fucking disaster. So like they're like, the moment Steiner comes in, they are like, this guy is unhinged, this guy cannot be stopped, this guy is out of control. And this is again another segment for that, for him to just kill some guys, shout at Don West, threaten Don West, seem like a menace and an actual threat.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like Stunner should feel kind of like Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, he literally just comes in and just starts causing chaos because he's Scott freaking Steiner. April 1st Impact, JB has Jarrett. JB asks Jarrett if he knows if Sting is here tonight because Sting is meant to be in the building. Jarrett is wearing a lime green t-shirt, multiple sizes too small. It is very, very tight for him. It's an unpleasant t-shirt. Go back to the denim fit. I'm sorry I ever questioned it. It was also GFW green colored, so that's a tease.
Oh my god. What a tease.
This
is cinema. This is storytelling.
Literally, I'm just going to take the screenshot of that t-shirt and put it next to the lime green GFW ropes and be like, long-term storytelling cinema.
Here is my thread.
And that tweet will get like 4,000 likes still. Jared announces his team for Lethal Lockdown. It will be himself, Scott Steiner, and America's Most Wanted. Which is... Lethal Lockdown, I think, generally becomes 5-on-5. Interesting that here it's 4-on-4. Which I think makes for a better paced match, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the pace... Because, like, it's less of just, like, there's actual no consequences portion of the match. Where you're just, like, waiting for the next sort of entrance.
Right after the segment is where they aired highlights of the house show in front of what they said was nearly 4,000 fans in Michigan, which is true, apparently, according to Dave. So they're not lying.
It was certainly nearly that.
JB later in the show is in the back with Planet Jarrett. They're going to go to the ring and call out Sting because they're like, fuck him, we're going to get there first. I like the way there's a segment, I think, earlier on this show, maybe on the show before, where they're like hyping Sting up tonight, and Mike Tenay and Don West are doing a bit where Mike Tenay is like, later tonight we have an X Division number contenders match, and Don West is like, and Sting, and then Mike Tenay is like, later tonight we have an NWA World Tag Team title match
and Sting,
and yeah, they do that like 4 times. Don is having himself a great time,
and then Tenay's like, yes, I heard Sting will be here too.
He does almost roll his eyes at it to the end. It's like, you constructed this bit, you can't give out to him.
That's good though.
We get a feature on Steiner leading into Sting proposing Lethal Lockdown, and they have a little diagram, a little design for Lethal Lockdown.
It's silly.
It's a little 3D render.
I can't believe Lethal Lockdown didn't make it into the TNA game.
I guess, like, it's probably a lot harder to program and design than the Ultimate X is.
Is it?
Because, like, Ultimate X, you just have to put the structure up and program the belt coming down, you know? Whereas Lethal Lockdown, you need to introduce a cage, you need to introduce the lowering of the door, you need to introduce the staggered entrances, which takes a lot more time and effort. It's definitely one that would have been in the sequel, I think, but obviously the sequel was never made. Because, like, TNA doesn't have that many signature matches. Like, they have Ultimate X, they have Monsters Ball, they have Lethal Lockdown.
Full Metal Mayhem.
But that didn't even make the game either.
Yeah, I fuck with Full Metal Mayhem, though.
The only stiffs you get in the game are Ultimate X and Falls Count Anywhere.
Yeah.
But Planet Jarrett come out to end the show. He wants to know what Sting's team is. Rhino and the James Gang appear in the crowd. They do a quick little promo. Truth appears in the crowd with the wonderful combination of Shark Boy Norman Smiley and Chase Stevens.
The babyface army.
That is the true Sting's Warriors.
You should have picked that team.
It would have been a better team. Norman Smiley, absolute ace. That's the reason Scott Steiner took Norman Smiley out. He knew how dangerous he was.
Yeah, exactly. He knew.
Leads the crowd chanting "What's up" for like at least a minute to the dissatisfaction of Jeff Jarrett. Styles appears on like the ramp, the corner of the ramp. There's like a little area there that he's standing on with Lethal, Sabin, and Sanjay Dutt, looking ridiculous as a combination of human beings.
I liked this segment of being like, you know, fuck this team. Everyone just hates them. Let's all just mess with them for a segment.
Yeah, and nearly all of these people actually do have problems with Planet Jarrett. Except the James Gang, I guess. They haven't really done anything with them. But, like, Rhino has had issues with Abyss and Planet Jarrett. Even Shark Boy Norman Smiley had, like, the 8-man tag against them a few weeks ago. And, you know, Sabin and Dutt had the problems with them, with AMW, trying to take them out after the tag title match a couple of months ago. So, like, all of these people have had, like, little interactions with Planet Jarrett so that they're not just guys thrown out there for no reason. Sting appears in the ring, clears house with a baseball bat. EY just looks at Sting and runs away. He's just like, nope.
I appreciate him just being like, this is too much for me. I'm out of here. My nightmares have come to truth.
He warned them. He told them he was coming back.
He was right.
He should be vindicated. They should let him go home.
Planet Eric.
He's the true leader.
Yeah, the most influential at this point.
What would an Eric Young Moon be called? This is now once again going to be the next 15 minutes of this show.
Moon names.
So you got Eric Young to work with. You got like Violent by Design or World Elite, or you got Showtime.
I was looking for Sanity in there too.
Sanity, there's something with Sanity. You got some decent stuff to work with Eric Young.
Yeah, right. You keep going. I'm going to look up Moon synonyms.
Planet Jarrett starts getting the better of Sting until literally everybody rushes the ring and there's like 700 people there as they're all running off Planet Jarrett. Main event of the next episode, April 8th, is Sting. We actually hear from him this time. There's no Planet Jarrett nonsense. Sting comes out to the Impact Zone with the TNA Sting theme.
Yeah, and it's a great theme. It's a really great theme.
There's an iteration of it. They make it even better. Like the second version of it is even better because it has like more song.
Yeah.
This one loops a little too fast, but it's still the TNA Sting theme, so it rocks. Sting comes out. He's like, I love wrestling. I love the fans. I love TNA. On Spike TV, no less. He was very frantic here in that he constantly was turning toward the crowd because obviously the way the Impact Zone more than most buildings is constructed is the crowd is on the opposite side of the hard camera, and Sting, like a natural man of the people, constantly like turns toward the crowd. He's like, but then he's not looking at the hard camera, so he needs some time in the WWE Performance Center.
Obviously. You can blow out a few ACLs.
Oh, he can't afford that. He's so old. It is one of those things. It's a stupid thing. Like the idea that you should find the hard camera. You should know where it is and work with it in mind. But like my philosophy in wrestling should always be the camera should find the wrestler shouldn't find the camera.
Yeah. Well, like, because it's a show that or a type of entertainment that's dependent on audience reaction.
Yeah.
So they should be playing to the audience, not to the people at home.
Yeah, because the people at home will get more engaged if the audience in the building are engaged. That is the priority. That's what will engage the people in the building or at home. It's like a hot crowd will make me feel better about a show a lot more than a dude looking down a camera.
Yeah.
Calls Jarrett bitter, and he needs to kill that bitterness and cut it out of TNA. Calls Lethal Lockdown the match beyond. Dramatic pause. Beyond.
Beyond the match, beyond.
That would have been better. The match beyond beyond is not as good as beyond the match beyond.
Yeah.
Says there's no place for Jarrett to run and hide. Sting won't announce his team until the Thursday debut next week, as some in the crowd then chant Goldberg.
They want it. It's crazy. The rumors are clearly out there.
And it does feel like they were waiting this long, hoping to get him. It really does.
Yeah.
Sting then challenges Jarrett for the Thursday debut. Jarrett comes out, surrounds the ring, but then the babyface army backs up Sting. The Thursday night debut, April 13th, 2006. The main event is not Sting versus Jeff Jarrett. JB has Sting earlier in the show. He's like, I issued Jarrett a challenge. Jarrett spent a lot of time in the bathroom tonight because he's shitting himself, Liam. And Sting says, we'll find out later tonight who is on his team. Then there's an interview with Planet Jarrett then right before the main event where he's talking about how he's going to teach Sting that he was right, and he said it was showtime because Eric Young is wrestling Sting, not me.
Which honestly, good match, because it's like Eric Young has been the impetus for this whole return.
How do you feel about them kind of bait and switching it though?
It's 2024.
You can't get mad at it?
I don't care. No, I can't get mad at it.
I do think you could have just announced Sting and EY.
Yeah, I don't know. Ratings ploy.
It is, like, that's what it is. They want to tease the idea that he'll be wrestling Jarrett and then pull the rug out so he'll be wrestling EY. But
I don't mind it. But maybe it's just because I don't care otherwise. If you asked me in 2006, maybe I would have.
So then, main event. As you said, perfect match. Showtime versus Showtime. Sting versus Eric Young.
What are your thoughts?
It was, like, Sting is super energetic. Like, he's working really hard. But it is ultimately like a 6-minute TV match.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's fun. I don't have any problems with it. I wasn't like expecting anything bigger or better, I guess.
And like Eric Young shouldn't be taking Sting to the limit. This is what it should be.
And it helps that like I don't have expectations for Impact matches.
We get the first full Sting TNA theme entrance for a match, which is nice. EY tries to throw some chops and punches, but Sting fires up and EY just freaks out.
Eric Young plays it so well. You have to give him credit for it. Like he really knows he knows his role.
He's found a character that really works for him, and as a dude who's not currently pushed, as a dude who's not currently even really featured, he's on the show a bit, but it is exclusively as a lower card jobber. He has found himself this niche and this character that makes him stand out without actually being pushed, so it's really good for him. Sting wipes out EY and Shelly with a slingshot crossbody, so he's doing some wacky flips. Well, flips is generous, but dives. It was this is the genesis. It's like this is the moment where he does this one slingshot crossbody is like diving.
It awoken something in his brain.
It feels good to throw yourself off of stuff.
That's not a message that this podcast endorses.
No, unless it's a bouncy castle. Do people throw themselves off bouncy castles? Not really.
I'll give it a go.
Sting fires Shelly into the rail and goes for the stinger splash, but onto EY on the floor. But EY moves, Sting hits the rail, and that's how EY gets the heat for a little while. EY does the lamest stinger shout of all time. He's like, "Arr!" It is the perfect kind of lame. Sting fires up, Stinger splash to EY and D'Amore, who like tries to interfere and put himself in harm's way, but Sting just kind of gets both of them with the Stinger splash. Sting wins, then Scorpion Death Drop. Straightforward match, nothing special, not going out there to have a 5-star classic. It is very much Sting plays some hits, EY gets some heat, Sting plays some hits, in and out.
And like, what more do you want?
Yeah, and what more? And it's like, listen, it's a 42-minute TV show. They actually had a substantial opener on this particular episode as well. It's the first time they've had a good match on television in a long time, so I will forgive them for not going balls out with Sting here. Shelley jumps Sting after the match, but Sting locks him in the deathlock. Jarrett runs out with a guitar. Sting blocks and breaks the guitar with a bat. AMW and Steiner run out, get the better of Sting. Styles, Rhino, and Ron Killings run out to make the save. As Sting looks around and confirms, looks like I got a team. So Sting's team for Lethal Lockdown will be AJ Styles, Ron Killings, and Rhino.
I like the implication there that Sting had a different team in mind. But these are the guys who saved him, so he's like, oh, fine.
It was a test, actually. Whoever came out to help him were the guys who would make the team.
Yeah.
With Sting announcing his Lethal Lockdown team, that ends the Goldberg speculation. The bottom line with Goldberg is that he considered strongly coming in with his motivation to stick it to Vince, but doesn't believe in lowering his value by coming in for anything but what he believes is fair money for his name value. The problem is, being out of wrestling, he doesn't realize the economics of the game have changed greatly since WCW in 1998.
He wants WCW money, then.
Yeah, he wants Bill Goldberg money, which, listen, you can't blame him. He is Bill Goldberg. But the pay disparity between what TNA was paying in 2006 versus what WCW was paying in 1998 is probably like a factor of 75 at least. Like, it cannot be stressed that the difference in payrolls is substantial between these two companies. So the money TNA has floating around potentially for Goldberg is a lot less than the money WCW had floating around for like Mikey Whipwreck. Never mind Bill Goldberg. A funny backstory of the Eric Young Sting stuff is Young was a gigantic fan of Sting growing up. He was really thrilled when Sting came in and Sting would talk with him, and even more with when Sting painted his face for the Dave Sahadi Fellini video that opened Destination X. So Sting did the face paint for EY, which is nice.
That's so cute.
And he was apparently getting very excited about the idea of wrestling him.
I mean, it's nice for like good people to get to do cool things in wrestling.
The Go Home show, as you said, they did seem to run out of steam a little bit. So AJ Styles, Rhino, and Ron Killings get a little squash over Diamonds in the Rough. Styles and Truth hit a really cool stereo flip dive, like perfectly in a stereo. Rhino hip tosses Diamond, and then there's an abrupt cut to the crowd, so something was edited out there. My favorite moment in this match, if you watch when AJ gets the tag to Rhino, I don't think he's supposed to. I think they're supposed to get the heat on AJ and then the hot tag to Killings. But Diamonds in the Rough did not actually control AJ properly. And AJ, like, does what he should do. If he's able to make the tag, he made the tag. Like, it's worse, I think, in that instance when somebody, like, deliberately hangs around so that they can wait to be cut off. It's like, if you weren't cut off on time, that's on the heels. Fuck ye, you know?
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, so he makes the tag to Rhino, who does like a couple moves before get cut off, and they get a quick heat on Rhino before then he makes the tag to Killings, and who does the actual comeback. But I found that really interesting. It's like AJ got loose and just made the tag because he could make the tag.
Yeah, which is I always prefer stuff like that than just like the awkward, I'm not supposed to do this part of the match yet.
And like these men, it's in the name, Liam, they're meant to be professional wrestlers. Like, if you can't adapt on the fly to start getting the heat on Rhino real quick, you shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
AJ dodges Skipper's spin kick and hits the Pele as Truth falls with the axe kick for the axe kick for the win. The axe kick is an MJF move.
And that he's kick his ass.
Main event of that episode is Jeff Jarrett and AMW versus Team 3D, and a man we will talk about more in a moment, Brother Runt.
Yes, Brother Runt is here.
This match is fine. There's a lot of Team 3D matches and there's a lot of crowd brawls this month, and none of them are very good, but Harris absolutely murders Brother Runt with a catatonic in this match.
Which is what he is here to do.
But like, he rotates him so much that he like lands almost like on his skull.
Which is what he is here to do.
Everyone hits their move. Bully goes for the shake, rattle, and roll, but Gale low blows him. Run hits acid drop on Gale, or the Dudley dog if you don't know what an acid drop is. And then Rude comes out, breaks a hockey stick over Run, allowing Jarrett to get the pin. Then we have the classic TNA wrestling big ass brawl to close the show as Planet Jarrett attacks, Sting's Warriors make the save, Abyss and Christian get involved, Steiner and Sting get involved, and everyone's brawling on the pay-per-view go home show.
Brother Runt, most over man of all time.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in a sec, but the biggest pop in TNA history maybe. Like, it's insane. It's actually crazy the reaction he gets.
People love his his cruiserweight title run.
Everyone's favorite run in TNA history.
Wait a minute.
It's not about weight limits, Liam. It's about weight limits.
No, the WWE speed. It's not about weight limits. It's about time limits.
Yeah, I like those speed matches.
They were fun.
It's fun to interact with WWE for 2.5 minutes at a time.
Where like their production is so scaled back that you can't get mad at it.
So that takes us to Lockdown, in which the main event is not the world title match. It is Lethal Lockdown. There's 2 backstage promos. There's one where JB has Jarrett's army. Larry tells them that they won the coin toss. There's a whole Larry story that we'll talk about in a second. But this is mostly about that. But Harris in that promo talks about AMW have made 6 Sides of Steel famous, and Steiner is ready to snap. So I do like that they're like cage matches are AMW's thing.
Yeah, well, as it should be at this point.
They have famously done a few of them at this point.
And they've been famously very good.
And then also they had a quick interview with Sting's Warriors as well, which is nothing special. Truth says what's up a bunch, and then he's like, war is up.
Warrior. That's a different guy on the show.
He is on this show, but you have to wait a little bit. That brings us to Lethal Lockdown, as Sting's Warriors face Jarrett's Army. I do appreciate them having team names.
Not Planet Jarrett, notably.
They never use Planet Jarrett. It's really weird.
It's one of those things that just became canon.
Yeah, everyone started it's like Joker's Sting, I guess. No one actually called him Joker's Sting, but obviously he was just Joker's Sting. So, like, he was the insane icon in TNA.
Well, I think it's like interesting because like when Jarrett was like super prominent on Dynamite, and everyone's like, just call it Planet Jarrett. Like they could have, because that's not an IP.
Yeah, TNA never called him that. It was just a line in Jarrett's promos where he was like, "Welcome to Planet Jarrett. You're living in my world." Woo, 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 woo. But yeah, even here when they have a team name for a Lethal Lockdown match, it is Jarrett's Army. It's not Planet Jarrett.
Jarrett Goon.
And how do you feel about Sting's Warriors?
It's no Sting Squadron, is it?
No, you need the alliteration, you see.
Yeah. Sting's Soldiers.
Yeah, Sting Soldiers, Sting Squadron.
Jarrett's Jackasses.
That's what Sting should have called them. Usual Lethal Lockdown format. As we said, it's an evolution of last year because there's the ceiling on the cage now, but it is 2-man start, staggered entrances. You can only pin after everybody's come out, and the roof lowers after everybody's come out.
So, my main note is that it was pretty alright. I enjoyed my time watching this Lethal Lockdown.
And you're a famous War Games hater.
Allegedly. Allegedly I am. But, I don't know, yeah, I just thought it was fun. Like, I think I have more of a problem with regular cage matches.
Yeah.
Than I do with, like, something like this. Because this is just done well. And I guess it's so sporadic. Like, we don't get a ton of... Even though we got a cage match on the build-up to this. Like, we don't get a ton of cage matches outside of the month. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm into it. I thought it was fun. And I liked the Lethal Lockdown with the weapons getting raised down at the end. I think that adds a different element to it. That adds a... It breaks up, like, the stagnant elements of a cage match.
And it gives like a visual indicator of the next phase. Because like my problem with like a lot of both WWE and AEW's War Games is that like the match beyond is just too long. Like they do the staggered entrances, they get to the match beyond, and then that is usually like 20 to 30 minutes. And it's been both the problem with the WWE ones and the AEW ones, and that's just too long for me. Whereas here, like I think from when Sting lowers the cage to the finish is about 6 or 7. Like, and I think that's about right. Where you start going into near falls, you start going into like the end of the match, the wacky stunt, of course, which we'll talk about in a second, and then the match is over. That feels better paced to me than like you get to, you know, when everyone's out there and then the match after that is twice as long as what you've already had before. That just feels agonizing to me.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that because of the way staggered entrances work, the first half is always going to be like infinitely annoyingly long too.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it might work better with 8 instead of 10, just for pacing.
Yeah, it gets you out of the part of the match where like nothing matters.
So AJ Styles and Chris Harris are the two that start. Gail Kim and Jackie Gator are at ringside. Styles hits the Styles Clash at the end of the initial 5-minute period, then 2-minute intervals after that. Earl Hebner starts counting for some reason. It's just like, Earl, there are rules here, Earl. You're the referee. You're meant to be enforcing them.
He's going into business for his own.
As Storm starts coming out, Styles attempts to dropkick the cage door into Storm, but Storm ducks and it hits Gale.
And it doesn't... We don't know if that's, like, supposed to be like that.
Yeah, I watched it back a few times after while I was doing the notes, and I think it's deliberate. Like, I think it's deliberate, but I'm still not entirely sure.
Or, like, did they not tell Jackie about the spot?
Because Jackie looks legitimately concerned. She is like, are you okay?
Not in an are you okay in, like, a way that makes sense for anything in the story, because she's meant to hate this woman.
Yeah, she should be, like, cheering.
Yeah, she's, like, genuinely concerned.
And, like, yeah, because you look at the way it's set up and you look at where Gail is, I'm pretty sure it was the intended spot. But maybe you're right, they just didn't tell Jackie.
Or, like, and not even, like, in a, like, dick way. Like, maybe she just wasn't there when they called the spot or something. For a lot of people to be in the room while they're, planning the match.
Styles and Harris are already bleeding by the time the third person comes out, so Rhino's out next. We do get Brokeback Mountain chants, just to make sure that we have Brokeback Mountain chants and references on every show under the sun that happens in 2006.
Yeah.
Jarrett next, and Rhino uses the cage door opening to meet Jarrett on the ramp, which I thought that was a nice touch. It's like, oh, we are going to be at the numbers disadvantage, so we're going to take the fight to Jarrett, but then they still get overrun. You did accurately predict on the watch along, TNHL.com, the order of entrance.
And I used logic, which makes this match logical.
Yeah, it's like the psychology of the match made sense because you laid out while the Harris and Styles period was going out how would do the entrances, and they did them exactly in the order that you said they should.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know, like they did the right choice, I think. Like, the only one that could have gone the other way is like Ron and Rhino, but like I think that talk about it as a shoot. The power of Rhino was needed in that moment.
Yeah, like, because like there was psychology to each entrant. So Styles is your endurance guy, he starts. Harris is your big tough guy, he starts.
With cage experience.
Yes, cage expert Chris Harris. So obviously James Storm should be out next. You want AMW out together as fast as possible. So then even if you're Sting, you're like game theorying it. It's like they're going to send AMW out first, right? They're going to do that. So who do I send out? It's Rhino. He's like the big powerful guy who can turn the tide.
Perhaps take out one of the AMW members to like reduce the tag team element of their game.
Yeah. So then you're like, if you're Jarrett, you're like, do I send myself out next or Steiner out next? And you're like, no, we save Steiner for last because he's like the pitch hitter. He's the shotgun. I think you said.
I said he's the glass cannon because he doesn't have the endurance to last the full match. But if he's your final call, he can lay people out.
So Jarrett's out third, Truth is out then, and Sting and Steiner are both like in that category of like dudes who don't have the legs but have the explosiveness. So those are the two dudes you put out last, and that's how they constructed the match. So it made perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty great.
There was a Tower of Doom spot where AJ effectively took a brainbuster from the top of the cage.
It was gonna be like real bad, and it was like only pretty bad.
Yeah, he tucked just enough that you're like, okay, he's fine. But like, it was a classic Tower of Doom, but he was on the very top of it. And they've done a couple of those. Like, there was one, I think, where Daniels rotated all the way over onto his face. I think that was in the XXX AMW cage match. But this one where AJ stayed in the suplex position the entire time and came down on his shoulders, but not quite neck. So I think he was okay.
Yeah, but it looked like it was going to be real bad for a second.
So Steiner was the last guy out for Planet Jarrett. He suplexes everybody. Somebody shouts, "You suck" at Steiner, and he just screams, "No, your mother sucks" back at them.
Classic.
Steiner dumps Truth with a top rope suplex. Just absolutely dumps the man. And then Sting is last out for Sting's Warriors. Rhino's also bleeding at this point. Crowd chants steroids at Steiner. Sting runs wild a little bit before they bring the ceiling down. And they make a break, like a cool production moment of that, where like they lower the ceiling. Sting is actually like, bring it down. So Sting runs wild and then they bring the cage down when Sting says so. And they let off some pyro as the cage comes down. So it's actually a cool moment.
It feels like a shifting of the match.
And then the match beyond begins. Storm and AJ immediately escape, which is funny. It's so funny, like the idea we put the roof on the cage to stop people. Nope, Storm and AJ are out.
Especially since I was like, I think someone could get out from there, and then immediately.
And James Storm was like, oh, yeah, maybe I could. So they escape up to the cage roof. Gail tries to pursue them, but Jackie pulls her skirt off.
Which was a real confronting moment where I was like, come on guys, don't do the upskirt. And then immediately they tore her skirt off and I was like, well, yep.
At least they weren't subtle about it.
No.
Sting looks to hit Jarrett with a guitar, but Steiner saves him with a low blow, and Sting eats a Jarrett guitar shot. So Styles then places Storm on a table on top of the Lethal Lockdown cage.
Insanity. And not a thing that gets replayed. Just like a one-off crazy thing that you don't see ever.
of like the crazy TNA spots, like you see the skipper cage walk, you see like the Hardy Swanton from Bound for Glory in 2005. You see those a lot more than you see this, and I think this is just as crazy as the rest of them. So like he sets Storm up on a table on top of the Lethal Lockdown. They're on the top of the cage. There's also a ladder up there for reasons, who knows. Someone needs to access the lighting rig, obviously. So Styles climbs the ladder and then doesn't come off the ladder, Liam. He climbs onto the lighting truss that is hanging from the literal ceiling of the impact zone.
Like, and you think about it, because like he's doing this on a ladder that is on top of a cage that is like, this could go so badly in so many ways. Like just him climbing it.
Like Dave makes the note that like if that cage roof caved in like it did for Mick Foley, those two men would have died.
Yeah, but I thought the same thing, and then I looked at the cage for 3 seconds, was like, that's not happening.
It is a much firmer cage than WWE's Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
So yeah, AJ climbs out onto the lighting rig. He is hanging from the literal top of the ceiling. And it's a pretty high ceiling in that impact zone. It's a big soundstage. So he's hanging from the literal top of the ceiling, which I really hope they tested. He dangles for a little bit, and he drops a splash off of the lighting rig through Storm through a table on top of the Lethal Lockdown. Awesome spot. Really cool. And like, it's something that is also extremely impressive, but assuming nothing breaks, has a relatively low risk of danger. Because it is ultimately like a splash through a table. Once the lighting rig doesn't collapse, and once the cage doesn't break, everything's pretty fine there.
I would have been more concerned about the lighting rig coming down after AJ than I would have been about the cage roof.
Oh, just crashing down on top of them?
Yeah.
That would have been a disaster. So yeah, awesome spot. Crowd go wild. Commentary go wild. Everyone's having a great time. And then Sting submits Harris with the Scorpion Deathlock. Or after Rhino wipes out Jarrett with a gore. So that's Lethal Lockdown. A tight match, a fun match. Everyone hitting their stuff. It's not, as I said, like 8 guys. I think it streamlines the pace a little bit. They didn't go too long in the match beyond portion. You had your typical stunt in this match. Well structured, like psychologically sound, coherently built. Good match.
Yeah, it does the job. It's entertaining. It's not boring. It doesn't go on for too long. It's pretty much everything you'd want from it.
Which is like a 5-star endorsement from Cage Match War Games hater Liam Jones.
Yeah.
So that brings us over to the World Championship match at Lockdown 2006, which is the champion Christian Cage defending against the monster Abyss.
Yeah, this is a fun one. This is a fun build. Match obviously doesn't hit the peaks of an Abyss AJ at Lockdown.
No.
But the build to it is a joy. It's just an absolute joy.
So March 18th Impact, we have Abyss squashing Cassidy Riley. This is their 4th singles match on Impact so far. This is on Impact number 90. The 4th Cassidy Riley Abyss singles match, and not their last.
Shoutouts to Cassidy Riley's gear that I thought was pretty sick.
Yeah, he's not the Raven Disciple anymore.
No, he still was the Raven Disciple. He just wasn't wearing Raven cosplay. Like, he was still, like, all gothed out, but it was in a cool way. He was
no longer wearing shorts.
2006 goth.
No more denim.
He was wearing shorts, but he was wearing, like, the
gear.
Wrestling indie shiny pants shorts. Yeah. He reminded me of Mao.
In every way.
Yeah, equally as good.
When I see Cassidy Riley, I think of Mao.
I think of that guy is a lot like Mao. They could both be on a Circle 6 show.
That is true. If there is a world where they could meet on a WrestleMania weekend show.
If I had the book.
Right after that, there's a feature on Christian. He's talking about how he's shooting a movie with Paul Giamatti. He's not here tonight because he's doing the movie, but then he's like, maybe it's a blessing in disguise because my ribs really hurt from Monty Brown beating me up.
It's fair enough.
If you're wondering where Monty is this month, he lost the world title match and just kind of disappeared. He's getting his knee scoped, so that's the reason Monty's not around. The idea of getting your knee scoped is upsetting to you?
Yeah, knee stuff. No,
oh yeah, you and your knees. You and your knees.
It's only one.
Well, you do have 2 of them.
Yeah, but like one that's the one.
Talks more about Planet Jarrett and the recent development with Sting. Then immediately after that, JB has James Mitchell and Abyss. Mitchell says Abyss should be top contender and Christian is a coward who is dodging him. Mitchell's like, if Christian won't come to us, maybe we'll come to him and those whom he loves.
He would never. He would never do such a thing.
No more stalking. We would never have stalking people's families in TNA. Never.
No, that's DDP's business.
He then starts going into an extended animal abuse metaphor.
Yeah, this is brutal.
So he starts talking like, if dog doesn't work, so you grab it by the head, you shove it against the wall, and then you kick it in the ribs.
You just said if dog doesn't work.
Yeah.
If dog doesn't work.
If the dog is misbehaving, words won't do the job, Liam.
If dog doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what you do. You grab it by the head, according to James Mitchell. You shove it against the wall, and you kick it in the ribs, and the dog will apparently then learn its lesson.
Or it will die.
It could die. That I believe Christian, in both of those instances, is the metaphor here.
But they don't want him to die, because he can't win a belt off a dead man.
He does mention a home invasion, and Shelley walks in and be like, I'm interested in such a thing. I love that as Shelley. He's just the one like wanders in. It's like, can I shoot it?
Sounds like a good documentary. My favorite thing is James Mitchell being like, why, yes, young Alex, you can.
Yeah, it's like, I do need a cameraman. Come on, buddy. So the end of the next episode of Impact, March 25th, they do air the newest Paparazzi Productions presentation, Desperately Alone Housewife.
That's a great name.
Where they're stalking Christian's wife. So they've gone to Christian's home, and Christian is off shooting the movie with Paul Giamatti, and Christian's wife is being stalked by James Mitchell and Alex Shelley. So they start showing them like shooting Christian's wife doing housework through the window, and Mitchell is like, Alex, be careful. And Shelley is like, no worries, I've done this before. Though Mitchell should be more suspicious because Shelley got caught.
I think he's implying that he's filmed women alone in their houses before.
So Sting is not the instigating instance here.
In a situation in which he was not caught.
My favorite part of this is that it's a small shot where they're standing in a supermarket aisle with Christian's wife.
At like midnight.
Yeah, apparently Dave says it was 1 a.m. that they were shooting this in the supermarket.
It's like when like she went to like the salon thing. And you're like, why are you there at 1 a.m.?
Listen, she was busy cleaning all day. Then she has to get
How
her
is
errands
this place
in.
open?
But like James Mitchell and Alex Shelley standing in a supermarket trying to look inconspicuous while Christian's wife is at the other end of the aisle is such a funny
With maybe
visual.
Abyss there too.
He's just hanging around. But like James Mitchell just being like, do you think she notices us? As you said, they eventually follow her to her tanning salon, where Mitchell then confronts her and is very menacing. He's like, tell your husband we'll see him soon. This is a great James Mitchell month in general.
Yeah, this is him being the most James Mitchell.
So, according to Dave, they were filming this at 1 a.m. and Mitchell was using his cane to knock ketchup bottles down and even broke one.
That's really funny.
And fun trivia note, the tanning place, owned by Billy Kidman.
Wow. He owns a... Wow. I guess that makes sense.
So this is only part 1. There's a second part the next week, Liam.
The next one is... I wanted more.
More stalking?
Yeah.
So April 1st, Impact, Abyss and James Mitchell come to the ring. TNA announces it'll be Styles versus Abyss on Impact next week in the main event of last year's Lockdown main event. JB asks what Mitchell has to say for himself. Mitchell says, mission accomplished. So he's a big George Bush fan. I was actually, I checked to see, like, but that was 2003. So I thought it might have been a reference to the banner, but apparently it's not.
Could still be.
It might still be. We still make references to the banner like freaking 20 years later, so maybe it is still a reference. Mitchell calls Christian out for leaving to make movies instead of defending his belt, which is fair, actually.
Yes.
You won the belt and you disappeared to make some movies? You're too big a star for us now, huh?
Yeah, Dwayne Christian Johnson.
Oh, owned.
Fucking rocked him, Hollywood Cage.
Mitchell, he then plays part 2 of Paparazzi Productions, which is Shelley Shelley approaches Christian's house. He's like, hey guys, it's Christian's house. And then the garage door opens and Shelley runs to the side and Christian just immediately emerges and jumps Alex Shelley.
He's like, what are you doing? And Shelley goes, it's not what it looks like.
What does it look like, Alex, huh? It's a funny thing of like both times they got away with it the first time. Like Shelley got away with filming Sting without being noticed the first time, and both times they went back the week later. It's like, well, what did you fucking expect? Yeah, so Christian beats Shelley's ass a little bit. It turns out it's a trap because Abyss is here now. Abyss attacks Christian too.
It's good that Christian's wife was not there.
Yeah, but well, maybe, actually, I was going to say where was she, but he was probably a responsible man who sent his wife out of the house knowing people would be coming to monitor them.
Still had to take the trash out though.
So Abyss jumps him, brawls through the house, trashes some stuff in the house. They brawl into Christian's pool area in his back garden, which you admired.
Yeah, well, I'm so jealous of the enclosed pool area. I just think it's the coolest.
Enclosed pool area is a cursed term in wrestling.
I was trying to avoid that.
You said the words. I'm sorry. You just can't. You just can't.
Yeah. But, keeps all the bugs out. Leaves.
Very helpful. Makes pool cleaning a lot easier.
That's where I'm going to leave that.
So Abyss starts punching him. Mitchell is like, drowned his ass. So Abyss throws him in the pool.
Then my favorite bit happens where Abyss has to get in the pool, but he clearly, like, doesn't want to.
Because Abyss is in full gimmick here, yeah.
And he's like, he gets in the water, and I imagine it's like freezing, and he's like, he's like inching out towards until he has no, because when you go to a pool and you jump in and it's cold, you're like, oh, I gotta adjust to it, right? And then you're fine. But it's like, he had no adjustment time because he had to go in there and start drowning Christian. At least Christian was thrown in and he's like, body just like shocks it, and it's just like, he's in it. And he also gets to sell so he can kind of be like, ah. But like, Abyss has to be stoic this whole time.
And you can tell he's, I think, dreadfully concerned about slipping on the steps on the way in.
I think he's just cold.
He is slowly teetering down those steps, eventually gets the Christian and starts drowning him.
Solid drowning.
Yeah, I was thinking, it's a very convincing drowning, to be fair.
I was really looking at it to see, like, is this like an amount of drowning that could be believable? And I think it was.
Yeah, I do think if someone actually held you under as long as Abyss held him under, and he did a couple of ups and downs, which would be really disorientating, like in and out and in and out, and then hold him for like a good 10 seconds, like that's a solid drowning.
That's a solid drowning.
Mitchell does state the obvious that you can't win the belt from a dead man, so he's like, stop, don't drown him completely, don't kill him.
Christian should just be like, I want this guy to go to prison. I don't want to defend the belt against him.
He should go to jail. And it was on tape. They have footage. Alex Shelley being brought in to be questioned.
Alex Shelley's gone to prison for being an accomplice. What are you talking about?
He's trying to get out of it. It's like, I was just there as a cameraman. I was a journalist, a documentarian. I didn't know this was going to happen.
I have impartial, like, being a journalist, third person. Like, I cannot be held accountable.
Without me, you wouldn't have the footage of it happening. So really, I'm good here.
And I'm a hero and should be rewarded.
I tried to stop them, but look at him. He's big and scary.
He was in the water.
His pants were wet. That would make him really mad. Mitchell asks Christian what is he prepared to do and then spits on him as if he hadn't had a bad enough time already.
Yeah, that was real gross. And like, I was like, is that an ad-lib, do you think? He's like, I'm going to spit on him now. But
yeah, get his ass. Make him damp. Don West is then outraged, furious, appalled. He walks off he's back by the next match, but he does walk off commentary. He's like, oh, I can't handle this. Next show opens Abyss, AJ Styles, a rematch from last year's Lockdown.
I couldn't get into it because I knew it was going to have some fuck finish.
It's will become, I think, a reoccurring theme that anytime you hear the words pay-per-view worthy match for an Impact television match, fuck finish. And like, I think AJ could just lose here.
Yeah, he probably could at this point.
Because, like, he is in the main event of the pay-per-view, but he is, like, one of 4. He's not, like, a featured act, really, this month at all. I think AJ could just lose to Abyss here. Though, on the flip side of that, it's almost nice that they're like, we have to protect AJ.
Or where they just, like, we have to continue the story.
That's true. It might just be we want Christian to come out. But, yeah. So, at one point, AJ hits the ropes, and Abyss just kind of Pam thrusts him down. Very inelegantly, but very, like, violently. I enjoyed that.
As he should.
AJ hits the Pele, goes up for the spiral tap, but Mitchell hooks his leg with a cane. Abyss then launches AJ with a press slam. Abyss pulls the bag from under the ring. He has his tax, but as that happens, Christian pulls up very aggressively in a car.
He should have shown up earlier.
Yeah, he's late for work. He's like 10 minutes into the show. He's just pulling up in his car. What are you doing?
Of the second taping, no less.
Yeah, he has a tire iron. Abyss bails. Christian starts chucking security to try and get at Abyss, one of which takes a sensational bump. He just hurls them. It's really good. Christian grabs a microphone, accepts the NWA World title match against Abyss at Lockdown, asks if Abyss is prepared to die at Lockdown, because Christian is.
Yeah, are you aware?
About what?
That we could be living in a world very soon where AJ Styles has been in WWE longer than TNA.
I hope it doesn't happen. I'm like irrationally invested in that not happening. We're a little ways away because like he was in TNA for 11 and a half.
Here it says 2003 to 2013.
2002.
Oh yeah, sorry, old logo.
And he's been in WWE since 2016, so a little over 8 years now. So we still have about 3 years for him to catch up.
And he's already talking about retirement.
Yeah, and he is 46, and I think there's talk his contract's up this year too, isn't there?
Oh, I feel like his contract's up every fucking year.
Yeah, which he should go home. AJ, come home. AJ, get ready to fly. There was a Chris Van Vliet clip with AJ this week where he was like, I hated my TNA theme song. And I was like, AJ, how could you do this to me? And it was mostly because he's like, I heard it for 11 years straight and I got sick of it. But also, AJ, how could you do this to me? How could you hate I Am or Get Ready to Fly? They're the best songs of all time.
Apparently 5 years in 2019.
So yeah, this is a contract year for AJ. Go home, AJ, if you're listening to me, go home. AJ, come home. One more time. Come on. You know you want to, AJ. You know you want to. It's TNA. Come on.
I have I found a list of contracts expiring. I don't know how legitimate it is.
There's usually that Fightful one, but what's this one?
Yeah, but I don't know if this is a 5-4 one. Expiring in 2024. Danielson, Ethan Page, Keith Lee, MJF. Now the MJF one we know will work.
Danielson, I think, is up.
Danielson is up, yeah. AJ, Alexa Bliss, Angelo Dawkins, Becky Lynch, Big E, Butch, Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, LA Knight, Montez Ford, Mustafa Ali, Pat McAfee, Randy Orton, Ricochet, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Xavier Woods.
Yeah, I think LA Knight signed a new one, right?
Yeah, and he's not on this list, but Damian Priest said they re-signed this year.
Yeah, and the big two there are Becky and Drew, who we are still waiting on news about.
And I guess Seth, when his one is up.
Come on.
Sammy. I don't think either of those guys are leaving, though, to be fair.
No. But AJ, you know you want to.
We will see!
So yes, Lockdown main event has been made. AJ Styles responded to the ignorant characterized by Dave here, statement of Dave Batista a few months back about how what AJ Styles does isn't pro wrestling.
What an odd... It's so funny, like, 2006, right? Like, that AJ... Like, he's crazy, but, like, he's not, like, super spotty in 2006. Like, he has cohesive pro wrestling matches.
Most of his matches are spent selling.
So... And also... 2006 WWE guy saying that isn't wrestling? Okay.
That's always the thing. And it's very funny that, like, this used to be the mentality that, like, WWE's way of wrestling, which was different from the indie wrestling scene at the time, was the only way of doing things. And now we're in 2024 where all WWE wrestling is just indie wrestling. Like, for all their talk and all of their, highfalutin, this is what wrestling should look like, they're the ones who lost. All the wrestling became like the other stuff, not like your stuff.
Yeah.
But AJ responded that with the quip, I think it's funny that a guy who takes a bump and tears his back tells me that I don't know how to wrestle.
Based. I checked. They have never been in a match together.
They would have missed each other largely, wouldn't they?
Yeah, like I was thinking like maybe there's a random rumble or something. But no, they have never interacted. I wonder if there's heat. Let's start rumors.
They want to stay away from each other forever?
Report, AJ Styles and Batista have heat. Aggregate that.
April 13th, 2006 Impact, which is the first Thursday episode, but there wasn't a big Christian presence on that show. Only a Protestant one.
I was going to make the same exact fucking joke.
There was a feature on Christian and Abyss. Christian talking about his wife being stalked and how helpless that made him feel. Says his life flashed before his eyes when Abyss tried to drown him, but now it's personal. So there's a little feature, but interesting that the world champion isn't playing a big role on that first Thursday episode.
I'm guessing it's just because he wasn't there.
I'm pretty sure he was there because he was on the Go Home show too.
Oh, then silliness. I got so mad that you did that joke that I stood up.
Were you going to go for Protestant as well?
Yes.
Oh.
Had to go for Protestant. Come on now.
On the Go Home show, Christian Cage comes to the ring. Penzer's voice cracks while introducing him. He's like, Christian Cage.
Christian.
All Abyss did was piss Christian off and make him want to beat somebody more than he has ever beaten anybody in his career. He saw fear in Abyss's eyes when he chased him with that tire iron. James Mitchell comes out and he's sick of his twaddle and refers to Christian as Mr. Charisma. Guarantees Abyss will leave Lockdown with the belt firmly in his grasp. Abyss jumps Christian from behind. They brawl a little before Abyss drops him with a black hole slam and chokes him with a chain and poses with the belt. Security starts to come out as Abyss starts shock treatmenting them too, which is tremendous.
It's a hell of a move to just like flash it on someone.
Not just like a punch or a choke slam, just heap them onto your shoulders and drop them with a shock treatment.
It's a good go home angle for this match.
Yeah, and they get involved in the big ass brawl as well to close the show. So I think there's a better promo in Christian, I think, for the moment of him being drowned in his home after his wife was stalked. I think he could have done a better, more personal promo about that. But I honestly, this is the month I've most enjoyed Christian and TNA so far because he feels like he's not doing comedy. He's not doing like a little bit of veiled homophobia. He's doing like a serious pro wrestling angle. But I say serious pro wrestling, it involves stalking and paparazzi productions. But like he is doing like a proper pro wrestling angle that you're meant to get invested in, as opposed to just doing bits. So I enjoyed Christian a lot this month.
Yeah, he got to get his like teeth into something a little more substantial.
On the pay-per-view, both Mitchell and Christian have backstage interviews. I think Mitchell's is really, really good, maybe among his better promos, where he's like, to quote Nietzsche, when a man goes hunting monsters, he should worry about becoming a monster himself. Says they've successfully lured Christian into becoming an emotional biohazard. Says a champion wouldn't leave to film movies or leave his wife alone or get owned in his own home. He promises that Abyss will leave with the belt tonight.
And he which is important because earlier on in the month he said he does not tell lies.
Once he makes a guarantee, he does mean it.
Devil's in the details.
Tell James Mitchell when he's telling lies. Christian also has a backstage interview with JB, and he says nothing. He just looks at JB and he leaves.
Because he's hyper-focused.
All has been
It's
said.
fight night.
Inside Six Sides of Steel, Christian Cage defeats Abyss to retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
And it's good, but not great.
Yeah, because it is in some ways almost like a rerun of the AJ match last year.
Yeah.
Like they open with crowd brawling, Abyss gets the heat, they do a spot that's a sunset flip off the cage into tax. The difference is, like, AJ selling of Abyss's like monstrousness is better than Christian's. I think that's the difference between the two matches largely. But yeah, I think they have a good match. I think it is Christian's best TNA match so far.
It's a fun one, even if it's not like hyper dynamic or anything.
Yeah, it's not like match of the year or anything. It's not the best match. It's not a patch on the AJ match last year. That was a much better match. But it's a good match and it has good stuff in it. I appreciate how like the crowd brawling part at the start at least makes sense because Abyss goes to meet Christian on the ramp and Christian starts brawling with him. So there's no like, you tried to drown me in a pool, let me do a headlock. They go straight into like brawling and fighting, which I do appreciate. They brawl all over the building before eventually getting in the cage. Ref gets bumped by a huge Abyss punch. Like there's a sequence where Abyss goes to charge him and Christian pulls the referee out of the Abyss charge, but then Abyss goes to throw a punch and just levels the referee. I think it's Andrew Thomas with just a gigantic punch. Goes for a belt chop, but the ref is slow to count and Abyss kicks out. Christian then hits a frog splash off the top of the cage and Abyss kicks out of that too.
It's a good froggy.
Yeah, and like usually, we talked about this in the watch along, TNAchat.com. When people usually do moves off cages, it is usually onto a standing opponent.
Yeah. Because knees are a thing.
Knees are a thing, as Monty Brown knows, and you know. So, like, usually you take it on a standing opponent so you can minimize the actual impact you're taking once the dude catches you properly. Not very many people generally do moves off cages where they're landing flat. Like, I can think of Benoit with the headbutt, Angle with the moonsault, and this frog splash onto, like, a lowered opponent. Abyss is lying on the mat. That's a full frog splash off the cage. And there's a reason they don't do it, because, as you said, knees. It must suck.
And if you're doing a frog splash, elbows. Wrists.
Yeah, there's a lot landing on a frog splash. You can't even like spread the impact. You have to do it. You have to take the impact on those elbows and wrists and knees. Imagine Christian when he's 40. God, he's gonna be like Larry Zbyszko.
He's going to be having the best matches of his whole career.
Abyss bumps the ref again by launching with the cage. Christian hits a sunset flip powerbomb onto Abyss into the tax. And like they do a close-up of like the tax in Abyss's arm at one point, and they are nasty looking. Like there's blood trickling down from them immediately. Rudy looks to replace the ref, but as something we'll talk about in a second, Slick Johnson just charges past him when he opens the cage door. Counts 2, but Abyss kicks out after the sunset flip powerbomb. Abyss hits a black hole slam. Christian kicks out. Abyss gets a second bag of tax to make an even bigger pile of tax, which he then gets unprettied into to lose.
And I'm pretty that Christian is very, very tactful not to land right into.
He is the carefulest man I've ever seen hit his own move to make sure he does not hit a single thumbtack himself.
Again, looking back to like what he would do in 10 years.
Abyss, face first thumbtack bump. Christian, nah. Actually, I do wonder, do you think they gimmicked the second bag of tax?
And just had them be like, they snipped them all or something?
Yeah, so that you established their tax with the regular back bump, the safer bump. And then you introduce gimmick tax for the face bump? That would actually be really smart.
I think Abyss probably just fucking took it.
Yeah, I do think Abyss probably just took a first bump into tax. He's Abyss.
He has a mask on.
But I was like, I just had that thought. Like they introduced the second bag of tax. Maybe that's why. It would be a really smart way to do it.
Nah, it's fucking Abyss.
Yeah, he took the face first bump into tax. I think I really liked, like, the post-match wasn't just the heel attacked the babyface and got mad because he lost. I really liked that, like, Christian has conquered the guy who terrorized them. He beat him for the NWA World title, retained his belt. He started going to leave, and then he realized, wait a minute, there's James Mitchell too.
Yeah. He's like, it wasn't just Abyss that caused all this anguish in my life.
Yeah, but I like that, like, they're going to get a second pay-per-view match out of this program after the babyface won. And the cheaper way to get there, I think, is just Abyss attacks after the match, blindsides Christian, and they set up the match. But I kind of like that it was like the babyface's hubris, the babyface's bloodthirst for revenge that will set up the next match. Because, like, he was going to leave, he was halfway up the ramp, and then he came back to start getting Mitchell before that's when Abyss started jumping him. And I think that's a better way to kind of set up them doing this again next month.
Cinema.
Cinema indeed. Abyss hangs Christian through the cage and then leaves in possession of the NWA World title. A man of his word.
Yeah, he does not lie. Honestly, I did think this was kind of great. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, good match, good feud.
It's a fun one. Yeah, good feud.
Abyss is like a really good... It's a shame he's in this role, but he's a really good challenger of the month. He really is.
Yeah, but it's not a bad role to be in.
Yeah, he's a main event adjacent for most of the last year, which is nice.
For most of his career.
Yeah, that is the bad thing. He never breaks through. He never breaks through from main event adjacent, but it is nice to be main event adjacent for a sustained period of time.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing Abyss throughout the years. We've said this before, especially like earlier on, where I'm like, I'm looking forward to seeing the Abyss career.
So we have a Larry Zbyszko story running throughout most of the month, where there's this thing where Scott D'Amore has done it a couple times, where he's gone into Larry's office and he's gotten mad at Larry and he's been like, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what you've done. And Larry's like, what the fuck's he talking about? And JB's like, what's he talking about? And Larry's like, don't you worry about it. And now there is also the thing where Slick Johnson, there's like a referee angle where Slick has been trying to get main events, and now Larry's like, well, I'll give you a main event, I guess. What do you know? And he's like, duh, it's too late now, Larry. Yeah, I have insider information. We'll talk about all these individual Larry Zbyszko promos as they make sense for the actual programs they're involved in, because usually it's a story beat setting up a match and then somebody will do like a Larry Zbyszko thing. But I guess we'll go straight to the pay-per-view moment, which the pay-per-view, Liam, features the TNA wrestling debut of Christy Hemme.
I've never had a problem with Christy Hemme.
Your favorite Playboy cover girl, just like Don West?
Listen, 2006, I was a young boy.
When Hemme makes her debut, Mike Tenay's like doing the, do you know who that is? And Don is like, I have the copy of April 2005 Playboy. I know who that is.
So revolting that he can name the month.
He's like one step short of pulling it out from under the desk. It's like, I keep it with me wherever I go.
It's not quite Matt Striker Lucha Underground, but...
it is close. Hemme hands Tenay an envelope and then leaves. She's just a messenger here.
I wonder what the cut for the Divas doing the Playboy was.
I hope they got some good money there.
I if it was like just part of their deal, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be stunned if WWE just got all the money and they just, got paid by WWE. I would not be surprised if that was the case, but I hope they got paid.
I hope she got a little bonus from that.
So Hemme hands Tenay an envelope, which has a big announcement about the future of TNA management. Throughout the show, there's a reoccurring Larry Zbyszko theme.
Throughout the month.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Larry segments individually as they make sense for the actual programs they're involved in.
Because they play into other segments too and other storylines.
Yeah, so multiple times, like in the Team 3D interview at Lockdown, he walks in and demands to know what JB knows. And he's like, don't kid me, JB. He's like, why would I kid you, Larry?
Everyone is against Larry at this point.
The Planet Jarrett one is my favorite because Jarrett's like, yeah, you should ask the Hebners because they know all about screw jobs, clearly blowing Larry off. And Larry's like, I should have known. I hate the Hebners. Same thing with Team Canada and Scott D'Amore. So the big thing is there's changes in TNA management. So Mike Tenay makes a number of announcements here that TNA has hired a new high-profile face of TNA management who will debut in the coming months, currently unnamed.
I think I know who it is, but I don't know for sure.
Bruno Sammartino.
Wow.
That is who they wanted to be at first, but you will find out in the coming months who it is.
I think I know, and I think we're going to get a different demo on our YouTube views.
Listen, SEO, baby! Yeah, so the first decision they make is Larry Zbyszko has been placed on probation. Larry comes out and he is absolutely raging. He's like, Mike Tenay, I tutored you on WCW Pro. International markets, tutored you in worldwide. How could you do this to me?
I like that no matter what, like, the constant theme through TNA's history has been that Mike Tenay actually knows everything that's going on.
Yeah, he is the one person with all the information, and everyone's like, Mike, why did you do this?
Yeah, not even the implication that he knows everything going on, that he is the one pulling the strings.
Yeah, whenever he makes an announcement, everyone is mad at him, because it's like, Mike, why have you done this to me? There is a second announcement, and that is the overturning of a recent Larry Zbyszko decision, and Raven has been reinstated to the TNA roster. Raven's music hits, he walks out, he has blue hair now.
He's learned some tricks of dyeing his hair from his feud with Punk.
Larry is frantic at the return of Raven, demands Raven go back where he came
so
from.
Good. Oh god, Raven's so good. It's nice to have Raven back, first of all, just because like it's another star on the show. But like Larry's so fucking good. It's like Larry's up there like with an old time like GM figure, right?
I'm really disappointed they're replacing him, honestly, because I really enjoy, like, this month is a phenomenal Larry Zbyszko month because he is paranoid, he is flustered, he is frantic, and like I said, Raven is chasing him. He's like, "Go back where you came from, Raven." It's like, it's so good. And then he locks himself inside the cage, holds the door before security separates them. So Raven is back, Larry's on probation. As we,
I just like that. I mean, I criticize Larry's choice of hiding in the cage, thinking that was going to be like the babyface gets in the cage and he has nowhere to go. But no, it worked. He kept him out.
There's a lot of X Division stuff that intertwines. So let's do it all, I think, in sequential order as it comes together.
Sure.
So March 18th Impact, there's a Team USA qualifier. Sanjay Dutt, Matt Bentley, Elix Skipper. After some back and forth between Maverick Matt and Maverick Matt Bentley, they have appeared to settle on Maverick Matt Bentley.
I like Maverick Matt Bentley. It's a good Maverick's a good nickname.
Again, just a little bit of alliteration goes a long way. Maverick Matt, it feels good. Simon Diamond joins commentary. Simon is a small bit racist about the idea that a man named Sanjay Dutt can compete on Team USA.
Well, he's from Bombay, India. Should be on Team India.
He's giving out that there's an SAP button, but not an SD button.
For sucking dick.
This is where I actually learned. I realized...
No, it's not.
Nope.
Oh, shit.
Where SAP stands for Second Audio Programming. Did not know that.
Oh. I guess I always just thought it was like Spanish announce programming or something.
Yeah, Spanish audio programming, Spanish audio potential, something like that, you know? But
when
yeah,
was Sanjay billed from Bollywood, India?
probably like Ring Cat King.
Oh, that would make sense. I'm just looking at Sanjay Dutt's Wikipedia.
I do like how SD button would have different consequences now. It's still not sucking dick. It's standard definition.
It's Sanjay Dutt.
So it could be Sanjay Dutt. Yeah, he should be upset that the SD button means Sanjay instead of Simon.
Sanjay instead of Simon. Get the big Simon Diamond Sanjay Dutt feud.
For the right to the initials SD. They just start breaking down SD cards. It's like, no, they can't have it either.
SD card deathmatch.
That would probably hurt. That would probably hurt more than Lego. But you'd have to stand them up, which would be hard, because they would be flat, and then that wouldn't hurt.
You put it on a door.
Or, you know the packaging SD cards usually come in that's like impenetrable and impossible to open?
Yeah.
That.
You can do some like a paper cut spot.
Yeah, you can start cutting people with that.
Yeah.
Bentley drops Skipper with the super kick. Sanjay breaks up the pin with a 450 and pins Bentley for the win. So Sanjay has qualified for Team USA, much to the chagrin of Simon Diamond.
I'm just thinking of like how cool a Team India would actually be. Like a Rinka King team.
So you get Shira.
World X Cup 2024.
You get Deadly Danda.
Of course.
You get Pagal Parinda.
Yes.
You get Bhupinder Gujar.
Yep.
The Bollywood Boys.
Shanky's available.
Shanky is available. If you were to do it, it would probably be like Sanjay, Bollywood Boys, Pagal Parinda, wouldn't it?
You kind of rule.
All of whom are Ring Cat King alums, so.
Who was the shitty guy?
That is Pagal Parinda.
Ah, it was Pagal Parinda, good.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to like to spin your narrative.
I like him. Leave Pagal Parinda alone. They then had like an actually tremendous Simon Diamond angle.
The Simon Diamond stuff this month is good too because it's just TNA comedy.
So Diamond throws to some baseball footage that Shelley is filming. This is another paparazzi production. Simon has disguised himself in White Sox attire so that he can invade the White Sox training area. He hits some balls. Some coach fellow says his attitude sucks, and so they cut back. And Simon Diamond was like, "That was it. That was all we shot. That was tremendous football. Football, yeah, sure. That was tremendous baseball. I'm good. Everything's fine." And then Mike Tenay is like, "You didn't even confront AJ Pierzynski or Dale Torborg like you said you would." And he's like, "Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You don't need to see more. I just wanted to show how good at baseball I was." And Mike Tenay reveals that there is extra footage, which Simon Diamond desperately tries and actually succeeds to delay by throwing to break. He's like, guys, a headset, guys, go to break. Guys, go to break. Guys, we can't show the go to break. And they do actually go to break. And then they come back again with the footage, and they're still at the desk. And Simon Diamond is like, "Guys, my name's Keith Mitchell. You guys should go to break again." You should go to a second break.
I was going to mention how this month I was a big fan of them just naming the people that work in production.
Yeah, during the announcement of the new TNA management stuff, Mike Tenay is like, Dave Zahadi, Keith Mitchell, can you put my mic to the house?
Yeah, I just like it makes it feel more like real.
Yeah, that was also because it's the same with like naming referees, which was another weird Vinceism that he'd refused to name referees. And it is one of those things. It's like every sport names referees. Why would you not say his name's Rudy Charles?
Yeah, I don't know. I always hated the referee thing, but I didn't know that I needed the production thing. But I think I do. I think I like it more. I'm sorry. I've just been revealed that there's a match on Dynamite that I've never heard of.
What is it?
Shane Taylor Promotions,
Yeah.
including Anthony Ogogo, versus Hook, Chris Jericho, and Katsuyori Shibata?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Why?
Nobody knows.
Why is Shibata in it?
Why is a go-go back?
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like they're doing like Shane Taylor Promotions. He's a boxer doing like that thing. That's a connection, I guess. But like, what a weird match.
Yeah.
Why is Shibata there?
Just as
Is
another
he feuding
guy.
with any of these guys?
No, he's just wrestling.
Okay.
He just shows up and has matches with guys every couple of weeks.
Alright.
He's now a friend of Chris Jericho's.
Alright.
So yeah, they have a second video. Simon Diamond shows a second video that has Mike TNA shows it. Simon Diamond is in it. So there's a second video showing Simon Diamond actually being confronted by the White Sox team. He's confronting baseball men. A dude, Ozzie Guillen, then hits him with a chair. He's the manager of the White Sox at the time, and tells him to get off his field and calls him a piece of shit, which does seem to pop the rest of the White Sox because they have to bleep it. He's like, "Get off my field, you piece of shit," and everyone's like, "Oh."
I wonder if he's like one of those guys that just doesn't swear, and they're like, "Whoa."
Yeah, it's like, whoa, this finally got him. Based on reading his Wikipedia page, I think he is a guy who swears quite often.
Oh.
Maybe says some other things that are rather inappropriate.
No.
Occasional slurs.
Are we cancelling Ozzy Guillen?
Guillen? Anyway.
Ian?
Yeah, he's going down. This is the podcast that's finally going to take him down.
I hate all Aussies.
Don't I know it. Tanay and West laugh at Diamond. Diamond claims it was doctored using an iPod. And then Tanay is like, it was that's Photoshop, you idiot. It's like, no, it's not Photoshop either, Mike. That's images.
Got him.
But the video, so there you go. Simon Diamond has embarrassed himself in front of baseball men.
Imagine Mike Knight being like, it's Premiere Pro.
Yeah. That would have long existed by 2006. I think the first version of Premiere is in the late 90s. The Chicago White Sox are interested in having TNA put on some matches after a ball game in August. TNA hasn't gotten back to the Sox yet to let them know if they want to participate. It would cost company money to fly the wrestlers in the ring out, so they're weighing whether or not the expense against the benefits of publicity. I'd do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, like, they're the current World Series winning baseball team. Like, that's good publicity. Take as much of it as you can get.
Face brawl.
The main event of this show, we didn't really talk about it, but it's the end of Shannon Moore, so I guess we should. AJ Styles, Ron Killings, Christopher Daniels, and Rhino defeat AMW, Shannon Moore, and Alex Shelley.
At least Moore takes the L.
He did finally take one of those vaunted pins they said he was eating all the time.
Maybe that's what they were referring to.
One in an 8-man tag.
He got something out of it at least. My biggest takeaway from this match was that Daniels is over as fuck.
Yeah, Daniels fresh off of like the X-title win, the big comeback story, really effective babyface turn.
I was like, and then when like he lost the title back to Joe, I was like, it kind of felt like you might have had something with him here.
Yeah, and like the match against Joe is like the reason that works is because that crowd totally buy into Daniels as a babyface.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of bummed because I was like, it felt like this could have been the start of like Daniels actually being on the level of Joe and AJ. And not just like a step below them.
He does lose the pay-per-view as well, so there's one of those 1-2 punches. It's like, oh well, all right. Though then he does move into the tag team with Styles, which does help. But
yeah, but I don't know. I saw him come out and he got like one of the biggest reactions when he was coming out. Like in the match, everyone was really hot for everything he did, and I was like, oh.
6-man tag team match on the March 25th episode. Chris Sabin, Sanjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal face the Diamonds in the Rough. Really short match, just in and out. Sabin pins Young with the Cradle Shock. Absolutely nothing going on with it. Yeah, poor Diamonds in the Rough.
I mean, this is their role, isn't it?
They do. There's a bunch of talk that they got in like Sports Illustrated. There's the White Sox stuff did get some decent media pickup, particularly in the Chicago area. Fatal 4-way match on the April 1st Impact, the number 1 contenders match.
This is kind of a fun one.
Samoa Joe. Oh, I forgot the Larry Zbyszko Samoa Joe promo. I don't remember where that was.
It was early on.
Yeah, where Joe is asking Larry for a rematch, and Larry says, no, you can't get it.
I thought this was weird. I felt like they were going to go in a different direction with Joe, and then, like, they just decided to, like, backtrack. Because the whole point of that thing with Larry Z was him going, you're getting comfortable in the X Division, you need to start moving out of the X Division.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that kind of buries the X Division, but sure, whatever. And then they announced the Sabu match, and then they just put him in this match, which I thought was weird. And then he wins it, which I thought was weird. And then he beats Christopher Daniels, which I thought was weird. I was like, it makes no, sense for what the story they were telling. So I was like, it felt like they may have had an idea for Joe, and then they decided to go the other way.
Which Dave actually explicitly suggests this month that's not the case. Like, Joe and Sabu at Lockdown was always meant to be the X title match. That you're right, that there is this backstage segment with Larry Z where Joe comes in and demands a rematch, and Larry's like, you're comfortable in the X Division, we're going to push you outside the X Division, so we're going to book you against a non-X Division wrestler at Lockdown, and I'll reveal that next week. Joe then got really mad, he pushed JB into a wall, threw a couch, kicked the door literally off the hinges, and left the room. My favorite part, if you watch him kicking the door off the hinges, one of the paintings then falls down off the wall, perfectly timed. It's really good.
I just thought it was an odd one. And, of course, Dave has to come here and fucking blow up my spot like he does every goddamn time.
We didn't mention on the March 25th show. He did. That is where Mike Tenay announces that Samoa Joe will face Sabu. They play Sabu's video. And he's like, you'll wrestle Sabu.
I actually think it's, really cool on paper.
Four-way match for the number one contendership. It is Joe versus Shelley versus Sabin versus Dutt.
So we have 3 members of Team USA. One who isn't in it yet, I don't think.
Yeah, Shelley qualifies the next week.
So it's a little weird dynamic there. I don't know. I liked it, but I was just kind of like, I don't know. I felt whiplashed by the Joe stuff, I guess.
Yeah, so Joe's just back here in the X Division immediately. Shelley attempts to strike up an alliance with Joe, which Joe ignores by leaving Shelley hanging on a high five. Daniels is at the desk, and a note I appreciate, because the idea that Daniels isn't giving Joe his rematch makes Daniels a bad babyface. But Daniels does stress on the desk, it's like, I was willing to give Joe a rematch at Lockdown. That wasn't my call.
Yeah.
Which I think is good for him as a babyface, because it would look really bad if he was just dodging Samoa Joe. Shelley crotch claws Dutt, then offers the crotch hand to Joe to make the tag, and Joe's like, no thank you, give me your other hand.
Sorry, another thing about Daniels on commentary, when Joe comes out and they kind of just stare down at each other. It's a good little touch, and Daniels just being like, I'll go right now.
Yeah. Dutt hits Joe with a sick Dragon Rana, which is fun to see Joe take bumps like that. As they go to break, Joe catches a Rana attempt by Dutt, rushes him into the corner, hits the muscle buster to the win. He's number one contender. Joe threw the towel at Daniels, and Daniels just slaps Joe and leaps over the table to start brawling. Straight into it, no hesitation.
Which, again, is covering up for the weird thing about him not giving him the rematch. It's he's like, I'll go right fucking now.
Security separate. They do announce that Daniels will defend the X Division title against Jushin Thunder Liger at Lockdown.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Doesn't happen.
Oh.
The next week they're like, oh, actually no, he doesn't want to have a cage match. Sorry.
Which is the real reason?
I think it is the real reason. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but you don't have to use the cage.
Well, it's Lockdown. You kind of do.
No, you don't actually have.
Oh, well, yeah, you can have a match within the cage. But I think part of it is that Liger had never had a cage match. And I think it was as much that if his first cage match was just to be an undercard nothing match.
Wasn't a fear of being injured or anything.
No, I think he just wanted that if he was going to do a cage match, it would have to be something special as opposed to just doing it as a challenger of the month for Daniels. And the funny thing is, by the time it got to Lockdown, it wouldn't have even been a challenger of the month. It wouldn't have been the X title match, which is a thing I do appreciate them also stressing. They're like, we have announced Joe and Daniels, but we also announced Daniels and Liger and Joe and Sabu. Whoever's champion will defend the belt in their match. That's the way it'll be at Lockdown. I do appreciate that they at least address that scenario.
Yeah.
April 8th, Impact. Team USA qualifier, Alex Shelley defeated Roderick Strong and Chase Stevens to get onto Team USA.
I was so fearful that Chase Stevens was winning this.
They were even Mike and Don on commentary, which it actually made sense, the rationale, but they were like, it would be best for Chase Stevens to win this because he has experience, working within a team and succeeding within a team. So they were even putting it over the idea that Chase Stevens winning would be good.
Yeah. He does not, fortunately.
This is Roderick Strong's final televised TNA match.
You go, remember when Roderick Strong just had a bunch of beast-ass TV matches?
He did have a series of killer and fun 4-minute television matches.
Unfortunately, that's all I got for that.
The best of which for me is still the Spike debut AJ one, even if it was cobbled together from 2 separate matches.
Yeah. Well, it was a benefit, obviously.
It is a really good match, even though it is 2 matches. It's a shame you didn't get much from Roddy. It's a shame that this is it. He does a couple house show matches after this, and then he does a 2010 Dark match as well.
It's a weird time for him to do that.
Yeah, you would, and like that's the era where they just weren't picking up guys like Strong. They were too busy pushing Crimson and Gunner and Anarchia that they couldn't hire Roderick Strong.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, the roster's really good. Eric Bischoff has a great eye for talent.
83 weeks, baby. Don't get depressed yet. We're not covering it.
That's true. We're 4 or 5 years away from it. We also missed the segment where Scott Steiner killed Norman Smiley. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that happened.
He killed him. He murdered him. Simon Diamond talked about iPod editing again. It's good fun. Actually, he said that the Sports Illustrated had the same iPod editing skills that TNA management had. That's the reason it's like that.
Something so fun about like bad technology, like aging, like stuff where you're like, oh, the iPod Nanos and such.
Yeah, because the iPod is really new here. It is a current reference. But yeah, looking back at it, the good old days of iPods. I stuck with an iPod longer than most because I liked to have 2 separate devices for like phone and podcast / music. So I wouldn't run down the battery on my phone while I was listening to podcasts. So for a while, I would have had an iPod longer than most.
I think that just confused me too much.
So yeah, Shelley qualifies for Team USA. He wins this match. Strong locks in the stronghold, but Shelley hits him with a super kick and falls with the sliced bread for the win. Shelley is the final member of Team USA alongside Sanjay Dutt, Chris Sabin, and Jay Lethal.
I mean, it's my favorite choice.
You would have preferred him over Roddy?
Yeah.
TNA plugs Casino Cinema featuring Beth O, who is Howard Stern's girlfriend, and I think now wife, and Steve Sharippa from The Sopranos, which is not the last we'll hear of that man in TNA history.
Okay. What was it called? Casino Cinema?
I looked this up. So Casino Cinema is a Spike programming block hosted by Steve Sharippa and Beth Ortrosky. The show, which was played around the commercial breaks of a film, featured the hosts plus a guest player teaching the audience how to play a casino game.
Oh.
You're really intrigued by this.
Yeah, I didn't expect that element of it. Fucking Ghost Ship's on this shit!
What was?
Ghost Ship!
What's Ghost Ship?
Oh, baby, you haven't seen Ghost Ship?
No.
Ghost Ship fucking owns, alright? It's a 2002 horror film. The opening scene, one of the best opening scenes in a horror movie ever.
Right.
Alright? After that, complete schlock. But the opening scene, fucking the tits, great. Like, I watched this movie like 5 times. First time I watched it at my friend's house, and Ghost Ship was playing, obviously. And the OST for Ghost Ship fucking, it's kind of like spooky hip hop.
Right.
So like, it started doing this, and we just started freestyling on the Ghost Ship, fucking beat. It's like, chilling on the Ghost Ship, running on the Ghost. And we did that for like an hour straight, and it's one of the greatest film viewing experiences of my life. Can we please watch Ghost Ship for the Patreon?
Sure, we'll do a Ghost Ship watch along.
Fuck yeah. Starring Australia's greatest export, Carl Urban. A very young Carl Urban doing this C-tier horror movie.
Good lord.
God. Ghost Ship rules, and it made money, so I'm just learning that now. I did not expect that. But just, it is an absolute dream of a film. We need to watch it. Yeah, because Ghost Ship had like Mudvayne on it.
What's Mudvayne?
Mudvayne is a American heavy metal band. It's weird and they're crazy, and oh man, what a fucking film.
I'm excited to watch it then.
Let's watch the fucking Ghost Ship.
Ghost Ship watch along, coming to a Patreon near you.
God, what a terrific mess.
Shelley's in Team USA.
Yeah, cool. But then, let me tell you, the Casino Cinema like run here of films, pretty fucking good.
Yeah, what else they got?
Bloodsport.
Pretty good.
So this is basically like what you would imagine someone in the early 2000s to like in a dorm room. This is what you would imagine their collection to be. Bloodsport, Fight Club, For Your Eyes Only, Hot Shot Part 2, Kickboxer, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, Point Break, Red Dawn, Rocky 4, Sin City, Sniper, Super Troopers, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 version, and Top Gun.
Certainly not films for babes.
No, the babes are not allowed at the Casino Cinema.
No.
Chris Angel appeared on this show. Christian Cage appeared on this show.
Yeah, because there will be TNA people on it. That's the reason.
Did he do the Ghost Ship episode?
never heard you more
How do I
excited
find
about
this?
anything
How
in
do
your
I-
life.
How do I fucking find this?
There's probably not good records of it.
Oh, I need to know.
Because it wasn't even like an official show. It was like wraparound segments while they aired the movie. So coming in and out of break, they would teach you stuff with Christian and then show Ghost Ship.
I'm so fucking pissed right now. If he did the Ghost Ship one, I don't know what I'll do. Wait, I can go to the Casino Cinema IMDb.
Yeah, they should have the episode listed.
Where are the episodes? One season. Okay. There's 4 seasons. Ghost Ship was season 4.
Oh.
October 2006.
Oh? If you click in, there should be a cast list.
There is one person listed in the cast, so I think that's true. I don't think it was him.
Aww.
Ghost Ship was the second last one. It really shows you.
Going out in a high.
I think it was the last one. Oh no, yeah, maybe? No, I don't know. God, which one did he do? Oh, sorry, you keep going. I'm gonna find out which one Christian Cage did.
This was the April 8th Impact, if you want to use that as your barometer.
Okay.
So it would have been the next one after that, presumably, is when they would have aired it.
October 9th. October 17th, Lethal Weapon 2.
Mm-hmm.
This just doesn't say.
We'll never
Doesn't
find
say
out.
who's on the fucking episode. Why?
April 13th Impact opened with the X Division Championship match between Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels.
Oh damn it! It's a match I have to talk about too.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. It's the best match in the history of the television show so far. So,
My quick thoughts. It's very good.
it's fucking awesome. As we talked about at the start, so they made the choice to start this show in progress. So you come into this X Division title match like 4 minutes in. The 4 minutes is actually on YouTube. You can go back and find the 2006 upload of the first few minutes of this match, which I did make available to Liam because I'm a very good podcast co-host.
Yeah, I really needed the first 5 minutes of this match.
Which they show replays of the main stuff that happened anyway. But like the first shot you see as they come on the air is Daniels is sitting on a chair against the rail, and Joe runs the boot against Daniels' already bleeding skull. And like that might be the best first shot in the history of pro wrestling television.
Why did they do this?
Again, to get the Ultimate Fighter audience.
But they started it in progress because of that. So people will be like, holy shit, something's going on.
Yeah, because like the idea is the way American TV works is they go straight from one program into the next. There's not an ad break at the end of the hour usually. So the way American TV works is like end of Ultimate Fighter straight into start of TNA Impact. So they wanted it so that, you know, Ultimate Fighter ends and the very first thing you see, the second Impact starts, is something really like eye-catching and something like that you'd be like, hell yeah, I'd want to watch what the fuck is happening here, because this man is bleeding and his face was just kicked off by this captivating Samoan man. So like that, I think that was the idea. They immediately try and hook the Ultimate Fighter audience by coming in on something really hot.
Well, I think that's actually pretty smart then.
Joe starts absolutely wailing on Daniels, beating the absolute shit out of him, relentlessly beating his ass, going straight after the cut, and Daniels is like gasping for air. He is like desperate for anything he can get. Great babyface performance from Daniels. Daniels starts firing up, but Joe plants him back down with the ST Joe. Perfect cut-off spot. Great hope spot. Crowd buy it as a comeback, and Joe just shuts it down. Daniels hits a pair of enziguris, which prompts Joe to like throw a wild out of control lariat that Daniels counters into the flatliner. And then Daniels just starts unleashing a run of near falls where he gets a big near fall on a Blue Thunder Bomb, an even bigger near fall on a BME that the crowd totally buy as the like potential first time Joe is losing. Daniels, like, I think this might be his best career performance as a singles wrestler, because like he's probably been involved in better matches, but like one-on-one, Daniels as like a babyface in this match is absolutely sensational. And then Joe counters a superplex into a top rope island driver, which is the first and only time I think he hits that move in TNA to win the belt to become new X Division champion.
You know what's funny?
What?
Before I ended up going and doing my like ROH watch, I had no idea about the island driver.
Yeah, it was never a TNA move. This is the only time he really did it. He occasionally did like, I think once or twice he did a standing one, like in the ring, a normal island driver, not off the middle rope. But like the one off the middle rope looks absolutely fucking devastating.
I found out that apparently Jeff Jarrett also did this.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that like they would get a bunch
But
of
he's
people
not
from
listed.
their properties.
He's not listed.
Because they probably had some UFC people on it as well.
The episode of Casino Cinema was called Total Nonstop Action.
Maybe they watched an episode of TNA. They taught you poker tricks along the coming in and out of the breaks from TNA.
This is really pissing me off that I can't find this.
You'll never find it. The Spike TV shows are really badly because like Spike wasn't like a huge network, so like the Spike originals aren't well documented, unfortunately. You can't find Pros versus Joes anywhere either. I'm very upset about that.
That seems like something that should have like survived the times.
Yeah, because that premiered this month, and that was a pretty decent hit show. But I don't think I haven't looked thoroughly for it, but like I don't think you can find episodes of Pros versus Joes. But yeah, best match in the history of the Impact Television show. One of the best matches in TNA history to this point. I think I went 4.5. I think this match is absolutely phenomenal and like really, really efficient in terms of like time used. Like the time on television is something like 12 or 13 minutes, and like it is the perfectly paced 12-minute match. Joe kills him. Daniels makes great comebacks, great near falls, and a really decisive, awesome finish. It's like you can't do TV wrestling, especially TV wrestling. I think if I've gone on this rant before, but like there is a fundamental difference between TV wrestling and pay-per-view wrestling. And I think a lot of the time people just do pay-per-view matches on TV instead of doing TV matches, and this is a perfect TV match.
Sorry, I'll stop looking. I can't find it. I was trying really hard. I thought I had a lead. I couldn't find it.
Give up on Casino Cinema.
Oh, God. Someone has to know.
No one knows. No one knows about these Spike TV originals. We are a solid podcast with a decent listener base. Nobody on earth has heard of Casino Cinema. I guarantee not a single one of our listeners is like, hell yeah, I loved Casino Cinema.
All right, fuck you. I'm going to Twitter then.
That's our big challenge. If you have heard of Casino Cinema and have any idea which episodes the TNA wrestlers appeared on, please let us know. But I would be stunned if anybody does. It was during this match where they announced that Liger was off of lockdown. A note from The Torch. New Japan Pro Wrestling pulled Jushin Liger from lockdown following a miscommunication between TNA management and New Japan representatives. Liger was originally scheduled to face Daniels in a non-title match. TNA did not inform New Japan of the all-cage match format until after they announced the match between Liger and Daniels on their website. There is no heat on anybody from either side. However, TNA CEO Kevin Day has been proactive working out the issues to create goodwill for future negotiations. And Daniels will face a mystery opponent at the pay-per-view. So, Dave does note it's definitely not a scheduling issue, because while there was New Japan events the same weekend as lockdown, Liger was never booked on them, so it wasn't an issue that Liger was booked on those all along. Seems to be the case that he didn't want to do his first cage match as an undercard match against Dan.
I feel like I should give some notes about the match.
Tell me, what did you think about this wrestling match?
I didn't love it as much as you did. You were like fucking nutto for it, 4.5 stars. I went for a meager 4.25.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was a really, really good TV match. It obviously doesn't hit as high as some of the other Joe stuff that we've seen, or the other Daniel stuff that we've seen, but it's really fun. It's worth going out and like checking out if you're looking for it. I do like the dynamic that Daniels and Joe brought, with Daniels just getting fucking murdered. Like Joe was just like, it felt more like a rehabilitation for Joe, even though I don't think Joe really needed it. Yeah, I was still bummed by the finish, but like overall, you can't get mad at a match like that on TV.
Yeah, like Daniels, it does feel like there should have been more to him as babyface X Division champion, because this is kind of Daniels. I think he gets one more like quick run with the belt toward the end of 2006, start of 2007. But this is like the end of Daniels in the X Division as a champion for the most part, and that's kind of a shame, because there seem to be legs in him as a babyface, but then there's legs in him and AJ as a babyface tag team, so it's not like they completely wasted it. Go home show. Team Canada's A1 PD Williams, Bobby Roode, and Eric Young faced Team USA's Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, Sanjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal in a World X Cup preview match.
I know you're expecting a lot from me here.
Yeah, I took most of the last match, so this is tell me everything about this match.
Well, all I really remember is that Team USA had a real fucked song.
Oh, so bad.
Like, I don't get what it was meant to be.
Because like it was meant to be the do song, but there was like the most cursed USA USA chants at the start of it that were really off-putting. Yeah,
I don't know. And it's really like, it's a weird bump because there's two big like USA versus other country feuds going on, and I feel like they could have played into that a little bit, but they didn't really.
Yeah, because we'll talk about the Team 3D stuff in a second, but like the Team 3D stuff started where Team 3D were having like Team 3D Nation flags instead of American flags, which is weird. I would personally not want to be a member of the Team 3D Nation. I would not subscribe to their
ideologies.
Yes, I would like to stay, especially given the face paint Bully Ray wore at the pay-per-view. I would like to stay as far away from that as possible. But I think that was a conscious choice at first, because they're like, we're doing a Team USA, we can't do them being Team USA, but then they're like, oh fuck it, it's stupid if they're just not being American.
I think they could have just played into it though. Like, just had them, like, do, like, a 10-man tag or something, you know?
Because they're still feuding with Team Canada, who will still be in the World X Cup. So it's not like half of the feud isn't also in the World X Cup.
Yeah. Of course, the other part of this is that Jerry Lynn does announce that Chris Sabin is the captain of Team USA, and he does it in very, like, classic Jerry Lynn style, in which he cuts a promo, and then he ends it with something loud. I really wanted him to, like, go, like, Go USA!
He basically did. It's actually like he peaks the audio when he's like, "Go USA!" So the story here largely is that Alex Shelley has obviously been palling about with Team Canada and Planet Jarrett for a while now. He's best pals with Eric Young. So the idea here is that he is not exactly a loyal member of Team USA heading into the World X Cup.
Yeah, but I like Shelley's indifference to helping.
He's not a nationalist, Liam.
I'm just realizing, why don't we end the podcast with Adrenaline Rush?
We did once. You demanded I do it, but then they stopped using Adrenaline Rush at the end of episodes, but then they brought it back this month, so I think but I am worried that it's like a library track, so we might get monetized problems with it.
We can use 7 seconds of it, right?
But if it gets caught in the I'll use a little bit of it. A little bit.
Can you get like Adrenaline Rush, and then cut it there?
Yeah, we'll see how much we can get away with it. I'll see, because I'm mostly concerned about posting full episodes on YouTube and whether or not that we make any fucking money. We make 15 cents anyway. But I want that.
But you know, when we blow up.
Yeah, so I want to make sure we don't run into problems using it, because it's not a TNA track. It is so far as I'm aware, a library track, because other people have used it.
We're allowed to use TNA tracks.
Yeah, well, no one will give out to me for that, because I'd be the one giving out to me.
But yeah, Adrenaline Rush. I got really distracted. I also looked up at the timer in the podcast recording and thought it said 9 hours.
We haven't been here that long. It's only currently 3:53.
I was like, holy shit.
You talked through the entire night.
I was like, I went, how long was I looking at Casino Cinema?
You were gone there for a while, to be fair.
I'm so sorry. I got so, like, I thought I got a lead when I found that the name of the episode was Total Nonstop Action.
I wonder if there are, like, any clips. Should go look for that at some point.
I found one. I found a clip of... Was Guzman on it?
Oh, Luis Guzman.
Yeah, he did an appearance. But that's the only footage I could find.
I only know Luis Guzman from the community bit, where like he's a graduate of Greendale Community College. He's like the famous celebrity who comes back to Greendale. It's like, our former student, Luis Guzman. But yeah, the highlight of this 8-man tag is Eric Young takes a drop kick from Jay Lethal and takes the wildest bump you have ever seen for a missile drop kick. Like, he takes a full overhead bump.
He like floats like almost out of the, like, you'll see people kind of take that bump now where they'll float out and they'll go out to the floor. But except he doesn't.
Yeah, he bounces off the ropes, comes back, and does another, like, spin. It's insane. Lethal makes incidental contact with Shelley, which allows A1 to pin him with a pump handle slam, and then Team USA is mad at Alex Shelley.
As they should be, to be honest.
Yeah, you also have a feature on Joe versus Sabu on that show. And they also announced during that match that Daniels will face a mystery opponent at Lockdown. So those are our X Division matches. And we have one more thrown on for good measure. We have an escape match to get to no build. Lockdown, multiple X Division matches, starting with Team Japan's Black Tiger Minoru Tanaka and Hiroki Goto facing Team USA's Alex Shelley, Sanjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal.
What a wild combination of people.
Black Tiger, Minoru Tanaka, and Hiroki Goto.
I mean, it's awesome. It's an awesome match. But, like, I don't know. Like, it's just a weird one that you should go out and probably just see.
Yeah, it's a fun combination of guys. It's like, it's not like a blowaway best match ever, but it's really cool to see these guys working, and they work really hard. And there's lots of, like, cool, like, triple team stuff in it. Like, they work as trios, which I really enjoy. I always like when trios work as trios instead of just like 3 guys who happen to be teaming together. They did take the Cursed USA chants off of the Team USA song here.
Bullshit.
I think they realized how demonic they were, which is actually quite fitting for America, but still.
Yeah, it's very appropriate.
Shelley, when making his entrance, offers his camera to Soul Calval for safekeeping.
I'm trying to see how many matches Goto had in North America.
Mike today does note this is his North American debut.
He does TNA.
He did some Ring of Honor.
He did ROH in 2015. But yeah, this is his only non-like ROH New Japan American shows.
Because he's never been over for Forbidden Door either, has he?
Yes, he was.
Oh, he did one of the pre-show match. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did a a Rampage tag with the Bucks. They did Bishamon versus the Bucks.
So yeah, he's done a few bits and bobs.
What a weird match. But yeah, he's never like had an extended stay. His excursion was Mexico.
And he's not really one of the guys who was like one of the regular go-to guys to come to America, like an Ishii has become.
Hiroki Goto versus Shocker for the NWA International Junior Heavyweight title.
Hey, you might get some Goto and Shocker interaction in this World X Cup.
He was doing Torimon Mexico as well as CMLL.
So Team Mexico's Shocker, Puma, and Magno appear on the ramp. We'll have lots to talk about Team Mexico in a moment. And the ordeal it seemed to be to put together a Team Mexico team for this tournament. Shelly goes for a super kick, but Goto moves and Shelly nails Dot. Tanaka super kicks Lethal, tees up a Black Tiger suplex for the win. Team Japan pick up the victory. Team USA continues to be in shambles.
Oh yeah, because they have one guy who's kind of working for the other teams.
Yeah, even the Japanese guys. Because I was thinking like Shelly starts the match with Minoru Tanaka, and I think Shelly will probably get an extreme kick out of working with Minoru Tanaka.
I'm sure that they might have done some stuff elsewhere, right?
Was Minoru Tanaka still kicking about in like 2011, 2012? We watched 2012,
yeah,
he wasn't there, so...
But like Shelly did like 0-1 and stuff, but they might have missed each other. Yeah, look.
TNA is hammering out the details of the upcoming World X Cup tournament.
They sure are.
There will be no UK team due to scheduling conflict with Doug Williams and Nigel McGuinness. TNA management scouted several wrestlers for Team Mexico during a visit to CMLL several months ago. However, there were many conflicts trying to get the desired talent into Orlando for the tournament. TNA will now be working with AAA. Shocker is expected to return to Orlando representing Team AAA and Team Mexico.
It's kind of crazy that like they have a Team AAA and a Team New Japan.
Yeah, in the same tournament. And they tried their damnedest to get CMLL in this damn thing, so...
I found something very interesting while looking for this. There is a Motor City Machine Guns versus Daisuke Sakamoto and Masato Tanaka match.
That's a random combination of people. When, like 2006?
From 2008.
Really?
In Ryogoku Kukugaken.
Nailed it.
At 1:30 a.m.
That's 0-1, is it?
It seems to be like a cross promotion kind of show, like a produce show or something.
Because the Guns would have been New Japan regulars at that point, right? Or maybe just short of being. Maybe 09 when they started doing like matches with No Limit and Devitt and Taguchi.
Oh, there seems to be like a fair bit of New Japan on here, of TNA on here. Because there's Christopher Daniels versus Akuto Hidaka, Eric Young, Kohei Sato, and Masahiro Chono versus Dick Togo, Don Fry, and Scott Norton.
Dream match.
Yeah, wild. What a weird show this is. Alright. That was the main event too.
All sorts of things have come up regarding International and the World X Cup due to dealings with both New Japan and CMLL, or in the latter case, a lack of dealings. After first being given the okay from Mystico, Ultimo Guerrero, Rey Bucanero, and Ultimo Dragon for the X Cup, which will start at the TV tapings following lockdown, and the preview matches at lockdown. There were all sorts of problems dealing with TNA. For some reason, TNA sent in a second list of talent, which included Perry Aguirre Jr., Mephisto, and Averno, which they thought was approved, but then CMLL sent back a list of talent they were willing to send, and the key was, not one person TNA requested was on the list. At the same time, Antonio Pena, who has booked Jeff Jarrett and other TNA wrestlers, complained to Jarrett that he was using their talent. It would be like him sending talent to WWE for them to be using CMLL talent, so he felt a little jilted, as they always do. At this point, it looks like it'll be AAA with Shocker and Abismo Negro, both of whom have worked for TNA before. Conan heavily pushed a Tijuana flyer called Extreme Tiger, because they wanted a high flyer on the team, and there are several names being talked about regarding the fourth position, including Zorro Oriental and Zumbido.
Okay.
Extreme Tiger, you know how that is, don't you?
Extreme Tiger.
He's Tigre Uno.
Yeah. I knew that. I did not click that that time period would work out.
Yeah, he's been around for fucking ever, and future X Division champion. Pena is trying to send Oriental and Charlie Manson, although if TNA uses him, I'd expect a name change, says Dave. The name La Parca has been considered since he's probably the most popular wrestler in AAA, but the overall feeling on him is negative, because the feeling is the American fans will see it as them putting a fake guy in a La Parca outfit and reject him. They're like they fucking care, by the way. Like the American fans take super seriously the La Parca lore. There's also a newcomer out of Juarez places, who doesn't have a national name in Mexico City, but is said to be a strong flyer who is under consideration. Dave does not name that person, but who knows who it could be. On the Japanese side, the only change for the X Cup is for the better. Hiroki Goto is in for Gedo.
And then we fucked up the UK team.
Yeah, they're just gone.
God, we could have got Nigel and Doug.
Yeah, and Johnny Storm and Jody Fleisch.
That's a much better Team UK.
But they're gone. They're not in. Dave offers the latest craziness on Team Mexico. Antonio Pena has been unable to be reached because he was at a party and his cell phone was stolen. Somehow the person who wound up with it and found out it was Pena's was trying to find him and get it back to him. There were attempts to contact Shocker, but his girlfriend said he was on tour for 3 weeks, which Dave says sounds like code for something else. And he's no showed he's in the doghouse in AAA apparently because AAA doesn't have 3-week tours. Abismo Negro may also be unavailable. Extreme Tiger and Moscow de la Merct, which it might be the other flyer he was talking about, don't have valid working papers, and Moscow doesn't even have a tourist visa, and there's not time to take care of it. The Mystico and Juarez, who has a new name now, is out with a broken hand, but would be back in time. Magno, who is 6'1" from El Paso, has been talked about because he's 21 and can speak some English.
Now. We are definitely the podcast to handle this.
Yeah, I'm definitely the guy who runs Lucha Blog, actually. I never told you that, but I'm the man behind the blog.
My God.
I know Magno, though he's a future Ring of Honor guy. Has been talked about because he's 21 and can speak some English, which is the reasons they wanted Shocker. The whole problem with CML is that Paco Alonso's business is great right now and doesn't want to do anything to interrupt the momentum or have his guys get exposure elsewhere. His feeling is that if he lets any of his top guys go to TNA, if they get over, TNA will want them for more dates and try to hire them. Or if they get over, someone in WWE might see them and want to hire them before TNA offers them a contract. That doesn't stop them from taking Mystico from me anyway, guys. Either way, it does him
like
no...
2 years?
Yeah, it's not too long after this, is it? Remember when they made such a big deal about them signing Mystico?
Well, it felt like a big deal.
Yeah, and then they absolutely fucked it. And now he's the biggest star in the world again.
Good work. Can't keep a good man down.
Either way, it does him no benefit to allow his talent to have options, and he doesn't want anyone to do anything that can mess with his current winning formula. Alonso remembers in 1992 when the last period of business being through the roof was killed, when he had a mass exodus of talent with the forming of AAA. He's worried that in the TNA environment that Conan is there, and Conan may try and make contact with them, and for any projects he might have in the Lucha Libre world, or try to convince him to work AAA, as it isn't like he wasn't involved in some of last year's talent raids. So that's a lot of messiness about putting together this Team Mexico.
That is
an absolute disaster. So they end up on the pay-per-view, they show Shocker, they show Magno, and they show famous Mexican Puma who has been drafted in. They also get Incognito, who would go on to become fake Sin Cara.
Oh yes. So they did it before WWE even could.
They technically got the Mystico they always wanted. Just before he even knew he was Mystico. And another note, Nasawa from All Japan wanted to move to Orlando and work in TNA as a regular, but there doesn't seem to be interest in him. So Christopher Daniels has a mystery opponent on the pay-per-view. It is a wrestler I've never heard of. It's Senshi?
Senshi. Shenron.
Remember when Del Rios appeared as a fake Scott Steiner?
Yeah.
I think this guy's just a fake Loki.
Yeah, because if it was Loki, they'd just call him Loki.
Yeah, they just call him Loki. Why would they not call him Loki? Unless they suddenly wanted... I love the Warrior bit of the Paparazzi Productions. Warrior. Warrior. You said Warrior to all 5 of these. Can you not tell me that this looks a little bit like Jim Hellwig? So yeah, it is the returning Loki, the former Triple X partner. Mike Tenay announces that his name is now Senshi. He's announced as formerly known as Loki. It's Senshi.
All right.
He didn't want to sign over the name. That's basically it. Which, fair play.
Yeah, he should have been Loki. Loki.
And when he comes back, he is Loki. The multiple other times
because at that point, they don't care about the name.
Yeah, they're not being bitches about it. And it just speaks to them just being like petty little insecure WWE wannabes at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we want to own your name. Oh, fuck off.
But it's not like they're doing it for everyone. It's so weird.
It's just the guys signing new deals, it seems. I do think, like, there is... I'm pretty sure TNA has, like, marketing rights for certain individuals that don't work there anymore just because they sign deals like this.
That's awesome.
But yeah, Daniels Loki, it's a good match. It's not a great match. It's a pretty solid, decent match. Not much heat, but it is the second match on the show, so they're not going wild.
It's just kind of interesting to see Key back.
Daniel suplexes Senshi into the cage at some point, and I'm kind of interested about how you age into a show like this.
Yeah, like who can do what cage spots. Like, what story can you tell in the cage? Because it's going to be used over and over and over again.
Yeah, so like you have seven matches, I think, on the show, plus an arm wrestler. So you're like, which of these matches deserve, like, who gets to dive off a cage? Like Chase Stevens does, Christian does. So like, how do you decide who gets to dive off a cage? Who gets to suplex somebody into a cage? Or like, because the opener is the 6-man tag, and that really doesn't use the cage at all. Like they do just do a match that happens to have a cage around it. It is interesting, like the psychology of building an all steel cage match pay-per-view, so you don't burn people out too much on cage spots. Daniels hits the BME, but Senshi kicks out. Senshi reverses the Angel's wings into a pin, puts his feet on the middle buckle to score the win. And I had a question. It's like, is that illegal?
In a cage match?
Just in general.
I think it would be illegal. It's still the ropes.
Is it still the ropes, though?
Well, if you were in a submission and you grabbed the turnbuckle, would it be a rope break?
No one's ever done it. I don't know.
I don't think it is, because you can, because people climb it, right?
Yeah, and they don't break the hold.
I don't know, we need a ref.
We do. Slick Johnson, fellow bald man for these men, did not see it, so he didn't make a call either way. But I was thinking about that. It's like, feet on the middle buckle. It's like, which actually created a nice visual in terms of the leverage. It did look good. But I'm like, is that technically illegal in wrestling lore?
I don't know.
But then the third X Division match is a fun, notable one. It's Samoa Joe versus Sabu for the X Division Championship.
Yeah, it's not remarkable, but there was extenuating factors. But it's still a fun note.
Yeah, it's not remarkable in a way that makes it remarkable.
Yeah.
Because Sabu's arm is broken.
Straight up.
He's just broken. Apparently, he took a chair shot from La Parca in Mexico, and he put his arm up to protect it, but he swung the chair so hard that it went through the arm, broke his arm, split his head open, and badly swelled up his elbow. So...
Gross.
And apparently this match was set to go longer because there was a bunch of talk, because he's already been announced for One Night Stand this year at this point. So everyone already knows he's returning to WWE, and they've already announced, like, there's I think it's announced in the run up to One Night Stand that ECW will be returning as a brand. So I think there is the anticipation that Sabu is leaving. I think everyone kind of knows he's leaving. So there was some worry that, like, both because of that and because of the whole broken arm part, he might actually no-show. And he doesn't. He shows up and he's like, don't cut my time. I want to work a full match. Until he gets in the ring, where apparently he called it on the fly, being like, I am in so much fucking pain. We can't go much longer.
He's a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, the idea that he's like, don't cut my time. I can do it. He goes in there. It's like, fuck no, I can't do it. This fucking sucks. And Sabu of all, because apparently, like, a lot of people, there might be heat on somebody doing that. But everyone's like, Sabu is a crazy man. If he is like, I can't continue, my arm is too sore, that man fucking means it.
Exactly. Like, that's not a guy that's just gonna be like, nah, I'm done now.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I just want to get out of this. And like, the people thought he might want to get out of doing a job, but no, like, the man fulfilled his commitment. He did the clean job to Samoa Joe, muscle buster in the middle of the ring. It's a 6-minute match. It's only as good as a 6-minute match with a man with a broken arm can be. It's kind of a shame because, like, Sabu and Joe is a cool match.
Yeah, you really wish they would have got the opportunity to do something bigger.
Because, like, the two Samoa Joe dream matches they've done so far have both been, like, compromised in weird ways. The Liger one at Bound for Glory and the Sabu one now. Like, neither of them have really hit the way you'd want, and it's kind of a shame.
Both with, like, weird, extenuating circumstances. Both with going home early.
So yeah, Joe wins with the muscle buster. There was also a thing where, like, Sabu was mad because he thought he'd get 2 paydays because he thought he was doing the Monday TV as well, but he wasn't booked for the Monday TV and felt double crossed. It's also like, dude, you had your arm broken.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what were they going to do with you? But yeah. Oh, and there was also the X Division Escape match. So Chris Sabin, Elix Skipper, Petey Williams, Puma, Shark Boy, and Chase Stevens in an X Division Escape match.
What an odd one.
Yeah, the rules are it's pinfall elimination until you get down to the final 2, where then the winner is the first person to escape the cage. Over the top, no doors.
Like, it's a fine addition to the pay-per-view card, I guess. But, like, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose.
Yeah, it's very much, we have these guys that throw them to fill out the show. There's worse ways you can do that than throw a bunch of X Division guys in to have a scramble, because you ended up having the best match of the show doing that exact same thing last month. So, yeah, it's a good match. They're not a great match. It's maybe the worst match on the show, because this is actually, like, there's a decently high floor for this pay-per-view, which is unusual, because there's usually, like, a bad match or two, usually involving the James Gang. Like, I think this is, with, like, 275 or something. It's the lowest I went on something on this show, but, like, the highest I went is 4 for the main event, or no, 375.
You went 3 3/4.
Yeah, so like everything kind of hits between like 275 375, which makes it a nice kind of breezy show, but there's nothing really hitting on a higher level.
But we got that on TV this month, so...
Yeah, they gave you the best match on TV.
So, we still get our one good match a month quota.
TNA and West call back to the cage walk as Skipper makes his entrance, so they haven't let that one let go, thankfully.
Why would they?
The story of this match is Simon Diamond and Scott D'Amore are on the floor, and they strike up a scheme. They're like, PD and Skipper are going to work together for the entirety of the match. They're going to eliminate everybody, and then they're going to duke it out between the two of them, and naturally PD betrays. So he looks Skipper.
Which shows you, like, the hierarchy of the heels, too.
Yeah, it's like the nerd heels get jobbed out by the actual, not even pushed heels, the mid-card heels. I do like Scott D'Amore wandering over. It's like, we're going to do it like in the old country, like gentlemen.
Great tracksuits on both men.
That should be a requirement for all stables and all coaches. Tracksuits everywhere. PD eliminates Shark Boy with the Canadian Destroyer. PD then does a lovely like cage walk tornado DDT where he runs across the cage, hits the DDT. Very, very nice. Chase Stevens. He climbs to the top of the cage.
I remember now.
And he does a shooting star press off the top of the cage.
In a sense.
He does do the move. Now, does he hit anybody? No. But...
Well, he does hit them. Is he caught by anybody?
He does graze down the middle of a couple of them and land face first on the mat. And then Don West, without missing a beat, he's like, right on his face!
Yeah, really, like, got to draw to the fact that the man just, like, landed face first.
It is, listen, it's not good for Chase Stevens to do it. You make him look like a dork. But, like, it is probably the better thing to do to say, oh, they all sidestepped him and he ate shit, than it is to pretend he actually hit them.
Yeah.
Because he is actually eliminated immediately after. So maybe it was deliberate. Maybe it was like, guys, get out of the way. That'll be a sick way to get me out of there.
Yeah, I don't think that's it.
I don't think it is. Skipper.
Unless he's a real crazy man.
Skipper pins him immediately with a Celtic Cross. Play of the day? Game over? Something like that. Play of the day is the overdrive one.
Celtic Cross?
That fella. That's the name of the Finlay move. I watched David Finlay growing up. I'm sorry, Liam.
I thought the Celtic Cross is different.
No, what's the Sheamus one?
No,
wait, that's the Celtic Cross. White
what's
Noise.
The Razor's Edge?
White Noise is what I'm thinking of. Right? You were right to question me. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the Celtic Cross is the Razor's Edge.
You could slap me in the face.
Oh, no.
You felt really bad about that.
Yeah. Sheamus, by the way, back.
In
Played a
WWE?
vignette on Raw. I watched Raw.
I didn't even hear about that, so good for him.
Yeah. Played a big Shamo vignette.
Fella.
He's returning. There was no Tamatonga.
He can finally win the Intercontinental title, given Gunther doesn't have it.
Him and Zayn. Yeah, that'd be good.
Actually, him as a heel against Zayn would probably be really good.
But people can't... I think, like... Oh, this is not what people came for. But I think the story of him winning the IC title is too babyface.
It probably is, but maybe you do the story of him being like, he couldn't win it, so he cheats to win it.
Also, it's Gable Zayn next week.
Yeah, poor Gable.
So they might take the coward way out.
Gable's just going to lose again, it's fine.
Yeah, and... Well, it is in Montreal, so...
Oh no, Gable is going to cheat. Oh no.
And
Actually,
Sheamus Gable?
you know, it's a solid story that, like, he couldn't beat Gunther, so he trained a guy who could, and then he's going to fuck over the guy he cheated, because, like, he could beat Zayn, but he can't beat Gunther, you know? That's actually not bad.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Booker of the Year strikes again.
Listen, he did win it. PD betrays Skipper, rolls him up. Diamond is very mad. He goes to throw down with D'Amore, but they both start like rolling their sleeves up and throwing their jackets off. But Skipper gets knocked into Diamond before they could fight.
Who are you
PD,
taking a fight?
Simon Diamond's from Jersey. He's got some tactics. Those boys. The Windsor is near Detroit, so you know what? Could go either way. PD catapults Puma into a Sabin cradle shock for the elimination. D'Amore stops Sabin from reaching the ropes because they go to the escape the cage portion then. So they're both climbing out of the cage. D'Amore stops Sabin from getting down and then starts gloating. And PD looks to drop off but drops onto Scott D'Amore's shoulders. There's a moment of panic where they realize his feet haven't touched the floor, which opens Sabin to drop off and win. Sabin wins the elimination next. I really like that finish. That finish is really good.
And the right winner too, being the leader of Team USA.
USA. We're all Jerry Lynn. Destroy the opposition.
What a dork-ass thing to say. Let's get to the racism portion of the show.
Which one?
Team 3D.
Team 3D. They build the shit out of this match. There's so much build to this match this month.
Yay. But we're gonna speed through it.
Larry Z, March 18th Impact, announces next week that Team Canada will face Team 3D inside 6 sides of steel in the main event of Impact. So there's a steel cage match main eventing Impact in the build up to the steel cage pay-per-view. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind it. Like, listen, we're not protecting the steel cage, are we? We're doing a whole pay-per-view of it, so throw one on TV.
That is the thing. Like, the cage match is like so not special that like you can just do it. It's fine.
Had a whole rant about it.
Oh yeah, you did, with inspirational music no less. So then, main event of the March 25th Impact is that 6 Sides of Steel match, Team 3D versus Team Canada. The most notable bit of which is the amount Eric Young bleeds.
Yeah, it for this TV match.
Not even a good one either.
Hey, he tries.
Yeah, it is not for lack of trying from Eric Young, because Devon catapults him into the cage, which busts him open, which is also maybe the first time that spot has ever looked good, because like Young propels himself with such a momentum that it actually looks like he actually flung him into the cage, as opposed to most of the time where they go up in like 3 different motions and it looks really bad.
Yeah, because it's 2006 Eric Young, goddammit.
Yeah, and EY is bleeding a lot. Like a lot. And then the match just kind of goes on and they pin EY with a 3D.
And then they get the heat back and they drape 3D under the Canadian flag. The most obnoxious, devilish thing one can do.
That red and white, it's disgusting. I hate to see it.
More like Team Blandada.
Yeah, AMW attack after the match.
You're not giving me that one?
Nope, nothing. Jay Lee.
Team...
It is funny.
Slamada.
I notice it more when I'm editing than anything else, but like at least 40% of the time I no sell you, it is because my brain is like, where are we going next? So I'm like, haha, yeah, move on. So it's just like, you're like,
but sometimes it's deserved.
like you dropped Wrestle Once Upon a Time on me on the Patreon show on the last Rain Takers, and I completely no sold it. It deserved to be acknowledged.
Well, I thought because that was like one that was so up your alley too. I was surprised by the lack of acknowledgement. Taken aback even. I
heard it in the edit. It's like, how did I ignore that one? That's very good. But it, like usually if I do no sell you, it is largely because I'm like, all right, where the fuck am I? What am I going to next? Yeah. AMW attack after the match. Jay Lethal of all people make the save.
You don't have to justify my shit, like ignoring my shitty jokes.
I will always acknowledge you, sir. You are my Roman Reigns.
I'm the tribal chief, baby.
Sanjay tries to make the save, so does Sabin. I guess the tie-in with the World X Cup stuff, but it's weird that they're the ones that try to run out.
Okay, there's a little bit of a tie-in there, I guess.
Yeah.
They could have just done a 10-man tag. I don't know.
But like the weird thing is, like, you had Christian and Truth involved with Team Canada and stuff for a while, and they don't bother. They're like, we're done with that. We're moving on. We're too busy fighting the broader planet, Jared. We don't need to deal with the Canadian nation. We have a planet on our hands.
The Canadian nation.
As opposed to the Team 3D nation. PD splashes Bully through a table and it just kind of crumbles. And then they whip Bully through the table and it explodes. So they do make up for it. They drape 3D under the Canadian flag and sing the anthem. And my favorite part is as they're all singing the anthem, they're all delighted. They're all very happy for themselves. And Eric Young is standing there bleeding with his hand on his heart. And they get through the "Oh Canada" and Eric Young just faints.
I wonder if that was like a planned thing, or if he's just like, this makes sense.
I really hope that's like an instinct in the moment thing, where he's just like, he's bleeding, he's really feeling it, he's like, I should not just stand here, I should really sell this blood. So he's like, oh, okay, and just collapses to the mat.
Yeah.
Team 3D open the next episode as they are singing the anthem. They come through the crowd. This is the show where they have the Team 3D Nation flag,
which looks problematic.
Yeah, congratulations on their designation as a country from the UN, though. That takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
They beat Team Canada's ass all over the building. Bully looks to powerbomb D'Amore through a table, which we wouldn't get to do until 2023. But Team Canada turned the tide. EY looks to drop Devon through a table with the Devon looks to Devon elbow drops EY elbow. Having a stroke. We're nearly 5
4.5 hours for recording. 4.5 hour recording.
EY elbow drops Devon through a table. They then drape the flag across Bully, and D'Amore says he has no respect for America.
Yeah, we got that. You've made that quite evident.
He does make that quite clear on multiple occasions. Next episode of Impact, JB has Team 3D. JB announces 3D will face Team Canada in an anthem match at Lockdown. Bully asks JB, is he American? Because he seems in a good mood about that match. He's not mad about what happened. And then he's like, you'd be like one of those gay Americans with a gay drink order. I forgot what the drink he said was.
Gay. It was a spritzer, I believe.
Yeah, it was like, you're gay. You're gay. Your drink is gay.
Gay. Fucking, what do I call it? Brokeback Mountain.
He does a lockdown-themed version of the Pledge of Allegiance, which I feel like violates the Pledge of Allegiance. You're pledging allegiance to something else then.
Yeah, fake Americans.
Presumably pledging allegiance to the Team 3D Nation. First episode of Impact on a Thursday, April 13th, 2006. There was an AMW versus Team Canada street fight.
Wow.
Daniel's blood is dried into the mat.
It could be EY's.
That's true. It could be there for quite a while. You're not wrong.
So yeah, like, the James gang.
Yeah.
They just kind of... Why are they there?
No, this is a different match.
Oh, I'm just having a stroke. I thought we were talking about AMW and the James gang.
We will talk about AMW and the James gang when we get to the most important part of the show, which is family drama.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
This is the first episode on Thursday where they have a street fight that ends in a no contest.
I don't even remember that.
Where Team 3D are dressed as they are and AMW are wearing jeans and Mike and Don are like, they come dressed as for a street fight. It's like Team 3D are not dressed for a street fight. They always dress like that.
Yeah, I remember now.
Gail and Jackie get in the ring as Gail slaps Jackie. Then we just go to like legal tags. This match with legal tags in a street fight ends in a no contest.
It's stupid.
Bully throws Storm into a wall. Well, he more dents the wall. They do that spot a lot where they throw them into there's a wall in the impact zone that they enjoy denting quite a bit.
Yeah, they have like a designated destruction wall.
They kind of do. It's like a video game. It's like, this is the destructible wall. But the crux of this match, PD pulls the referee out. All of Team Canada hit the ring to jump 3D. And you have the debuting Spike Dudley to make the save.
Big hero.
Getting legitimately like a top 3 pop in TNA history.
It's crazy. People love Spike.
Like, there's Road Warriors, there's Sting, and there's Spike Dudley, I think, as the 3 biggest pops in TNA history.
Call it the LSD pop.
Yeah. He comes out, he hits the acid drop.
Yeah. My man just turned into LA Knight.
I always turn into LA Knight. I'm still mad that they cut the dummy. The dummy is the fun part of that slogan. It would be much more tolerable if you were just shouting dummy. Yeah. Plus, that's the call. That's the call and response. It's not yeah. It's dummy, and crowds say yeah. That's it. Oh, never you mind. But yeah, he hits the acid drop on Rude. He hits the acid drop on Rude. 3D hit A1 with a 3D to the table as today announces that all 3 members of Team 3D will face Team Canada at Lockdown in an Anthem match. We already talked about the go home show where Team 3D faced Jarrett and AMW. Perfectly forgettable match. Also has the same crowd brawling. And that does bring us to the pay-per-view in which Team 3D face AMW's combination of A1, Bobby Roode, and Eric Young. There's 2 backstage interviews, one with Team 3D, where Bully Ray is like, I would rather go back to that filthy company up north in Connecticut rather than listen to the Canadian national anthem one more time. And Devon is like, you serious? And Bully is like, no.
My feeling about this is that like for some reason they put the smallest man in the back of the shot.
You just hide and runt back there. He is called Brother Runt, so the runt of the litter.
Brother, you know it.
You are Australian. JB also has Team Canada. They're singing the national anthem. JB said Team 3D had strong words earlier, which spooked Eric Young. He's like, strong words? What kind of words?
They said F you, Eric Young.
John Cena?
Yeah. This is going off the rails.
A1 accidentally... we still have 3LK family drama. A1 accidentally waves the flag on EY, which also spooked EY. He was waving the flag and it just touched him. He's like, oh!
Again, great pro wrestling instincts.
D'Amore does have a solid Bully impression as he's doing, we're the best tag team of all time. We've won 15 tag team titles. Says Team 3D has never won the NWA World Tag Team titles, and they have twice. And then there's some Larry Zbyszko nonsense where he's like, Scott, can you tell me what's happening? And Larry's like, or Scott's like, I tried to warn you a few times and you blew me off, so fuck you.
I like that even the people he colluded with are like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, they're all over Larry. He's betrayed everybody. He is a man on an island. He just has us rooting for him.
Yeah.
6 sides of steel flag match. Team Canada faced Team 3D and Brother Runt.
Well, the match is like whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do some things, they go through some tables, whatever. I think the more pressing issue is the choice of face paint for Brother Runt and Brother Ray.
Oh, is there a third set of face paint?
No. You may have noticed I did not mention Devon. That is because Devon was wearing no face paint.
Yeah.
Yet Brother Runt and Brother Ray were wearing predominantly brown face paint.
A little bit of grey.
Yeah, a little bit of grey, a little bit of green in there. But for some reason, Brother Ray's base colour was brown.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's worse that Devon doesn't have any face paint on.
It is. I think it is.
Because that just draws attention to the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's an odd choice. And that paired with other Brother Ray story beats that we have encountered so far just makes you go, huh?
Bit weird. It's a bit weird.
It's very bad look, especially towards the end of the match when my man has been sweating so hard and it's just turned into one color.
Yeah, the Greys begin to run into the Browns and become even more predominantly brown.
Yeah.
It's like the very, very first thing if you go back to listen to watch it now, it's like, I'm going to need a judgment call on this face paint. It is, if not problematic, firmly right on the edge of what is acceptable.
Yeah. It's an odd choice not to just go with green.
Or just do USA colors. You're a USA match. Why
then everyone can do it.
Yeah. I do think Devon not having it is the thing that mostly sets off alarm bells.
Yeah.
And what should frankly have set off alarm bells for the other two.
I feel like I should also clarify that Brother Run didn't use brown as the base.
So you're only cancelling Bully here.
Well, he used grey as the base.
Yeah.
So it didn't look like literal blackface. Bullies looked like literal blackface.
Oh. So a match happened too.
Who gives a shit?
EY and Brunt played like defense. They were standing in the corner guarding the flags.
It did remind me that EY has a fucking sick elbow drop.
He does, one of the best elbow drops, even though the table did not break. He just crashed onto a table. For some reason, they do a false finish here where the ref gets bumped. Team 3D get the flag down. Team Canada come in, put the flag back up, and Team 3D just beat them up and take the flag down again. What was the point of the freaking false finish? It's like they won, the ref didn't see it, the Canadians cheated, and then Team 3D just won again. They just beat them twice.
Really had to emphasize how Team 3 just keep winning.
Yeah, so acid drop on A1, 3D on Rude, lets them get the flag, and then they hang the flag and sing the anthem. Mike and Don tried to move on, and they still sing the anthem with the crowd.
US patriotism is so odd to me. Maybe it's just because I come from a country where it's not super prevalent.
Yeah.
But it's like the Pledge of Allegiance? Man, what the hell is that about? You know, what is that?
Because I think most have pride of place.
Yeah.
But Americans take it the next step beyond that to make it totally nationalistic and borderline cultish. That you're it just feels a bit off-putting here, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's clearly a purpose behind that. Supports their giant war industry.
It is mostly propaganda.
America would never have it.
And that brings us to the way we close the show forever. Or at least for another 3 months.
Forever, we're done. We're done. This is the last episode confirmed.
This is the end of the James Gang LAX stuff.
My God, it feels like years.
Now, it is not the end of 3LK family drama.
Thank God.
Because by the time we get to July, we'll have another little round of Ron and Conan 3LK family drama. So we can't officially declare the death of 3LK family drama yet.
What is our ending going to be without 3LK family drama?
We'll have to just talk about fucking tag team matches.
Gross.
Yeah, it's not nice.
This company isn't known for tag teams.
We just have Team 3D.
Oh, Team 3 drama. The drama death drop.
What the fuck is...
The drama death slot.
Well done.
Yep.
This mother is a bad jam.
Beware.
First show of the month, the Latin American Exchange faced Norman Smiley and Shark Boy.
Wow. Well, this is important because they killed Machete.
Yeah, there's a story development here. So Norman and Shark Boy kind of dominate the match until Conan hits Smiley with the slapjack mid-wiggle. Conan then goes to hit Shark Boy with it, but Sharky moves and Conan hits Machete instead. But Conan's like, I don't really care.
He's like, I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah, Shark Boy pins Machete, and then Conan and Homicide beat the heck out of Machete and take his bandana.
Wow, way to censor yourself.
He has been... How did I censor myself?
You beat the heck out of him.
I've never sworn on this podcast.
That is not true.
There's no proof. There's not a single time I've ever sworn in the history of this show.
All right.
Somebody cut together a super cut of 14 hours worth of me swearing.
I was going to say, your supercut, 8 hours. My supercut?
You can get
500.
Yeah, you can get 35 hours out of you saying cunt alone from this episode.
This has probably been my heaviest cunt episode.
You gotta drop if you ever.
You also just said cunt, so
I was quoting
broke your
you.
own rule. It doesn't count if it's a quote.
I'm merely quoting you. I'm not saying it myself. I'm saying you said it.
You quoted one word of it.
Yeah, to quote the great Liam
All
Jones.
right, I'll give it.
Cunt. April 1st,
I'm
Impact.
so destroyed.
NWA
My
World.
mind is turning into mush. I'm losing the ridges on my
titles.
brain. It is all flat. I don't know what's going on anymore. Save me.
Are on the line as the James Gang faced America's Most Wanted.
I am this match.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, what's funny, Garrett?
What's funny, Liam?
Oh, and you call AMW gay.
They're cowboys, you see, Liam.
Oh, the cowboys in Brokeback Mountain. Because, that's the takeaway from the movie. Not that it's a beautiful love story about two people who were just together in the wrong time, in the wrong place, but how their love, they couldn't share it, Garrett. They couldn't grow with it. They couldn't adapt. They had to just hide into secret, and it led to the destruction of their own individual lives, and their lives at home failed because of it.
Mm-hmm. Gay. I believe that's what you're meant to take away from it, Liam.
Oh, what a film. It's no ghost ship, but what a film.
I've never actually seen Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, it's good. You should watch it.
I think I had my own personal internalized homophobia to be like, what if I watch it, people might think I'm gay? Because I am. It's like, fuck.
Damn. You were right.
Yeah. Yeah, the crowd also chant Brokeback Mountain, and AMW do lean into it. They do gay cowboy spots where they end up landing crotch first on Storm's ass, and they're like, oh, what the hell?
They do gay cowboy spots.
They do. It's undeniable.
It's not just gay spots, it's gay cowboy spots.
They are cowboys. They're gay cowboys. I can't...
Only one of them's cowboy.
I don't know. Harris has a jacket too.
My grandma just... Only one of them's cowboy.
And there was famously the early days of TNA when Harris was very mad at Storm being a cowboy.
Yeah, I think because he's a wild cat.
There's a match. My favorite part of this match actually is Gail gets Jackie into the ring and she starts pouring beer over her head to humiliate her.
Somebody's kink. Somebody's really into that.
And Storm is like, what the hell?
Yeah, he stole the beer back. He's like, I'm not doing that.
Not for defense of Jackie, just for waste of beer. Gail also slapped Jackie on the floor, which the camera completely missed because Jackie tripped Harris, as allowing Kip to make a comeback. So they never get a payoff to this, but the idea is Jackie is like trying to subtly sabotage Planet Jar from within, but also getting owned every time she does. Conan hits Kip with the slapjack, allowing Harris to get the pin. It's a development of this story, I guess.
It's sure.
April 8th Impact in an arm wrestling match. It's Conan versus Bob Armstrong.
Segment. This should be on our list. You've not put this on the match list, and it should be there. It is a match.
You know the biggest reason I didn't include it?
Because you know that I'd give it like 4.5, and it would fuck up whatever future like analytics we do.
The opposite. I was going to give it like 4.5, and I didn't want the expectations for you to go through the roof. Because I knew you'd be looking at it and you see Conan versus Bob Armstrong, 4.5 stars. What the fuck is happening here? I wanted you to come into this pure.
And I did, and I came away with the same result, so what does that say about it?
So the referee ejects the James Gang in Homicide, so it's man on man. Because there's a great promo. I don't remember where it was, but like where Bob does the challenge, and he's like, when we were in the Marines, when we had issues, we would settle it with an arm wrestling contest. All the boys would get around and we'd settle it man on man. We'd do it like men. We wouldn't let these petty squabbles get...
No babes allowed!
Definitely no babes allowed in the arm wrestling contest. But we wouldn't let these petty squabbles escalate. We would settle these things like men. So I'm challenging you, Conan, challenging you to an arm wrestling match next week. Bob is so good. Like, he is so good. He's the best thing about any of these shows.
Because we've yammered on about this point for way too long, but everything in wrestling is authenticity, and this is an authentic man.
And he's not doing promos. He is just speaking. He is just speaking.
Yeah.
And like, he closes that promo with the line, win, lose, or draw, you're gonna know Bullet Bob was on the scene, brother. And it's like, fucking yes. Yes. Oh, that's so good. One of my favorite parts about that, actually, it's in the same interview. Conan's like, we live by the code of the streets. And then Bob walks up and JB is like, what was the deal with you running from Bob? It's like, did you not see him? He pulled a knife on me. Check the tape.
Conan's real great.
So we do get the arm wrestling contest. And it is the best piece of pro wrestling theater you can ever get in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Conan is killing it in this.
Because they have it set up, the little arm wrestling stand thing where you hold the thing and you do the arm wrestles. Conan wears gloves for these, by the way, which feels like it should be illegal in arm wrestling.
He's a heel.
He's cheating. But yeah, so Conan doesn't want to engage arm in arm. He tries to, he stalls, he gets away from him. Even when he grasps hands, he starts pulling away a couple times. And then Bob Bob just pulls him forcibly into the arm wrestling stand and begins the match, and Conan is fuming, and Conan is making like these big expressive faces. He's like, oh no, I'm being beaten by the old man. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And then Conan begins to turn the tide, and he immediately starts talking trash. He's like, fuck you, Bob, I fucking got you, I'm the best, you suck. And he's about to put Bob's hand down when Bob tilts his head to the side, goes like full Popeye face. The veins start popping out of Bob Armstrong's neck as Bob pushes and makes the big like expressive comeback face, as opposed to taking the back off that word. And you push the hand all the way down.
Too late for this.
And just as my favorite part is, just as Bob is about to win, you just get a sudden cutaway to Hernandez, who appears out of fucking nowhere to hit Bob with the slapjack to cause the DQ.
It really is just kind of perfect.
It's like, it encapsulates what wrestling should be into something that's not wrestling. Like, it's big, it's broad, it's expressive, it's over the top, it captures emotions, and then a dude hits somebody with a slapjack at the end, so it's silly and violent. Like, it is really, I can't express how much I love this segment for a non-wrestling segment, because people get so uppity, I think, about non-wrestling segments. They're like, oh, you can't have non-wrestling segments about, you have to have super serious stuff. Like, this is a 60-odd-year-old man wrestling a man who has no knees in an arm wrestling match, which features a DQ because of a run-in because of a humongous man named Hernandez. It's ridiculous, but it's so good. I love it so much.
I think that's the thing, because again, it's treated with like utter sincerity. I think that's why it works. Because like it's like, you believe that this old motherfucker is stronger than Conan.
And you look at him; he's wearing like sleeveless vests most of the month. It's like, you see that man's arms; they're impressive.
That's dad strength.
Damn right. So Conan missed the TV taping, so there's not really much else for the rest of the month, other than TNA announces at some point that there will be a rematch inside 6 Sides of Steel at Lockdown.
It's so silly.
Bob Armstrong versus Conan Arm Wrestling 2.
It's silly, but it's awesome.
They come out to the LAX theme for the first time here.
Yeah, and what a perfect first time.
Yeah, they just look right. I know, obviously they look right because of years of them coming out together, but like Homicide Hernandez and Conan coming out for the first time to the LAX theme, fair enough for this ridiculous match, but
that's what I meant too. Perfect situation.
But it does just feel right. There's a pre-match promo as well where they're talking about, Bob has a great line where like, every time I walk, my knees scream Conan's name. It's like, fucking yes. Oh.
It's so brutal.
But yeah, they do the same match. It doesn't hit as well as it does the first time, even if this one has a clean finish.
Kip James has one line in that promo, by the way.
Well, which one was it?
My mama always said I was a strapping young man.
Because they've added the stipulation that there's 10 straps.
That's his whole line. That's the only thing he said all month.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Was getting $1,500 per TV, $2,500 per pay-per-view until he had to renegotiate down to get BG some more money.
No wonder he dropped some of the money. Probably didn't think he deserved it.
He was probably like, yeah, you know what? Like, fair enough. Yeah, but then they do the lashes. There's a bit where they're like on 3 and BG says 2 and Kip just lashes, I think it's Homicide on the other side, maybe Hernandez. Yeah, they whipped them 10 times, LAX bail. That's the end of the segment. But the TV segment, I fucking loved. I fucking loved it. I can't believe 3LK Finally Drama came good, though. After all this time, it came good. How could we have expected such a thing?
It only took Bullet Bob Armstrong.
Yeah, it only took involving BG's significantly better father into all these angles to bring some like old school pro wrestling credibility to everything, and they suddenly just became fun. And like the James Gang will move on to something else now. LAX will begin to like fester as an actual tag team as opposed to goofballs getting their ass kicked by an old man. And everyone will LAX will move on to better things. James Gang they'll still be around, I guess. But yeah, fair play to Bob. You saved an irredeemable angle that was really bad for a very long time, and Bob showed up and it actually became quite fun.
Exactly.
That is, after nearly 5 hours on this record.
Surprise!
Don't you make me name 100 men.
No, you do that easily. There has been a vote.
On what?
On who the hottest AEW heartthrob is, according to straight men.
Straight men? Who wants to know their opinion?
Yeah. That's what we're gonna find out. So There is a majority of it is just like random dudes. So I'm going to go from the lowest actually named but ranked person upwards.
Okay.
Jay White.
What position is he in?
He is in the lowest of the visible men.
How many? But like, is there a number?
No.
Okay.
So yeah.
Jay White is very much a straight man's idea of an attractive man. I understand.
Oh, trust me, there is a more obvious one of that later on.
Okay.
Next step up. So these first five have about the first four have about the same. Then everything starts to increase like intermittently. Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, fair enough. He's looking well.
Ricky Starks.
Fair enough. We can all agree on that one.
Kip Sabian.
What? I took a drink. I literally nearly did a spit take for Kip Sabian. I literally did an actual shoot spit take for Kip Sabian. Ugh, fine.
John Moxley.
Yeah, okay.
Now we're getting into the slightly bigger slices. Hook.
Yeah, well, hell yeah, of course. He should be first, frankly, but okay.
And what I may say is the straightest straight man answer ever.
Yeah.
Can you guess who it is?
Is it number one?
No. This is we're like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 7, but the straightest straight man answer.
Miro?
Adam Cole.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. No, look at his face. No. Desperate Baker, but no.
Wardlow.
Does nothing for me, but I'll get it. Especially without the hair.
Top 5.
Come on.
Top 5. Orange Cassidy.
Really?
People like Orange Cassidy? It has to be like the aura.
Does Orange do anything for you?
Not particularly.
Yeah, like literally nothing. Literally, it's not even like a negative. I'm not even like, oh, Orange Cat. I'm like, nothing. Literally feel nothing.
Number 4, Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah, fair enough.
Number 3, this is an interesting one. I've only ever heard guys say that this man is attractive. I've never heard a woman say this. Kenny Omega.
Kenny has never been a guy for me. Obviously, like, him and Kota is like the most famous wrestling romance. So
the most famous wrestling romance?
Of all of them, there has never been a more famous one. I understand the thorough gay appeal of Kenny Omega, but yeah, never for me personally. Kota, on the other hand, it's a different story.
Number 2, Swerve Strickland.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him that high. He'd be on the list, but I wouldn't have him that high.
Swerve, Kenny, and Takeshita all have like big chunks of this. Orange and Wardlow are about the same. And number 1 with 21% of the vote. Who is your guess?
Most of the actual hunks. Poor Wheeler Yuta being left out. He's also looking well.
Unless you think he's number 1.
Is he number 1? Has Utes done it?
No.
Oh, I can't even think of who's left over.
It's pretty obvious once you know it.
Who is it?
Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
It's the hair.
He wouldn't be one for me, but he would certainly be on the list.
It's the hair. And it's the hair and the Dolly Parton pants.
That is everything you need in a man.
Yeah. Isn't that what it is? That is the list of hunkiest AEW hunks.
According to what list? Who published this?
According to the straight population. Twitter user @awfullywaffly. 413 individual votes of 64 different dudes who were nominated.
This is why we have no babes on this podcast, so we can objectify men at the end.
Yeah, no babes allowed.
That is our Lockdown 2006 episode of You've Got to Be Kidding Me. The watch along for this episode is in your Patreon feed right now at patreon.com/kiddingme. We'll be coming up with episodes of Rain Takers and Gift, or Lucha Underground, Gift of the Pods. Yeah, I questioned myself. I was like, that's the name. No, it's not the name. That is the name. Gift of the Pods coming up in your Patreon feed as well in the next couple of weeks as we build toward.
I'm really hoping we can extend this to 5 hours. We got another minute.
Don't you dare spawn another bit on me. I could not handle another bit. We are 5 hours deep. I was like, this is, we did have 19 pages of show notes, which is quite a bit, which you can get at tnachat.com, patreon.com/kiddingme, where you can read everything, because there's usually like a note or two we miss as well. So you can be like, ooh, what did they miss? But you get extra detail that we didn't cover on the show. It's like a book chapter on TNA this month. That's how good it is sitting there at patreon.com/kiddingme, tnachat.com. So yeah, don't you spring bits on me. I've had enough of my bits. So you can follow us on twitter.com/ it's actually not twitter.com anymore, it's x.com, but TNA History Pod is our handle there. You can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Kidney. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. Oh, I forgot Liam's Twitter. You can follow Liam on Twitter at the Gleet Muda. I did recently 2 podcast appearances that I plugged your Twitter on, so please be happy with me.
It's okay, I went to the bits where you plugged the Twitter.
You can subscribe to us on YouTube at You've Got to Be Kidding Me, or
5
subscribe to
hours.
us on TikTok at TNA History. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.
Do the damn thing.